Nero is totally over this journey, complaining to Jiras about how even the path is fighting them. He's not wrong, adding that the whole world feels like it's actively trying to stop them, making even breathing a struggle. Pointing to a beat-up sign, the kid declares there's no way they're turning back now, not after all this. The sun's going down, painting the sky with fiery colors. Jiras lets out a heavy sigh, agreeing that even if they wanted to, turning back is just not an option. But their chat is instantly forgotten as they turn the corner, revealing a nightmare. The path is absolutely covered in bodies and destruction, a total bloodbath. The brutal truth of their world hits them hard, as fallen warriors and shattered gear litter the ground, a scene of pure chaos. Nero's gaze falls on a lifeless body, his face turning stone cold as he grasps the horrifying price of this crumbling world. Jiras finally wrestles the broken cart wheel back into place, a grunt of exhaustion escaping him, barely fixing it. But the woman, cradling the wailing Sarah, is already at her breaking point, sick of this brutal, unforgiving world, as Sarah's cries intensify. Sarah's cries intensify, a piercing soundtrack to their desperate journey. Then, a horrifying discovery, a tiny, innocent body, riddled with arrows, a stark reminder of the world's cruelty. Sarah's desperate wails continue, a chilling counterpoint to the silent tragedy they've just witnessed. Jiras, his face etched with grim resolve, declares that it might be better for Sarah to simply escape this world, as the woman's expression shifts to alarm. The woman lets out a sharp gasp, pulling Sarah even closer. As Jiras's hand reaches out, a silent tension fills the air. She clutches Sarah tightly, the baby's cries now a desperate plea. Against a blazing sunset, Jiras drops a heavy question on Nero, wanna hear about a slave who never gets to be happy? But Nero just grins, totally unaware, as a woman with a soft smile brushes off Jiras's dark talk as just another curse. Jiras stays grim, and Nero sleeps like a baby. Fast forward 4 days, in a small house, Jiras is on his knees, softly patting Nero's head, wondering if the kid's still mad. They're both crashed out in a tiny bed, just chilling. The woman, looking worried, checks on Nero, whispering, "Honey." Then she shrugs it off, saying she's used to other kids. Jiras, looking determined, tells Nero to come with him. They find themselves staring down at a tiny, lifeless infant, a truly horrifying scene. A text box drops a bombshell. This dark curse came from their grandmother's ancestor. A massive pile of old books and scrolls fills a dark, cramped room, screaming ancient secrets or curse origins. Jiras drops some serious knowledge on Nero, asking him about the grim fate of slaves who can't even hold a weapon or a tool. Nero's stumped, so Jiras pulls out a book, dropping the bombshell that slaves are banned from both weapons and books. Nero's mind is blown, demanding to know why. Jiras gets real, revealing that everyone in this world is basically a slave. Nero's immediate reaction: fight back. Jiras drops another truth bomb. Real change in the world kicks off with a weapon and a book, a powerful message he delivers while holding an ancient text. Nero's eyes go wide as Jiras explains that when the world inevitably changes, the old masters are too stubborn to change with it. Clutching a closed book, Jiras reveals that their ancestor, their grandmother's grandfather, saw this world-changing moment coming from a mile away. And with a fierce gaze among the towering stacks of books, he declares that's exactly why his ancestor set up this whole place, to make sure his family was ready for the revolution. Jiras then hands the book to Nero, reminding him of the epic promise: read this, and you'll become a soldier, finally free. Nero clutches the book, a mix of awe and fear on his face, as Jiras's voice booms with absolute certainty, proclaiming that the world is going to change. Suddenly, a man drops in a field, a sickening thud echoing through the quiet air. His face, now still and pale, shows a chilling trickle of blood, a grim sign of his end. But in a flash, a young Nero is in a library, eyes wide as a hand snatches a book, the chilling realization hitting him: someone happened to him. A lone wooden marker now stands in the field, a silent, stark monument to a life cut short. Flashback again. Jiras looms over a young Nero, solemnly placing a small item on the earth, a choked sob escaping his lips. He shoves a bottle at the boy, his voice dripping with disdain: "You were a sickly guy. That's what you get for not taking your medicine." A chilling farewell follows. The scene explodes into a furious confrontation. A woman, clutching a child, screams at Jiras, "It was you, wasn't it? We were going to sell him to get medicine." Jiras's face twists into a snarl, his finger stabbing the air as he fires back. "Humph. What are you even talking about? Do you seriously think I regret not being able to buy you at the auction house?" Her face contorts in pure agony, eyes wide with horror as she screams the truth: "You were the one who poisoned his medicine." Jiras, drenched in sweat, finally finishes the grueling task of fixing a broken cartwheel, letting out a weary breath. But the calm shatters instantly as he unleashes a brutal kick on the woman, sending her sprawling, her furious curses echoing through the air. His eyes burn with an infernal rage, completely disregarding the child's desperate, terrified plea. A small, trembling hand reaches out, a futile attempt to stop the horror unfolding. Jiraiya seizes the woman by her hair, his fist cocked back, as she bravely throws his own words back at him, reminding him she's Barras' family property and daring him to damage her. Her defiance crumbles into tears, yet his menacing hand still hangs in the air. With a chilling smirk, he finally relents, deciding to spare her for now, but not before twisting the knife with a jab about her failing health as he walks away. A truly sinister grin stretches across his face. And as he disappears into the distance, his final, cutting words hang heavy. What owner wouldn't sell off a damaged slave without a husband? Just a few days later, a massive estate looms under a pristine sky. When Jiraiya appears with a woman, commanding a young girl, Sarah, get over here and greet him. He's your new master now. A chilling smirk plays on Jiraiya's lips, contrasting sharply with the woman's eye, wide with resigned terror. A horrifying sight for a desperate Nero, who screams, "Mom! Mommy! Mommy!" Jiraiya yanks his mother away, the young boy frantically chasing after them. Her face a mask of tears, reflecting the raw agony on his own. He's forcibly restrained, a brutal lesson that he must never get in front of them, as his mother is dragged into the distance. Still fighting, still screaming, "Mom!" His voice cracking into a broken whisper. "Mom!" Her face twists in pure terror, a single, desperate word tearing from her throat. But then, the scene shifts to young Nero, surrounded by a hushed crowd, his own voice a desperate echo, his eyes locked on an unseen horror, pure anguish twisting his young face. The past rips open. A younger Nero, clutching his mother, both of them sobbing, her embrace a desperate, failing defense. He remembers holding baby Sarah, their innocent faces drenched in tears, a moment of pure, heartbreaking despair. Then, a surge of pure, burning fury. A system alert screams, "Unnamed me." And a cold, brutal voice declares, "She was my property. It's up to me to decide." Jiraiya looms over Nero's mother, who kneels before him, as he coldly justifies his actions to the onlookers, shouting, "I'm not a murderer. She was the same cost of a horse." He snarls, leaning into the young boy's face, his voice dripping with venom, "Are you telling me my property is still alive? You are Jr. A brief, fragile peace, Nero's mother holds baby Sarah, both sleeping soundly, only the gentle rustle of cloth breaking the silence. Then, the tranquility shatters. A hand invades the frame, more ominous rustling follows, and a terrifying question echoes, "Nero. Do you know what?" He clutches a glowing object, tears streaming down his face, as the voice asks, "What truly strikes fear into the hearts of this world's masters?" It's a game-changing shift in the world, and that epic transformation always kicks off with two crucial elements, a weapon and a book. A lightning-fast blur slices through the air. As Nero unleashes a furious lunge, his dagger a deadly extension of his will. The blade flashes down with blinding speed, slamming into its unseen target with a powerful thud. The dagger burying itself deep with a sickening crunch. Moments later, the young prodigy is found perched on a library ladder. His green pendant gleaming as he intently scans the shelves. Making a crucial decision. "I'm going to read this one," he announces, ready for his next intellectual conquest. From outside the cozy home, a voice cuts through the quiet, a firm reminder, "You too should sleep in your own bed." Elijah's arrival sparks a wave of regret in Jiraiya, who can't stand the thought of anyone else enduring his past pain, as Nero, right there with him, warns him not to make the same blunders. Staring deep into the boy's eyes, Jiraiya makes a fierce promise to protect Nero from his own past, his intense declaration leaving Nero speechless. His face dead serious, Nero drops a bombshell, 3 ways out. Jiraiya is instantly hooked, demanding to know more. Nero lays out the first plan, get back to the capital and live free. But Jiraiya is quick to point out the glaring problem, they're broke. Golden coins flash, highlighting their empty pockets. Next up, he reveals, swear loyalty to the nation and climb the ranks to become a minister. A powerful sword flashes, representing the weight of that commitment. Jiraiya shuts that idea down fast, so Nero wastes no time, moving straight to the last resort. Finally, Nero drops the bombshell, academia. Jiraiya is totally lost, so Nero explains it's an academy. A shocking revelation follows, the current emperor was once a slave, and this very academy is where Emperor Murin himself trained. A massive, red, winged ship dominates the sky. A whole year flies by, and suddenly, you hear it, the thunderous gallop of horses. Because word's out, the kingdom's booming, and a major lord is rolling up to see the future heir of Ixcanum. And who is it? Emperor Murin himself, on horseback, making a grand entrance and apologizing for being so busy he hasn't shown up in a year. He's all like, "Look, Kundan's dad is basically my dad too, so I had to hit him up first, before finally getting around to the young prince." He gazes down at the kid, totally shocked, has he really grown that much already? Kundan, meanwhile, is super formal with an attendant, declaring it an honor to meet your majesty. Murin brushes off the pomp, saying he's just there for a casual visit, but Kundan's not having it, begging him to come inside after a whole year of the emperor being too busy to visit. With a gentle hand on Kundan's head, Murin doubles down on his chill vibe, just wanting to see where the young heir grew up and meet the future of Excanum. With a happy hoo-hoo, Kundan's all in, telling Murin to lead the way to his dad's old stomping grounds. Kundan looks up, a contemplative expression on his face as the sun's rays pierce through the canopy above. Sunlight bursts through the leaves of an ancient tree, a place Murin instantly recognizes as his old stomping grounds. Beneath the colossal branches, Lord Logan questions, is this what they call a tree house? He always preferred the raw embrace of nature over any man-made structure, a feeling Kundan totally gets. Just like my father, I love playing in nature too. I'm even gonna build a tree house right here. Kundan declares, and Logan can't help but notice the uncanny resemblance to his dad. Logan holds up a glowing purple orb, sensing Kundan's innate connection to mana, a powerful testament to their blood ties. Meanwhile, in the background, a herd of elephants kicks up dust. A deep rumble shakes the earth, sending tremors across the water's surface. Whenever I'm stressed, I come here to chill, Logan reveals, still holding the glowing orb, as Kundan hangs on his every word. But the peaceful vibe is instantly shattered as a squad of armored guards storms in, encircling them with blades and spears at the ready. Lord Logan, in full battle gear, charges in with his sword, the sound of his advance cutting through the silence. But just as he's about to strike, bam! He's launched into the air, sent soaring by a brutal hit from monstrous horned beasts that burst onto the scene. He's just a ragdoll, helplessly falling into a swarm of these terrifying monsters. Their massive hooves are coming down, ready to stomp him into oblivion. But then, a shout rips through the air, and Kundan unleashes a devastating, vibrant purple energy blast from his hand. The raw power of that blast connects, igniting a massive explosion that sends one of the beasts reeling. Kundan stands protectively over the downed Logan, his voice sharp with urgency, telling him to get out of there, now. But Logan isn't backing down, his hand clamps onto his golden-bladed weapon, a look of fierce determination on his face. And with a sudden, explosive surge, brilliant blue lightning erupts around the blade, charging it with raw, destructive power. The ground trembles as monstrous horned beasts stampede, but Lord Logan holds his ground, a human shield for Nero. But in the heart of the storm, Nero's eyes ignite with a fierce violet light, a raw, untamed power awakening. The horde closes in, a terrifying wave of muscle and horn, their thunderous charge shaking the very foundations of the world. Yet, Lord Logan remains unyielding, Kundan's worried gaze fixed on his back, as the beasts loom larger with every terrifying stride. A quick look back at Kundan, who cries out, "Father!" A desperate plea in the face of overwhelming odds. Logan's eyes narrow, then snap to Nero, whose violet gaze still blazes, a silent, stunned gasp escaping his lips. A solemn expression settles on Logan's face as he drops a bombshell. Listen carefully, Nero. Even though you're my son, you weren't born from us. The truth is out. Flashback. Jiras kneels before a younger Nero, dropping another truth bomb. Your real father was an elf, and he had already died. Mind blown. Jiras' hand rests on young Nero's shoulder, the weight of the revelation settling, as he finishes, the incredible power that you possess is all because. He clutches a glowing green orb, eyes locked on the man, as the bombshell question drops, are you a half-elf? Jiras turns his back, a beast's roar ripping through the air, demanding if he'd forgotten to explain, as the monster's shriek reaches a fever pitch. The horned beast unleashes a monstrous, purple-charged roar, pure rage erupting. Too late. The beast's unseen power slams into the boy, launching him, sky-high. He's a ragdoll in the sky, headed straight for a roof. Crash. He obliterates the rooftop. Jiras covers Sarah, eyes wide with terror as the boy keeps falling, a straight shot to the dirt. He slams into the ground, dust exploding. Amidst the wreckage, the boy gasps for air, every inch of him screaming from the hit. He's on his knees, facing down a horned beast, when a voice from the past cuts through, demanding to know how he plans to talk to these wild creatures. The beast's chilling reply, a taunt about turning him into one of its own, clashes with his inner voice screaming that animals aren't exactly known for their hospitality. But the scene shifts, and suddenly, the Emperor's intense stare dominates, his mind clearly on something from long ago. His mind races, fixated on the boy's ambition. What kind of insane reward was he even dreaming of for saving the Emperor? That question from the Emperor hits him hard, his face twisting into a raw display of pure agony and defeat. The beast's brutal assault has him down, a sickening thud marking the impact as it looms over his broken body. Then Jiras' voice, sharp and analytical, slices through the flashback, his mind fixated on the kid's weird eyes. Could they actually store the Emperor's power? Nero's still down, but Jiras' voice keeps going, shutting down any hope for the kid to the Emperor, flat out saying he's got no effect whatsoever. Then the Emperor's voice drops the bomb. He's a half-elf, a secret he wished he never knew, and Jiras piles on, claiming his animal whispering just screams possessiveness. A towering figure, crackling with raw power, looms over him, a weapon blazing in his grip, condemning the very idea of a slave daring to touch a weapon as an unforgivable act of treason. A heavy boot slams down, inches from the terrified child, as Lord Logan's absolute power crushes any hope of defiance. His face a mask of stone, utterly devoid of mercy, he unleashes a devastating decree. Nero is banished, sentenced to a lifetime of brutal, unforgiving labor in the slave mines, a living atonement for his unforgivable treason. The crushing weight of his new, horrific reality slams into him, and Nero's eyes explode with pure, unadulterated terror. Under the pale crescent moon, the world was swallowed by an unsettling darkness. Against the dim sky, a dense pine forest loomed, stark and unwelcoming. Through this desolate land, a weary line of captives marched, their future unknown, driven by unseen hands, with a monstrous green creature lurking close. Bound and drained, Nero's small voice cut through the quiet, pleading, "Are we there yet? Where are we going? I want to go home." But Jiras, looking utterly defeated, just told him to give up. Jiras hammered home their hopeless situation, declaring, "It's no use. No one will protect us." Nero, still holding on to a tiny spark of hope, asked if anyone was waiting for them, only for Jiras to drop the bombshell: "It's a magic city in Azerbaijan." Blindfolded, Nero stayed quiet, his mind a mystery, as the narration dropped a key fact: magic orbs were super rare. Meanwhile, Sarah cried, moaning, "It's no use, we're too weak. We're just slaves now." But Kundan, right next to her, shot down that thought, yelling they had to escape and get back to their village for their family. Suddenly, a scream ripped through the air as an unknown man roughly grabbed Sarah, yanking her away from Kundan. The rough-collared slave trader, clearly annoyed, tries to lowball the price for two helpless kids, throwing out a measly 300 gold. The buyer, a stern-bearded man, makes it clear he's looking for strong slaves, but the trader isn't having it, snapping back about being scammed by a small-time dealer. But the real victims, Nero and Kundan, are huddled together, absolutely terrified, as their fate is decided and their price jumps to 450 gold. The trader, still playing hard to get, isn't convinced these two kids are worth the trouble. The bearded buyer finally caves, agreeing to 600 gold, but makes it clear this is his absolute limit, reminding the trader that a real strong slave would go for more. Suddenly, a gut-wrenching scream tears from Nero's throat, his entire being shaking with pure terror. Just moments before, Sarah and Kundan were holding hands, their faces filled with a heartbreaking sadness, knowing their time together was running out. Then, in a flash, a brutal hand snatches Sarah's arm, ripping her away from Kundan as Nero can only watch in horrified disbelief. The bearded buyer, now brandishing a whip, looms over Nero, scolding him for daring to scream and warning him about his weak heart. Wham! The trader's weapon slams into him, a brutal punishment for daring to resist, his words cutting deep: "You're just a slave." The traders and their young captive stand frozen, the brutal message of their power hanging heavy in the air. But the silence shatters as a terrifying growl echoes, a monstrous, drooling mouth lunging from the darkness. Bound and helpless, he can only watch in terror as the beast closes in, Jiras is frustrated, "Damn it," echoing his own rising panic. Instantly, a trader springs into action, a glowing arrow thwacking through the air straight for the monster. The beast screeches in agony as a volley of arrows thwacks into its flesh, a desperate counterattack. With the monster temporarily repelled, the traders immediately turn on Jiras, screaming that he's to blame for attracting the beast and the trouble it'll cause. Blood splatters his face as the young boy's eyes widen in terror at the carnage, a desperate plea screaming in his head: "I can't die here. Not like this." Under the pale moonlight, a man in a red tunic calls out to another figure, asking if his master is still awake. Then inquires about his purpose for being there, while another man on horseback formally greets a third, expressing his gladness to see him doing well after a long time. Meanwhile, the harsh realities of their journey weigh heavily on the minds of the guards, as one grimly notes that they should be accustomed to such losses by now, with 3 having succumbed to hunger and 1 to a crazed beast. The commander of the force, his face etched with frustration, curses the poor quality of their provisions, lamenting that if they were to be given forage, it should at least be in good condition. His gaze then falls upon Nero, who remains tied up and injured, dismissing him and the others as nothing more than weak and useless. Turning his attention to his men, the commander barks orders for them to stop standing around, demanding they hurry to grab the packages and line up. Later, as he moves through a settlement, the commander explains his mission to gather children, intending to take them to the capital to become soldiers, believing it to be a good thing for them. A young man approaches him, offering to become a true reward if allowed to join the administrative force, eager to prove his worth. Suddenly, a sharp, metallic sound rings out, as a sword is swiftly drawn or swung. In the sunless, moonlit depths of the brutal Excana mines, Jiras casts a disappointed gaze upon the small figure at his feet, a heavy sigh escaping him as he laments, "Oh dear, what a waste." His face twists in a raw display of frustration and exhaustion, the battle-worn scars on his cheeks stark against his furious gaze. Then, with a brutal, practiced motion, Jiraiya slams his pickaxe down. A raw, pink energy explodes around him and the tool as he unleashes his power, a primal, ki, ripping from his throat with the sheer force of it. The pickaxe smashes into the rock face with an explosive, concussive force, shattering it in a blinding flash of pink energy. The sheer, unbridled power of the blow sends a concussive shockwave ripping through the cavern, forcing Nero to violently recoil with a pained, desperate grunt. Jiraiya looms over the boy, who clutches his shoulders in searing agony, his voice a harsh demand, "Pickaxe properly. Did you want to die?" Still sprawled on the ground, the child gazes up with wide, desperate eyes, his voice a broken plea, "And no, please spare me." Nero screams, his face twisted in pure agony and disbelief. But deep in the cave, a terrifying purple energy starts to pulse and glow, its ominous hum shaking the very ground. The light explodes, revealing a monstrous silhouette, and a miner screams, demanding everyone prepare for battle. But Jiraiya, completely unfazed by the monster, just looms over Nero, screaming about his weakness, as the beaten kid can only whimper about being a slave. Then, with a savage, energy-charged kick, Jiraiya sends Nero absolutely launching. The impact explodes into a massive dust cloud, sending other miners scrambling and one of them yelling, "Grab Holden." But then, the real threat fully emerges from the shadows, a colossal, green-skinned monster with blazing red eyes, unleashing a deafening roar. The commander of force, with a masked miner by his side, stares wide-eyed at the beast, confessing he's never witnessed such a monster. Jiraiya, finally snapping out of it, whirls to face the monster and screams at the terrified miners, ordering them to attack that thing. Jiraiya's brutal training is instantly overshadowed as the commander of force, blade already bloodied, violently shoves a young recruit forward, screaming for them to just attack. He bellows at the terrified miners, demanding they fight the monstrous entity. His voice ripping through the cavern as he yells for them to engage the creature. His face twists in fury as the cave monster unleashes a thunderous roar, its emerald eyes blazing with raw power. And a miner's shriek of pure terror is cut short as an axe clatters to the ground. In the midst of the panicked retreat, Nero and Jiraiya bolt from the colossal beast. But then, a sudden shift. Nero, gripping his pickaxe, abruptly pivots, charging directly towards the creature, which stares back, utterly bewildered. Nero, fueled by a sudden resolve, launches himself at the colossal cave monster, a tiny blur against its terrifying roar. In a flash of pure speed, he swings his pickaxe with all his might. The pickaxe connects with a sickening thud, sinking deep into the monster's arm. A brutal impact reverberates, sending the beast reeling. Mission accomplished, Nero makes a tactical retreat, leaving the stunned monster in his dust. Back in the village, a different drama unfolds, as Jiraiya faces a stern request to change his mind. A tense scene plays out, with an elderly couple and 2 kids, including Sarah, watching from the shadows. All eyes are on the elder, as Jiraiya and the kids hang on his every word beneath the night sky. The elder's face is a mask of deep thought, his expression unyielding as he processes the plea. Deep within the shadows, the terrifying cave monster unleashes a chilling roar, its fiery red gaze locked onto something just out of sight, a primal question echoing through the darkness. "What is your name?" But elsewhere, a pivotal moment unfolds as the commander of the force confronts Nero, demanding to know, "Where did you learn to wield a sword?" Nero, with unwavering resolve, simply states that his sword was his ticket here. The commander, clearly taken aback, then makes a shocking declaration, "You're an interesting fellow. From today onwards, you'll be part of the squad." Both Nero and Jiraiya, witnessing this incredible offer, are left completely stunned, their faces a perfect picture of disbelief at the protagonist's sudden recruitment. The commander lays down the law, telling his subordinate this guard gig is just a temporary stop for the kid, once he's used to the cave's horrors, it's back to slavery. His buddy chimes in, saying at least it beats rotting away in the mines forever. Heart absolutely thumping, Nero practically shouts his thanks. Then, with a fierce grip on his sword, he declares he'll slaughter any monster that even thinks about attacking. But the commander, ever the realist, reminds his subordinate, useful or not, the kid's still a slave. If he bolts or goes full monster, wipe him out, no trace. His companion can barely wrap his head around the idea of the boy ever being more useful. A young recruit, spear ready, snaps a crisp, "Yes, boss," to the commander. Every single sunset after his guard duty, Nero is out there, relentlessly training with his sword. He stares down at his blade, a single, powerful thought burning in his mind, a dark night. Already behind schedule, the commander's words cut through the air, a sharp reminder not to push himself past a 10-year-old's limits, but Nero, fueled by an unyielding drive, simply acknowledges the delay. Yet, as the young warrior's blade flashes with increasing speed, the commander's gaze sharpens, a flicker of disbelief in his tone as he wonders if this rapid progress is even possible. His sword arcs, a violet blur of raw power, leaving a shimmering afterimage, as Nero's grim resolve cuts through the air. This isn't about getting better, it's about staying alive. Even the hardened commander can't hide his shock, muttering about the slave's unbelievable, raw talent, a gift he's never seen, before curtly commanding Nero to press on. Facing his overseer, Nero's voice is firm, a quiet promise that he's giving everything he has. A curt nod from the commander, a chilling reminder that his life hangs by a thread, and only his own muscles will save him. Nero's back, slick with sweat, shows the raw effort etched into every muscle, as he snaps a sharp, "Yes, sir," back, his determination unwavering. The commander, mug in hand, takes a long swig, a wry smirk playing on his lips, the irony not lost on him, depending on a kid barely out of childhood. Deep in the glowing purple cavern, the relentless clang of pickaxes hammered, a brutal soundtrack to their endless grind. Amidst the relentless grind, Nero actually paused, a subtle smirk playing on his face as he glanced up from the rock face. His elder, Jiras, caught the kid's bizarrely cheerful vibe, calling him out, "You're awfully happy, kid." Nero, totally blindsided, just stammered, "What?" Jiras's face turned stone cold, his voice cutting through the air as he barked, "Get back to work. And don't you forget, runt. You're a slave because you can't even touch me." Nero's eyes dropped, but his voice was a low, defiant growl as he shot back, "I'm not happy because I'm weak compared to you. I'm happy because I'm going to absolutely crush you in strength." Jiras just doubled down, his voice sharp, "Now get back to work." Nero, with a fresh fire in his eyes, snapped back, "Yes, sir." The kid went back to the grind, that smile gone, replaced by a fierce, silent resolve as he tightened his grip on the pickaxe. Jiras, watching the kid, grumbled under his breath about "ungrateful bastards" being a total disgrace, and Nero, catching it, quietly murmured, "Gramps." The old miner then dropped some heavy truth about human nature, declaring, "That's just how people are. They get jealous of anyone doing better. But when real, overwhelming power shows up, everyone's the same. No exceptions." Nero's eyes widen, a sudden, unsettling sound ripping through the air and instantly grabbing his attention. Then, a massive bong rips through the silence, followed by an intense, bone rattling. It's a colossal horn, unlike anything he's ever witnessed, and Nero instantly knows this isn't just any monster, it's a whole new level of threat. The word, "combat," screams through the air, and Nero, without hesitation, snaps into a battle-ready stance, pure determination etched on his face. A guttural rips through the air, and Nero explodes into action, leaving a stunned Jiras behind. The colossal cave monster, a grey titan of destruction, is already tearing through smaller green creatures, as a desperate voice screams, "It's over. Reinforcements are on their way." Sweat pouring down his face, Jiras's voice cracks with urgency, "Your Majesty, we need you here, now." Confronting the terrifying beast, a young voice, filled with a chilling realization, declares, "My name is Kundan." "No way, it can't be." The beast unleashes another devastating. Its raw power dominates the battlefield as the smaller creatures are sent flying. A young warrior stands ready, his blade poised for battle. As a horde of crude, green-skinned creatures closes in, Kundan demands to know what they're doing here, his voice laced with urgency. One of the creatures lets out a savage, guttural cry, its crude blade glinting with pure menace. Kundan, facing the overwhelming threat, cries out that he's too young for this fight, but Nero, with a fierce glint in his violet eyes, calmly tells him to watch closely, because the brightest is always the brightest. Without a moment's pause, Nero explodes forward, his sword a blinding blur, leaving a trail of raw pink energy as he carves through the first goblin. He continues his relentless, lightning-fast assault, his blade finding another target with brutal precision. A devastating kick sends one of the creatures absolutely soaring, its body violently recoiling from the sheer force. Another swift, brutal movement, and another goblin is sent spiraling through the air. His sword flashes once more, a deadly dance, dispatching yet another foe with terrifying, effortless grace. He strikes with insane speed, his eyes burning a dangerous crimson as his sword rips through the air, tearing through the first target with a sickening, wet sound. A goblin's body drops, blood exploding as it hits the dirt. Another creature's head is gone, its life snuffed out in a flash, leaving Kundan absolutely stunned and sweating from the sheer brutality. The air is filled with the screams of dying goblins, their limbs flying and bodies shredded. In mere moments, the cave floor is a bloodbath, and Nero stands victorious amidst the carnage, scanning for any last stragglers. The young boy can only gape, his mind absolutely blown by the brutal efficiency he just witnessed. With the threat gone, Nero coolly plants his sword into the ground, a silent, chilling testament to the total annihilation of the goblin horde. Deep in the cavern, a group of terrified miners were huddled, while Nero and Kundan stood by, taking in the seriously tense situation. With a confused look on his face, Kundan couldn't help but ask, "What are you guys doing?" One of the miners, clearly terrified, stammered out that the monsters wanted the mine and planned to enslave them. Nero let out a fierce growl, while a monstrous voice sneered, humans are so weak, so easy to fool. But he's different. The monster's thoughts were chillingly simple, we just need meat, while Nero's hand tightened on his blade, preparing for the fight. Nero didn't even flinch, launching himself into a blur of motion, his sword carving through the monster with a sickening SCRCH. The monster's eye went wide with shock, a bewildered "Who," escaping it as it realized what just happened. A blinding blue light exploded, reflecting in the monster's eye, a clear sign of Nero's devastating power. And just like that, Nero stood victorious amidst a pile of defeated cave monsters, their bodies strewn across the floor, a brutal display of his incredible power. Boom! A blinding blue energy explodes from him, absolutely obliterating the monster's arm. The sheer power rips through the cavern, and the monster just melts away. One last shriek, and the colossal cave monster is down for good. He stands tall over the wreckage, the big boss monster just another pile of defeated goo, the miners are safe, for now. But that power comes with a price. He's coughing, and that's not good, blood. He's gasping for air, that last move drained him completely. Jiras, the big miner, is there in a flash, scooping him up, his face screaming pure concern for the kid. The masked miner chimes in, relieved but worried, wondering if the little hero is even okay after that insane move. But before he can even respond, a golden light just swallows him, and he's out cold. Nero remains motionless, bathed in a radiant golden light, as Lord Logan looms protectively over him. He stirs, now upright, his small frame bandaged and his expression etched with sorrow, the teleportation artifact having done its job. Lord Logan, surrounded by his armored guard, stares down at the boy, fully aware of the monumental sacrifice it demanded for him to abandon his noble heritage and become a simple soldier. Nero's eyes brim with tears, a single drop rolling down his cheek as he barely breathes, "Will you follow me deep, to my sisters?" Dropping to his knees beside the child, the emperor grasps his hand, his voice ringing with unwavering resolve, "I will not allow you to die here." But the miners, with Jiras at the forefront, refuse to stay silent, their voices erupting in a furious chorus, "Your Majesty. That boy believed. He just got in the way and ruined himself. It made us who protected his mine, Your Majesty." Lord Logan's eyes narrow, his face hardening, as he observes Jiras's blade is suspiciously clean for someone claiming to have protected the mine. He pivots to face Jiras and the other miner, his voice slicing through their protests, starting, "If that's because." A blinding flash of golden energy erupts, tearing through the very fabric of space. Leaving behind a chaotic maelstrom where figures are consumed by searing flames. Before settling into the distinct, glowing emblem of a powerful artifact. Later, the Emperor carries the young boy, his gaze firm as he addresses his captain, who responds with a respectful, "Yes, Your Majesty." After the boy makes a full recovery, the decision is made to have him attend Excanum Academy. Amidst the falling cherry blossoms, Jiras presses Nero, "When will we see each other again?" And the young boy can only offer a somber, "I'm not sure." But Jiras, with a fierce resolve, makes a powerful vow, he'll come back, and when they reunite, they'll be free, common folk. He pulls both Nero and Sarah into a tight, emotional hug, a silent promise echoing his words. Nero, clutching his little sister, declares they'll work super hard, and Sarah, with an adorable grin, vows to handle all the cleaning. He doubles down on his promise to free them, and Sarah, with pure adoration, chirps, "Okay, Appa." Later, out in the scorching desert, Nero, now on his own, confirms his plan, "I just need to ride in the luggage cart, right?" He gazes up at a masked miner, his hopeful question hanging in the air. But far away, in an opulent hall, Lord Logan watches as Kundan, with a chilling smirk, declares, "Nothing good ever came from a slave's wish." A harsh reality check. Hidden deep within a hay-filled cart, the determined young hero assures everyone he's totally fine, relishing the cozy, secret escape. But his daring escape is instantly busted, as a hand snatches him from the cart, a voice barking about flu season. Caught by the neck, the commander coldly states that a young slave like him is a perfect offering. Elsewhere, the massive imperial procession kicks off, with Lord Logan and Kundan watching from above as troops parade for their ruler's glory. Horses thunder, pulling the grand carriage, as the procession rolls out for the glory of their supreme ruler. Later, in a lush field, the boy, now cloaked in green, stares intently at a mysterious, glowing artifact in his grasp. It's an ornate dagger, its blade pulsing with an otherworldly glow. Deep in a dark cavern, a captain looms over him, proclaiming the dagger is the very sword destined to guide his path. Just as prophecy foretold, this legendary blade has picked its wielder, and with pure grit, he'll carve his own destiny to become the world's hero, kicking off his epic saga. He grips the legendary blade, the last vestige of his family. His eyes burning with determination as he studies its intricate design. Clad in a new green cloak, he speeds through a shower of cherry blossoms. The weight of the sword a powerful promise in his hands, a dream finally realized. When a sudden shout cuts through the air, announcing their arrival at the fabled Excanum Academy. He springs to his feet, adrenaline coursing. As the majestic, domed Excanum Academy looms into view, a beacon of his destiny. With each determined step, he traverses the forest path. Finally reaching the colossal gates, where two quirky, uniformed guardians challenge him, demanding to know if he's ready for the entrance exam and his family's name. He's finally here, at the gates of Excanum Academy, held by the captain, under the scrutinizing gaze of a young noble with a striking white streak in his hair, already judging him. A heavy hand lands on his shoulder, the captain's voice booming as he introduces him as nothing more than a shabby-looking slave. He turns to leave, but Kundan, the arrogant young noble, can't resist a parting shot, spilling the truth about his aristocratic past and his family's devastating downfall. Kundan's face twists in disgust, his contempt for the former noble palpable. Behold the grandeur. The colossal spires and intricate designs of Excanum Academy stand defiant, a fortress of magic and might. And within, endless, echoing halls, glowing with an otherworldly light. But the tension is thick even in these hallowed halls, as Kundan snaps at him, demanding he keep his distance. With a sneer of pure revulsion, Kundan unleashes a brutal insult, claiming his stench is atrocious. Standing at the academy gates, the captain lays down the law: Nero is to never disrespect him, never speak his name unless summoned, and act like a complete stranger. He even throws shade, asking if Nero thinks he's a noble just by acting like one. After a sharp "yes, sir," the captain just dips, leaving Nero to stew in that harsh reality. Down below, the massive Excanum Academy hall is absolutely swarming with new students, a low, excited buzz filling the air. Nero just stares down at the massive crowd, taking it all in, a quiet storm brewing inside him. Meanwhile, Kundan, from his own high perch, scopes out the ranks of new students, a smug grin spreading across his face as he calls them adorable, with pure sarcasm. Then, "Bam!" A super-energetic voice slices through the noise, as Instructor Evan, rocking pink hair and a witch hat, bursts onto the scene, hyping up the new students for the year ahead. Her voice booms across the massive hall, officially congratulating all the new recruits. In the sea of faces, two students are practically buzzing, one of them totally freaking out about how epic this year is gonna be. Watching over the whole scene, a massive, ancient statue stands guard, a silent witness to the Academy's unfolding drama. The Academy assembly kicked off, and the sheer history in the air was palpable. And it wasn't just humans, the elven kingdom of Lordle also got a shout-out, their royal families bringing some serious ancient magic to the table. Then, another legendary name dropped, the Black Knight, Jian, adding to the epic roster. With all these legendary families gathered, you could practically feel the hype building, like Excanum Academy was about to kick off a new era that would change everything, not just for these students, but for the entire world. And all this epicness, the voice declared, was thanks to the noble blood and raw talent coursing through these young heroes. Then, Instructor Evan stepped up to the mic, hyping up the students to push their limits, get stronger, and become the next generation of heroes, all with the Excanum Academy professors backing them up. And then, Headmistress Katia, looking absolutely fierce, chimed in, promising that she and the Academy would make all their heroic dreams come true. The crowd went wild, totally pumped, hearts practically exploding with excitement for what was coming next. But Nero? He was totally unfazed by the hype, just shrugging off the whole inspiring speech like it had nothing to do with him. He stares up at the towering figure, a silent judgment forming in his mind. The instructor's voice echoes, a powerful declaration to the new recruits. He lays down the law: this academy is about growth, but the first test. That's where their destiny is forged. He drives the point home, the weight of their future hanging in the air. Only by conquering this trial as one can they truly claim the title of Excanum Jr. A wave of panic hits the students, one of them blurting out the fear on everyone's mind, asking the terrifying question: fail the test, and it's game over, sent home? Jiras cuts through the fear with a stern declaration. Across the hall, Headmistress Katia watches the new blood, musing to Kundan about the next big talent, as he wonders if anyone could ever measure up to their own legendary professor. Jiras' hand slices through the air, a powerful emphasis to his words. His finger jabs, driving home the next crucial step. Form your groups, get your mentors, and yes, they're going to be mixed gender. Nero, chilling with Kundan and a few others, drops his preference with a shrug, just wanting to stick with the guys, as another student echoes the sentiment, hoping for their own crew. The Academy's new group assignments are already stirring up drama, with Nero hyped to team up with the legendary elf family, but his buddy is totally freaking out about getting stuck with the elf girls. Then, a new presence arrives, footsteps echoing with purpose. And out of nowhere, a light blue-haired elf girl unleashes a shimmering, glowing barrier, effortlessly deflecting an attack. Total shockwaves through the crowd. Her hand is practically radiating raw power, shutting down the assault. Threat neutralized, no sweat. The elf girl just stands there, cool as ice, dropping a casual "you got lucky" to her stunned foe. But the brown-haired dude from before is totally losing it, yelling at her to cut the crazy violence and go home before the academy even kicks off. A defiant humph is all she gives, as the elf girl just breezes past the gawking students, owning the moment. As she walks away, Nero's jaw drops, a total fanboy blush spreading across his face as he gushes about how incredibly cool she is. And his mind just keeps going, adding that she's also, like, super pretty. The assembly kicks off with a booming announcement, grabbing everyone's attention, then a direct command, Nero. Get up here. An instructor checks his tablet, locking in the details for the new teams, announcing their group's destination, 3rd floor, room 302, with Mr. Evan as their guide. The students, including Nero, respond with a unified, Roger that, sir. The instructor lays down the law. As group leader, Nero's on the hook for his team's screw-ups, taking the first hit if things go south. Nero confirms, got it, sir. The instructor then makes it clear, no one's exempt from this rule. Nero feels the pressure, a bead of sweat tracing his brow, his face a battleground of nerves and resolve. But Kundan's eyes blaze with an incandescent purple fury, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated wrath. His mind explodes with an internal roar, seriously? I'm stuck with these losers. Nero's just dropped into this super fancy hall, looking totally out of place in his simple threads. Kundan, all decked out, is giving him the serious side eye, and Jiraz is just there, watching the whole scene unfold. Kundan's eyes just slice right through him, and Nero is clearly squirming under that intense stare. Kundan just waves his hand, telling the new slaves they reek and need to hit the baths, like, now. Nero actually recoils, a tiny ouch slipping out as Kundan's words hit him hard. Then Kundan pivots to Nero, straight up asking why he's not calling him master. Nero, totally confused, brings up how Kundan specifically said to keep their whole relationship on the down low. Nero's face just locks up, his eyes burning with defiance and a hint of resignation as he lays down the law, I am your master. You are my slave. Kundan is totally blindsided, tripping over his words, freaking out about what the headmistress would do if she caught him. He snaps back to attention, calling Nero master, as the other slaves in the back also drop into a bow. Nero, still kinda scratching his head, wonders out loud if it's even cool to drop the formalities when they're both technically slaves anyway. The blue-haired girl asks if he's feeling it, but Nero's face is an open book, instantly giving away his lie. She calls him out, saying his thoughts, feelings, and emotions are practically screaming from his face. As he heads off, she shouts, telling him to unleash the real Nero. Later, Nero's in a bathhouse, taking it all in, a whole new world. He gets it now, this is a bathhouse, and it's absolutely heavenly. He flashes back, standing before the emperor, thinking about the insane honor of this titan bestowing his name on a nobody slave. The emperor had asked if he'd give his name to his sisters, but Nero just flat out said no. He realizes now he messed up back then, his sisters could have gotten that blessing instead, and they'd be free commoners. But it looks like the emperor has bigger plans for him, he wants Nero to prove himself to the world. He's gotta rise above, forge his own name, and prove himself to everyone, just like the emperor did. Nero's gotta endure. But first, the grind of his new life meant endless chores. Like this massive pile of laundry he was tackling with a fierce blue-haired girl, who was already snapping at some poor soul to get back to work. He was absolutely huffing and puffing, barely managing to haul a giant basket of clothes. Under the relentless glare of the midday sun. Back in the tub, he was stomping those clothes with pure, unadulterated frustration, sending water flying. The blue-haired girl, seeing his struggle, actually offered to lend a hand. No way, he shot back, then, trying to get a rise out of her, asked if she actually enjoyed free labor. She quickly retorted, no, that's not it either. Her chores were her chores, and his were his, she declared, finding the idea of them helping each other absolutely disgusting. A young elf-eared girl looks down, giving a quick apology, swearing she won't do it again. She just walks off, leaving Nero to his endless laundry, the water splashing rhythmically. Inside the opulent palace, light streams through massive arched windows, setting the scene. But then, the same elf-eared girl is back, standing over him and demanding a dance, a total flip from her earlier apology. She boasts about being the emperor's favorite, never having to kneel, but Nero hits back, reminding her that even their comfort comes from noble sacrifices. She just brushes him off, telling him to dance anyway. Another boy, a chubby one, chimes in, saying these favored slaves owe everything to the nobles and better show some gratitude. The elf-eared girl just stands there, lost in thought, maybe thinking about some ancient sage's journey. Nero's deep in a book, thinking about how ungrateful slaves don't deserve their comfort, because the emperor's favorites get the best life, but some still aren't thankful, just as a mysterious glowing orb materializes. He walks off down a massive, empty hallway, probably still thinking about all this gratitude and freedom stuff in the palace. While the fearless child and carefree sage forged ahead on their forbidden path, a young elf-eared girl is caught in a moment of raw emotion, tears streaming down her face as she's grilled about her singing skills. Inside a cramped room, the elf-eared girl glares from the bed, as Nero dramatically wails about the song choice, while Kundan just chills, engrossed in a book. She defiantly claims it's her only tune, then throws shade, calling them all uncultured slaves. A hand flashes a green card, sealing the deal on a new slave acquisition. The massive estate gleams under the morning sun, its countless windows sparkling with the dawn. A servant appears, basket loaded, declaring breakfast has arrived for the master. The servant apologizes for the cafeteria rush, handing over the meal, which immediately makes Nero wonder why he's the only one getting fed. Nero stares blankly at the basket, as the elf-eared girl watches from the bed, clearly unimpressed. She then drops the bomb, with a smirk, that the food was strictly for her crew, making it crystal clear who's really running things. The checkered floor tells a tale of chaos as Nero stares down at the mess. Elsewhere, Kundun is absolutely fuming, calling out the elf-eared girl for scarfing down everything. Nero, basket in hand, demands answers, but she just shrugs, claiming it's tough to gather all this food alone. Kundun lays into Nero for his constant antics, and while he offers a quick apology, a mischievous thought bubbles up. The trio moves through the opulent hall, with Nero still stuck carrying the load. A smug grin spreads across the elf-eared girl's face as she confirms he's finally doing what he's told. Then, a sudden, jarring crash rips through the air, followed by a chaotic clatter. Nero's face contorts in pure dread, a quiet "oh no," barely audible. The elf-eared girl looms over him, mockingly echoing his despair as he's left sitting in the wreckage of the food. A harsh command rings out, demanding something be discarded. The elf-eared girl, chillingly calm, doubles down on the order, telling Nero to hustle up with another meal or face the consequences, others will feast if he hesitates. Nero, trapped in his bed, can only offer a submissive, "Yes, master." Meanwhile, the colossal academy looms in the distance, a silent witness to the unfolding drama. As a basket of food signals a brief respite, with a voice declaring the meal a success and the next lesson kicking off in mere minutes. Back in the lavish hall, Nero is sprawled on the ground, Kundun a silent observer, as the elf-eared girl barks another order, "Clean it up." Nero, ever the obedient servant, snaps back with a resounding, "Yes, master." A shadowy overseer, back to the viewer, lays down the law, no eating scraps like some beast. He barks, reminding Nero he's already running late for his next grueling session. Nero, clutching a meager piece of bread, stares at the barren basket, his voice a mere ghost of a sound as he accepts his fate. The academy's grand, imposing doors stand as a stark symbol of the rigid discipline enforced within its walls. And just like before, Nero is back on the ground, groveling apologies to the elf-eared girl towering above him, shouldering all the blame for yet another perceived failure. Nero's face is a mask of pure frustration, the crushing weight of his situation hitting hard as he's slammed with the accusation, "This whole disaster. It's all on you for being useless." Across from him, the elf-eared girl is on her knees, clearly shaken, whispering to herself to just stay out of it. Then, a harsh voice slices through the air, Kundun's intense stare burning into the students. He rips into them, calling them all disgraces, unworthy of being students, and demands they hurry up and get ready for what's coming. Nero and the elf-eared girl lock eyes, a silent, desperate question passing between them. Kundun dominates the scene, addressing a massive student assembly, his words cutting deep, hammering home that they're all unworthy, his face a stone mask. The instructor's voice thunders again, ordering them to assess their skills and get ready. Suddenly, the crowd erupts, students shouting challenges, some yelling "I'll fight Nero," while others scoff at fighting someone so weak. Nero and the elf-eared girl are stunned as a student boldly shouts, "He's calling dibs on that fatty," mocking the others for being too embarrassed to power up. The elf-eared girl's face crumples in despair, as the brutal truth of their predicament hits hard. The massive challenger, Jiras, lays down the gauntlet. To win, you gotta beat your opponent. Let's go. But just like that, a blinding speed takes him down. Jiras hits the dirt with a shocked, "I guess." Then, the elf-eared girl steps up, throwing shade at Nero. "Don't sweat it, blonde, I'll take it easy." Nero's face twists in anger, firing back, "You probably don't even know how to use a sword." Whoa. Out of nowhere, a colossal, dark beast with fiery red eyes dive bombs from the sky, its wings tearing through the air with a thunderous thwack. But Nero isn't backing down. He's already got his sword out, ready to clash with whatever just dropped from the sky. A mysterious, dark metallic object just sits there, abandoned on a desolate, sandy ground, with strange blue particles scattered all around it. Elsewhere, Jiras is totally shocked as Nero, clutching a basic wooden sword, muses that this ancient blade must have been some professor's. Then, the massive, bald miner dude hands over a heavy wooden club to Nero, who snatches it up as Jiras quickly thanks him. Nero, with a fierce glint in his eye, announces he's using this club for his training, then unleashes a powerful swing. The colossal club rips through the air with insane force, carving a path straight through the open sky. Then, with a deafening crack, the club connects, absolutely demolishing the scaly leg of some monstrous beast. Meanwhile, the elf girl and Kundun are both staring, their eyes wide with pure shock. Jiras is totally freaking out, screaming about being in the middle of the ocean, as tiny, dark creatures start bursting out of the bag he's holding. Nero explodes with a vibrant pink aura, unleashing a devastating sweep that sends multiple opponents flying. One barely dodges, screaming about a near heart attack, while another begs for his life. Every strike carries immense power, a testament to his growing strength. Nero stands triumphant, his opponent utterly defeated and barely able to utter a surrender. The instructor's booming voice cuts through the air, forcing everyone to fight. Winners advance, losers get sorted, and the weak are split into different groups. The brutal training never stops. No opponent in your class. Find one in another. No rest, no breaks, until you've crushed 7 challengers. Nero leaves another opponent in the dust, his sheer tenacity making others question if his brutal past is the source of his unstoppable power. Still walking, wooden sword in hand, he recalls the sheer muscle and endurance he forged deep within the mines. He steps into the next training ground, only to find someone already there, shocked that he wasn't the first to arrive. The elf girl is genuinely surprised by Nero's strength, given his past, but he just shrugs it off, claiming swords aren't even his thing. She's like, dude, you're only 14, why swords? And he fires back that these other guys just can't fight, period. Then, the elf girl drops a bombshell, she's a slave. She was forced into sword fighting, and honestly, it's a piece of cake for her. Nero, ever the pragmatist, brushes off her slave status, saying he couldn't care less, and she just goes, okay, whatever, miss. He lets out a heavy sigh, just wanting a break, and she's still wondering if he's really just a commoner with those skills. She's like, commoners don't fight like that, and he's just like, yeah, I know, I shouldn't be able to. She tells him to save the chit-chat for after the academy, and he, with a smirk, agrees to a tea break chat later. As they head off, the elf girl just says, we'll see, keeping everyone guessing about what's next for them. Meanwhile, another student, Kundan, is totally watching them walk away, his eyes fixed on the duo. Just when he thought things couldn't get more intense, Nero is suddenly cornered by Kundan, who's absolutely fuming, demanding to know if he actually laid hands on a noble. Kundan's face is a mask of pure fury, his eyes burning with an intense, challenging stare. As the day fades and night blankets the academy, the imposing building looms, holding its secrets. With fresh bandages on her face, the elf girl's thoughts are consumed by one desperate plea, just to be spared. Opening up to Nero, she reveals she got roughed up by a noble, and when he presses her on why she didn't fight back, her heartbreaking answer is simply, I was too scared. Nero observes other students casually strolling past, their easygoing attitudes a stark, almost painful contrast to the harsh reality the elf girl just shared. He flashes back to her earlier confession, how she's never forgotten her slave status since day one at the academy, and it hits him, that's why she's always been so reserved. Her words hit him hard, a wave of profound distress washing over his features. Suddenly, he discovers a note just for him, a blunt message from Kundan, calling him out for being slow and ordering him to fetch snacks, no questions asked. Nero, still processing the last confrontation, is forced to his hands and knees, head bowed in utter submission. The young noble, Kundan, towers over him, his presence a crushing weight in the grand hall. Nay for me, Kundan sneers, his eyes burning with cruel amusement. A pained whimper escapes Nero's lips, and nay, he barely manages. Kundan's smirk widens, oh, no one wants to ride a horse that sounds half-hearted, he taunts, with another student eagerly joining the cruel mockery. The tattered fabric of Nero's tunic strains across his back, a brutal reminder of his desperate situation. Get on, Kundan commands, a dismissive wave of his hand, as the other student shamelessly asks if he can ride for free. With a triumphant cry, Kundan leaps onto Nero's back, yanking his hair to force out a louder, more humiliating neigh. Nero collapses under the weight, his body trembling as the humiliating sounds are ripped from him, the jeers of the onlookers echoing through the grand hall. A gut-wrenching scream rips through the silence, a sound of absolute torment. Nero just stands there, stone-faced, while the elf-eared girl next to him clamps her hand over her mouth, her eyes screaming pure terror. Then, Kundan's voice slices through the air, barking, oh, Nairu, get over here, as he yanks the elf girl away, leaving Nero to weakly ask, H hurt? His face a mask of pure rage, Kundan absolutely explodes, screaming, didn't I tell you before? Don't make me repeat myself, you dumb bitch. With a brutal yank, he rips the elf girl's hair, slamming her to the floor while Nero can only stare. He keeps dragging her across the cold floor, her body just scraping along the tiles. A desperate shriek tears from her, her head wrenched back by the brutal pull, why are you doing this? Let go. Her face, already a mess of bruises and tears, screams pure terror, while Kundan's furious face snarls down, what's wrong with you? Do it properly. The elf girl's eyes just flood with tears, her face a raw portrait of pain and utter humiliation. Still reeling from the pain, the young boy cries out, as Kundan continues his cruel torment, dragging him across the floor by his hair. Lifted helplessly by his tormentor, he can only think that Kundan must be utterly annoyed to have to deal with him. Later, under the night sky, Kundan muses to himself, declaring his boredom with the situation and lamenting that he's all sweaty again after a shower. With a dismissive wave, Kundan decides to cool off for a bit, leaving the young boy on the ground to ponder his fate, knowing that whenever he becomes worth something, his tormentor will return to command him. The scene shifts to a grander room with a checkered floor, where Kundan now stands over both the young boy and the elf-eared girl, who are forced to kneel before him, bruised and helpless. The elf-eared girl, her face streaked with tears, can only let out soft, broken sobs. As he watches her cry, the young boy thinks to himself, urging her to stop, but his mind drifts to his own master, the one who taught him everything, who was once so great, yet now. Kundan, noticing his stillness, presses a foot onto his back, mockingly asking if he's sleeping. Despite the humiliation and pain, a flicker of resolve ignites in the young boy's eyes, his gaze hardening with a newfound determination. The elf-eared girl's face twists in pure agony, a heart-wrenching cry for mercy tearing from her throat. But in his mind, a younger Nero is confronted by a stoic, older self, who delivers a brutal lesson: just smile, and the pain will lessen. He hammers home that enduring it will become easier, a new normal. That same haunting voice, a ghost of his master's teachings, then shifts to the elf girl, promising her she can conquer this torment, that with time, the strength will manifest. He recalls his master's chilling philosophy: only pain can forge true completeness, a truth he's lived for what feels like an eternity. Meanwhile, a majestic, ancient structure looms under the cold, watchful eye of the moon. The elf girl lies still, her eyes shut, perhaps in a fragile sleep, as Nero stands tall, a gleaming sword gripped tight in his hand, a silent vow etched on his face. While the elf girl finds a moment of respite, a powerful realization ignites: this is the moment, the chance to shatter every chain. Jiras looms over the bed, sword in hand, as a frantic heartbeat pounds through the silence. Nero's face twists in silent agony, his own heart hammering. The man still looms, his blade glinting. Then, a soft thud as Sarah stirs and sits up, her eyes locked on the towering figure. Yet the sword remains poised, the air thick with threat and that relentless heartbeat. Nero, eyes wide with terror, lets out a choked gasp. Later, Jira stands over the now sleeping children, a chilling declaration hanging in the air: you made the right choice. With the soft sounds of sleep filling the room, a chilling thought echoes in Nero's mind: there is a monster sleeping next to me. Still trapped and helpless, he's stuck in this nightmare, but the world keeps spinning. His mind flashes to a different time, maybe a memory or a vision, where a young elf girl is crying, begging for something, and all he can do is whisper a heartbroken, "I'm sorry." Then, a massive, epic building appears, a true fortress of knowledge and might. Years later, or maybe a different timeline, an older Nero, looking like a total wizard, is holding a glowing purple orb, totally focused as he finally gets how magic works. He's unlocking the secrets of the universe. He's with a whole class, including an older elf girl, hanging on every word as the teacher breaks down the mana differences between elves, nobles, and commoners, explaining how much power they're born with. The lecture gets deep, explaining how a magic spell is basically a bridge, linking your mana to the world to bend reality. And you do it with incantation, the ancient language that lets you unleash your power. In a flashback, a younger Katia, rocking her pink hair, is asking her, "Professor, if someone who's never touched magic can actually learn it, is it even possible?" She grabs Nero's hand, a total power move of encouragement, telling him that if he feels something radiating in his palm, it's gotta be magic. The whole crew, with an older Nero, elf girl, and a younger Katia, are all together, getting this mind-blowing lesson: when you feel that power bubbling up inside, you gotta scream out what you want to make it real. Young Nero, eyes shut tight, channels his inner power, letting out a powerful Anakrasha. His voice echoes with raw power, screaming the incantation, Anakrasha. A powerful gust of wind whips around him as he trains in front of his classmates, under the watchful eye of Headmistress Katia. She pushes him to dig deeper, urging him to focus and have more fun this time. Nero reaches out, a flicker of doubt in his mind, but Katia's command rings out: don't stop. Then, a brilliant purple orb of pure mana ignites in his hand, drawing a shocked geek from a classmate. Fueled by success, he unleashes even more mana, the vibrant purple energy erupting and swirling around his hands. The Academy's wisdom states that while shouting isn't always necessary for incantations, it's the ultimate cheat code for beginners to truly feel the mana flow. Nero grins, his glowing orb a testament to his power, as Headmistress Katia beams, telling everyone to work hard and polish your skills, because the journey has just begun. A new day dawns with a pristine sky, a lone bird cutting through the air, and the Academy's urgent summons for practical training. Inside, the training is already intense, with students manifesting glowing purple mana orbs, one shouting in pure excitement as their power ignites. Pure magical energy explodes into existence, swirling with raw, untamed power. But Nero is still struggling, kneeling before Headmistress Katia, desperately begging for her to teach him the secrets of this power. Katia watches him intently, a hint of shock flashing across her face as she hears the powerful incantation he's trying to master. But then, against all odds, a small purple orb sparks to life in his hand. Katia sees his raw talent, and vows to push him, to train him until he can wield mana like a master. He unleashes a powerful cry of Anakrasha, and the energy surges, making even the headmistress pause in wonder. Nero's eyes go wide with shock, as a stern voice cuts through the air, telling him to stop comparing himself to others and just focus on his own incredible power. He stares in utter disbelief at the now perfectly formed, pulsating purple orb, feeling it literally squirming with life in his hand. This is just the beginning. The purple mana swirls, crackling with raw energy. And Nero, eyes wide, can't help but shout, "Whoa. That's actually pretty good." But Headmistress Katia, ever the tough critic, just shrugs. Evans was definitely better. But then, a jolt of raw power makes him flinch, as his own mana orb bursts into existence with a shocking force. And there it is, in his hand, a pulsating purple orb, a clear sign of his insane potential. Nero grins, totally hyped about his orb, as the elf girl next to him gasps, "Nero's mana is huge compared to mine." Even Katia looks a little stumped, huh? I'm not even sure what to say. Out on the training grounds, Kundan gets ready to drop some knowledge, announcing, "Alright, watch closely. I'm gonna show you a spell. Make it something useless. It's called the Fire Arrow." Nero, totally confused by the demonstration, can't help but blurt out, "Professor, seriously? That spell can't even take down a wolf." A sudden, explosive burst of purple energy slams into him, sending him flying. The raw magical force streaks through the air with incredible speed, before erupting in a violent, concussive explosion. The devastating impact strikes a monstrous creature, sending it reeling from the sheer force. Nero watches the entire demonstration, his mind racing as he can't help but question the spell's power, thinking, seriously? That's the mana. It's so weak, barely a spark. Instructor Kundan, holding a small, glowing orb of purple energy, continues his lecture, laying out the cold, hard facts. Think about it, what if an opponent just dodges? Then it looks like I'm just tossing a spark. The Shadow Lord isn't some invincible target. With a decisive, powerful gesture, Kundan extends his arm, unleashing a fresh wave of vibrant purple energy. The spell instantly strikes a nearby scarecrow dummy, and he drives home the crucial point: this is a powerful spell. It delivers maximum results with minimal mana, no matter how small it seems. As Kundan looks down, Nero's eyes widen in sudden realization, the truth dawning on him: he's trying to teach me how to use mana efficiently. Whoa, check it out. Instructor Kundan, looking all grown up, is dropping some serious knowledge, telling everyone that these Tracy spells are all about the basics, and it's almost time for the Scarecrow showdown. He keeps going, hyping them up to picture themselves schooling all those dummies they've seen, and then, bam, a surge of power erupts. Then, with a fierce whoosh and a flash, a barrage of pink and purple magic blasts off, as someone shouts, "Anakrasha." The vast blue sky looms overhead. While Kundan chills, watching his students, Nero among them, line up their shots on the scarecrows, all of them ready to unleash some serious magic. Nero, totally locked in, lets loose his own barrage, shouting "Anakrasha," as pink and purple magic rockets from his palms. One of his blasts nails a scarecrow dead on, sending the dummy flying back with a huge hit. Kundan just stares, a bit annoyed, demanding to know why Nero already hit the scarecrow, like, dude, give everyone else a shot. Nero, grabbing his hand in shock, yells, "ACK. That's hot," before quickly apologizing, "My bad, I totally zoned out." Purple energy ignites around Nero's feet, kicking off another intense training session. Kundan, his instructor, holds a glowing orb, as Nero's foot slams into a similar magical burst, pushing his limits. Kundan lays down the law, demanding focus, or someone's getting hurt. But Nero slips up, and Kundan's foot comes down hard, a brutal lesson in discipline. Nero cries out, not about the pain, but about his shoes, the ones his mom made. Anxiety or not, he unleashes his full power, a devastating purple blast tearing towards the targets. Kundan gives a light tap, and Nero instantly apologizes, blaming his eagerness to show off. But Kundan isn't fooled, declaring that trying to trick him only earns more pain. Nero screams, as his own magic erupts wildly around his hand. His untamed magic explodes in a violent, sharp burst, unleashing raw power. The energy expands rapidly, warping reality itself. It intensifies, a destructive force reaching its peak. Then, a massive, explosive impact consumes everything. As the residual energy dissipates, darkness lingers. Nero clutches his head, his face contorted in agony, as dark, uncontrolled energy crackles around his hands. Kundan stares down Nero, his eyes piercing, demanding to know where his power truly comes from. Nero, his face contorted with raw emotion, shouts back that it's pure stubbornness, a refusal to ever back down. He remembers the brutal truth: useless slaves are executed, a fate he's fighting tooth and nail to escape. Against a fiery sunset, Kundan's voice slices through the tension, demanding to know if Nero truly fears the world. Nero recoils, his eyes screaming a mix of terror and defiance, the question hitting him hard. He can't hold Kundan's gaze, his past crushing him, the memories overwhelming. Kundan's eye, reflecting Nero's anguish, sharpens as he declares he's seen that look before, a chilling revelation. Overlooking the endless desert, Kundan delivers a final, stern warning, don't ever repeat the arrogant thoughts that once consumed him. He's still reeling, but Kundan isn't letting up, hitting him with, you gotta think about this stuff too. Strolling next to the dude, he's like, yo, I'm way stronger now than I was back then. Kundan lays it out, since you showed your real power, you're gonna get tested, and if you keep leveling up, they'll test you even harder. He cracks a tiny smile, but Kundan's quick to shut it down, telling him, don't you dare fall for those temptations. Kundan's face just gets super serious, his stare intense. Get ready. The academy exams kick off in 3 days. 7 brutal trials are coming to push these students to their limits. Everyone's hoping some fresh, powerful talent will rise up in these weak times. It's all about testing their patience, strength, endurance, and wisdom. He watches an elf-eared girl and a massive dude, and the girl, Nairu, just drops this bomb, if you want to get strong, you gotta get ruthless. The tension is palpable as the elf-eared girl cuts through the chatter, demanding to know just how many of them are even expected to survive this insane test. A chilling voice from the shadows drops the bombshell, only 2. Her face contorts, the whispers escalating into a roar, as the brutal truth of their challenge hits hard. Kundan lays down the law to the terrified students, including Nero and the elf-eared girl, 1 weapon, 1 spell, that's it. Then he drops the bomb, they're heading to the cave of the Minotaurs, sending a shockwave of disbelief through the crowd. Sure, they'd seen monsters before, but this is a whole new level, their first real fight before an exam. And these aren't just any monsters, they're notoriously brutal. A hulking figure, radiating raw power, steels himself for the coming storm, as a terrifying, shadowy beast with glowing eyes manifests behind him, a chilling omen of what awaits. Panic erupts among the students, Nero included, their voices cracking with sheer terror and disbelief, as they scream about getting killed, their hearts pounding, hands trembling, utterly overwhelmed. But Kundan? He's completely unfazed, a rock of calm amidst the storm of student panic, coolly telling them they'll be fine, as long as they remember his core principles. But one brown-haired student, with Nero in the background, is absolutely losing it, screaming in confusion and outrage, how could they hide this insane level of danger, especially when it's tied to their parents' deaths? Kundan isn't holding back, laying down the brutal truth, this exam isn't about power, it's about raw survival, pushing them to their absolute limits. But the hulking figure beside Nairu can't believe his ears, his voice booming, my father did? With a sharp turn, Kundan just walks away, leaving the stunned man in his wake. Later, Kundan's back at it, hammering home the brutal rules to the muscular man and Nairu, 1 weapon, 1 spell, that's it. Just look at all those hats. It's a sea of hopefuls, all about to face the ultimate test. Kundan calms Nairu, telling her he's already given her the inside scoop, so she's got a leg up on the competition. The path is pure nightmare fuel, a rickety wooden bridge disappearing into the abyss, a true test of courage. Nairu's face is a mask of concentration, her mind racing to grasp the full weight of the challenge. Then, Kundan drops the bombshell on the students, including Nero, with a chilling announcement, only 3 will make it out alive. He stands beside the elf girl, both of them locked onto something unseen, their faces etched with shock and worry. Just a few steps away, a hulking figure strides from a massive pool, oblivious to the unfolding drama. But deep within the shimmering pool, a chilling voice invades Nero's thoughts, promising the power to fight using a real sword. The dark command intensifies, urging him to kill the world. His eyes snap open in pure terror, the voice's dark influence overwhelming him. Later, out of the water and slumped on a bed, he's clearly shaken as the elf girl presses him, what's wrong? Her gaze drops to his feet, and she lets out a horrified gasp, shouting, Nero. Your shoes. He snaps his head up, his face a mask of shock, as if the transformation is only now hitting him. His shoes, once just regular footwear, have been completely transformed into a menacing, spiky black. He can't believe it, muttering about how comfy they were for his morning grind, never expecting this wild change. But Jiras, ever the responsible one, waves goodbye, apologizing for everything that went down and for not even getting breakfast ready. Nero clutches the bizarre, new shoes, their spiky, black form a stark contrast to their former selves. The elf girl, utterly bewildered by the sight, can only ask, new shoes? Her gaze then shifts to a massive, ancient chest, her mind racing with the possibilities and dangers that lie ahead. Her thoughts drift to the colossal structure in the distance, a monumental challenge awaiting them. Back in his room, Nero sits on his bed, a fierce resolve burning in his eyes, proclaiming, I'm not waiting around. He plants his feet firmly on the ground, a smirk playing on his lips as he thinks, feeling too good to just leave first. With that declaration, he springs up and strides confidently towards the exit, ready to conquer whatever comes next. Way up high, a massive structure just loomed, watching over everything below. Inside a huge cave, a green-clad figure laid down the law to a bunch of young hopefuls, including Nero, the elf girl, and Kundan, his voice booming as he asked, "You get the rules, right?" He kept going, laying out how they'd be split into groups based on their official levels, all to link up at the same finish line. Nero, with a fresh scratch on his cheek, was clearly not on board, internally scoffing, "You guys are messing up big time." But when asked, he just deadpanned, "No." The instructor, maybe eyeing the elf girl or someone else, figured someone was already toast, because this test was all about speed. Then, a sharp command, and it was go time. Everyone, Nero, Kundan, the elf girl, they all just exploded forward, their feet hammering the rocky path as they bolted into the wild. A foot slammed down with a hard thud, the sound screaming pure urgency. But the rush finally got to Nero, who was now just crumpled on the barren ground, a ragged gasp tearing from his throat. The test just started, and he's already getting absolutely bodied. A shadowy monster unleashes a furious, purple-charged attack, catching him completely off guard. No time to react, the beast is just going off, pummeling him with dark, crackling energy. Then, a massive purple explosion just detonates on him, sending him flying back with a desperate "URGH." One more hit, and he's down, hard. And just like that, with a final, explosive burst of purple power, the monster sends him soaring into the sky. From a distance, Kundan can only watch the carnage, gasping in disbelief as the situation unfolds. And the elf girl? She's absolutely freaking out, her face a mask of pure terror. He slams back down onto the unforgiving rocks, a broken mess, surrounded by the fading purple energy of his attacker. And there he lies, utterly defeated, the name Nero, a desperate cry in the silence. Down for the count, a desperate shout pierced the air, calling out his name. Kundan stood there, arms crossed, a confused slipping out, totally processing the chaos. But then, the elf girl knelt, clutching a shoe, her voice sharp with disbelief, demanding to know what just happened. Then, she held out the fixed shoe to him, declaring she'd repaired it herself, unlike some professor, who clearly lacked basic sewing skills. Her hands, still holding the shoe, reached out. Tears streamed down her face as she told him it was okay to be scared, admitting she was a scaredy cat herself, but insisted he was still strong. Her raw honesty and unexpected kindness hit him hard, leaving him completely stunned, his face a mask of pure shock. That's when he saw it, her bare feet, covered in blood, a silent testament to her struggle. He dropped to his knees beside her, staring at her bleeding feet, a powerful, unspoken moment hanging heavy in the air. He stares, his gaze locked on her bare feet, and the raw, bleeding wounds tell a story of unimaginable struggle. Shock absolutely floods him, his eyes blowing wide open as the sheer scale of her sacrifice hits him like a truck. Suddenly, a shadowy monster unleashes a devastating blow, slamming into Nero with explosive pink energy. Nero gets absolutely rocked, stumbling back and begging for mercy as the beast towers over him. Gasping for air after the brutal fight, Nero surveys the fallen lizard monsters littering the ground. Later, scaling a gnarly cliff with Jiras, Nero whines that he's pretty sure he's got 2 broken bones. Jiras, ever the stoic, calmly tells the kid he's fine, just a little wobbly. Nero trudges onward through the desolate, rocky passage. Jiras now by his side, as massive rock formations loom over them. Battered and totally over it, Nero screams his frustration, convinced he's about to kick the bucket. Battered and bruised, Nero faces a direct challenge from Kundan, who's clearly sizing up his current state. Pushing through the brutal, desolate terrain, Jiras points out the treacherous path, hinting at a grim destination, a slave market. Kundan, seeing Nero's agonizing pace, demands he pick it up, clearly impatient with his lagging speed. Every agonizing step, Nero forces himself onward, his battered shoes scraping against the unforgiving ground. He claws his way up a brutal, rocky slope, every muscle screaming in protest. His shoe's sole, already hanging by a thread, explodes apart, utterly shredded by the brutal path. With a final, desperate tear, the shoe disintegrates, leaving his foot bare and vulnerable. Catching the sudden change, Kundan's eyes snap to Nero's feet, utterly shocked by his ruined shoes. Nero, completely spent and now barefoot, cries out in despair, feeling like he's about to drop dead. His face twists into a silent snarl, pure rage blazing in his gaze. Jiras, witnessing the explosive confrontation, shouts a fierce warning, "Don't think knowing a sword means you can take all 3 of us." But Jiras's warning comes too late, the robed man strikes. He snatches the boy by the collar in a lightning-fast, brutal move. Nero is slammed to the dirt, a cold blade pressed to his throat, as the elf girl looks on, powerless. Then, a blinding blue aura explodes. Pure magic crackles, ripping through the very air. A new challenger, with incredible bicolor hair, materializes beside the boy, his eyes burning with fierce resolve. His foot slams down with crushing force, triggering a shocked cry from the robed man. The bicolor-haired warrior stands guard over Nero, blade drawn, roaring, "How dare you lay a hand on my friend?" In a flash, the bicolor-haired man whips out his blade. A brilliant blue aura exploding around it to deflect an incoming assault, shattering it to pieces as Nero stares, absolutely floored. Nero can only manage a single, stunned syllable. A shattered, cheap sword lies nearby, its owner cursing, "Seriously, that's what I get for buying a cheap sword." But the bicolor-haired man is already on the move, closing the gap in an instant, unleashing a devastating, glowing punch. The robed figure screams as a massive burst of pink and purple magic detonates, blasting him clear across the area. Nero's jaw drops, his eyes reflecting the raw magical power, a single, bewildered question escaping him. The robed man is utterly defeated, slammed into a crumbling wall, left a crumpled mess amidst the fading magic. Standing tall on a high ledge, the bicolor-haired man surveys his handiwork, his swift intervention a resounding success. His intense red gaze locks onto the kid, who's just staring back, a mix of awe and lingering fear in his eyes, with those fresh scratches still on his face. Out in the middle of nowhere, Nero finally blurts out, "How do you even know?" The mage just tilts his head, firing back, "How could that guy know anything about monsters if he's never even seen one? And you already knew, didn't you?" Nero's like, "What even are you talking about?" But the mage just starts charging up this insane, swirling mass of purple energy in his hand, absolutely buzzing with raw power. Then, with a sudden, explosive surge, that concentrated magic just blasts forward, a blazing purple projectile ripping through the air. His hand just glows even brighter, like it's sucking in all the energy around it, the purple aura swirling and expanding like crazy. And then, boom! With a deafening roar, that power just detonates, a colossal explosion of dark purple energy ripping through everything. As the shimmering purple particles slowly fade and dust settles, the mage just stands there, totally unfazed, his silhouette framed by the sheer magical devastation. The bicolor-haired mage unleashes a devastating purple energy attack, absolutely tearing through the air. His eyes blazing with an intense, laser-focused power. Nero struggles, a shimmering blue barrier forming before him, desperately trying to deflect the raw magical force. But the mage's gaze burns with an unwavering, crimson intensity, absolutely locked on. His jaw clenched in fierce, unyielding determination. The purple energy surges forward, relentlessly pushing against Nero's weakening defense, absolutely crushing it. Until it finally breaks through, engulfing the young boy in a blinding, devastating explosion of magic. As the dust settles, Nero, battered but seemingly unharmed, questions, "I didn't take a teleportation scroll," to which the mage calmly replies, "Well, I'll just have to. Talk about chill." With that, the bicolor-haired mage begins to glow with a vibrant, reddish-purple aura, clearly powering up for his next move. He extends a hand, a chilling declaration ripping through the air, "Your days are already numbered. You have no chance of escape." No hesitation, he snatches Nero by the collar, hoisting him clean off the ground. Dangling helplessly, Nero hears the mage's chilling decree, "You will start as a slave, and end as a slave, forever." Then, a blinding column of light explodes, engulfing them both in its searing brilliance. Through the swirling void, they're hurled, a tiny speck against the endless, terrifying stars. As they materialize, a violent, purple energy burst slams into the ground. Nero crashes onto the rocky surface, a faint green aura sparking around him as his eyes blaze with protective light. The mage stares down, a flicker of disbelief in his voice, muttering, "You survived that." Before Nero can even react, the bicolor mage lunges, his sword now blazing with malevolent purple energy, going for the kill. The mage's relentless assault continues, his blade arcing down towards Nero. He slams onto the platform, purple energy crackling around his landing. Nero can only gasp, reeling from the sheer force of the blow. But the mage isn't done. Purple energy surges around his hand, charging for another devastating strike. He dives, a whirlwind of destructive power, aiming to finish this. Nero's face contorts, in pure agony and fear. And just like that, it's over. The mage stands triumphant, his glowing blade a testament to his overwhelming might, as Nero lies broken. Later, in a desolate cave, Nero is left to suffer, gasping for air, utterly defeated. Every breath is a struggle, every movement a fresh wave of torment. Still reeling from his brutal defeat, he lay there, a silent apology to his dad echoing in his mind for being so weak, when a soft voice cut through his despair, telling him that tears wouldn't fix a thing. He looked up to see the elf girl, her eyes brimming with tears, but her determination was undeniable as she pushed him to get up, declaring they still had a chance. Even through her own pain, her face set with an unyielding resolve. Under a massive, clear sky, a voice drops a bombshell, "So that's how you ended up at this academy, huh?" That question hits different, and suddenly, Nero's mind flashes back to a memory, standing right next to the elf-eared girl, staring at a plain wall. Before she spins around, her face serious, and asks him point blank, "What about you?" Her eyes are locked on him, totally waiting for his answer. The flashback deepens, showing a younger Nero walking with Jiras, as he grimly recounts, "I was only 6 when they sold me off." He keeps going, the raw pain in his voice undeniable, revealing his mom died super young, and his dad followed, leaving him totally alone. Jiras is right there, a solid, comforting presence. Jiras, this incredibly kind guy, actually bought him to help out with his family's debt, a small act of pure humanity in a brutal world. But then, the memory takes a dark turn, a violent splash of water marking the moment he was left, teetering on the edge of death. He's reliving the nightmare, the crushing cold of the water as his tiny body plunges into the depths. But Jiras, a true hero, risked it all, pulling him from the jaws of death, even if it meant his own end. Then, a shocking discovery, a will. It declared the young master's final wish, his daughter would never be a slave. But the accident took its toll, shattering the young master's spirit and leaving him a shadow of his former self. He fought for years to get into Excanum Academy, but every single attempt crashed and burned. With no hope left, he spiraled into despair, his mind breaking as he lost himself to the darkness. 10 years later, Jiras made his move, preparing his will and summoning the young master. Back in the present, the elf-eared girl, captivated by his story, declares, "Anything you need, I'll give you everything. I want it to be." Nero takes it in, a wry smile playing on his lips as he replies, "Good to hear. He kept his promise to you, at least." But, it doesn't. A massive, opulent estate dominates the skyline. Its intricate details screaming wealth and power. Suddenly, a voice booms across the grounds, commanding, "All right everyone. Get to the storage house, now." Nero and the other kids quickly gather, their anticipation building as they hear the next order, "Time for your uniforms." Among the gear handed out are these sleek, dark boots, looking ready for action. Meanwhile, the elf-eared girl observes from the sidelines, her eyes locked on the action. Before long, Nero steps out, completely transformed in a sharp, dark uniform with golden accents, a total upgrade from his old clothes. The elf-eared girl's jaw drops, a pure, unadulterated, "Wow," bursting from her. "Dude, you look awesome," she gushes, beaming. "That uniform is totally your style." Nero, a little flustered, just chuckles, "Oh, really? Haha." He's caught off guard, a blush creeping up his face, as the elf-eared girl playfully calls him out, asking why he's so red. But the scene quickly shifts to a massive gathering. A huge crowd of kids and adults are packed into an epic hall, the tension palpable as a booming voice commands them to "Get ready." Suddenly, the elf-eared girl, now rocking a sleek new dark uniform with gold accents, is hyped up and ready, shouting for everyone to "line up." A tiny, pure white bird rests gently in a hand, a powerful symbol of what's to come, as the voice declares, "Now, you guys are." Then, a striking red-haired woman, sporting an incredible, ornate hat, appears, holding her own bird with an intense gaze, proclaiming the epic moment they become official students of the training academy. The academy is absolutely stacked with weapons and training gear, ready for some serious grind, and a massive, excited roar of "Waha" explodes from the crowd. Nero and the other kids, all looking sharp in their new dark and gold uniforms, are locked in, soaking up every word. These uniforms, they're gonna be your second skin, guiding you through this academy. You've been chosen, granted new roles and positions by the mighty empire. With fire in their eyes, Nero and the elf-eared girl are totally pumped, ready to crush it as they take in the ultimate command, "Train hard and flourish. Aim for success." The red-haired woman, her eyes blazing with an intense, otherworldly glow, observes the new recruits, her mind set on one powerful goal: cultivate all the seeds in this place. The academy loomed, a colossal monument of power, as a sea of fresh recruits in their new uniforms assembled, ready for what came next. Inside, the massive hall buzzed with the nervous energy of hundreds of kids, a sea of dark uniforms, all waiting for the next command. The sheer magnitude of this gathering was insane, a testament to the Empire's power, a whole new generation about to be forged. Amidst the crowd, the red-haired instructor laid down the law with an intense stare, her voice booming, "Ugh. I wish she'd quit spouting that cringe stuff." Then, the sorting kicked off. Kids, including Nero and the elf-eared girl, were herded into their zones, with the first call, Group A, ringing out. A bald official, scroll in hand, stepped up, his voice like thunder as he called out, "Pan-un-ho, yeah, Group A." The elf-eared girl was all ears, a blend of nerves and resolve on her face, muttering, "Not only am I in his group, but I'm up next." The official kept the names coming, Guangwei, Lucille. Present. Blushing slightly and with a nervous grin, the elf-eared girl braced herself, muttering, "Please." The bald official kept the crowd of students on edge, delivering his address from the towering platform. The elf-eared girl's face twisted with worry as she turned to Nero, dropping the bombshell, "We're in different groups now." Tears welled in her eyes, her voice trembling as she demanded, "You're going to be our guide." Unaware of the drama, the bald official, clutching his list, barked out the next command, "All right. Group D." Nero's head snapped up, his name echoing through the hall, Nero. The elf-eared girl's jaw dropped, a hand clamping over her mouth in utter disbelief, a choked sound escaping her. Then, a massive surge of students began to shift, a dramatic rumble echoing through the academy, signaling the next big change. Eyes wide with a new concern, the elf-eared girl looked up at the red-haired instructor, blurting out, "Professor, are we going to be in the same dorm with the boys again?" The instructor quickly put her fears to rest, clarifying that from this point forward, boys and girls would be strictly separated into their own dorms, and they wouldn't even have the same trainers anymore. The elf-eared girl is right there with the other students, a mix of nerves and curiosity on her face as the bald official lays down the law to the whole crew. A glowing symbol flashes on a hand, signaling the new way things are gonna go, with the official dropping the bomb that everything's about to be decided by pure strength. Nero's eyes lock with the intense red gaze of the bicolor mage, who's just staring him down, giving off some serious vibes. A spark of pure grit ignites in Nero's eyes, his resolve locking in as he faces this brand new challenge head-on. Beneath the academy's bright sky, the students are all lined up in front of the massive building. While the official lays out the new rules, this is where the strongest will be placed, a game-changing system that's about to define their entire academy journey. He whips out a glowing rock, showing off the tech for this new power level check, and challenges the students, asking if they even grasp what strength truly means now. The rock throbs with raw energy, a clear symbol blazing to life on its surface, a stark visual of the sheer power they're now expected to quantify. This kid is pushing it. Every muscle screams as he hauls that colossal broadsword, the challenge ringing in his ears. If this isn't strength, then what is? The bald official is hyped, pushing the kid even harder. "Unleash that bronze with your raw power," he shouts, a sly grin spreading as he declares, "Then bronze it is, right?" Meanwhile, the elf-eared girl, ever practical, asks the official, "Can we use any weapons?" And he just casually says, "Sure." The academy, a colossal monument under a brilliant sky, looms over everything, a silent, epic backdrop to the intense challenges playing out below. That monstrous broadsword just gouges the ground, tearing a massive trench as it's dragged. The student is still grinding, that weapon a mountain of steel, when someone gasps, "That's Lord Gaon's broadsword." He hauls past the glowing rock, its light a beacon, and another voice screams, "The goat." The blade just keeps grinding, a raw display of power, the sheer effort is insane. Then, with a final, explosive burst of will, his hand clenches, and the broadsword absolutely explodes with a swirling, smoky aura, its true power unleashed. A student in dark robe strains, drawing his longbow to its absolute limit, a guttural "HSSHMAAA," escaping him as raw power surges into the arrow. Then, with a blinding flash, he unleashes a supercharged blue energy arrow, tearing through the air like a laser. The projectile slams into a colossal rock, exploding in a blinding, earth-shattering burst that pulverizes the stone. The sheer power of the shot leaves the giant rock cleanly split in half. Unbelievable. The archer holds his perfect follow-through, the bow still humming with residual energy from the devastating shot. But he's not done yet. He looks up, his eyes burning with determination, ready for the next challenge. Suddenly, his bow ignites with a furious blue aura, manifesting an arrow of pure, crackling magic. He lets it fly, and the magical arrow obliterates another rock, sending shards flying with a deafening. Amidst the chaos and flying rock, the archer stands triumphant, his incredible power leaving no doubt about his skill. Ayo. The elf girl lays down the law, dropping some serious wisdom on Jiraiya's about what real strength means, and he's got no choice but to throw in the towel. Nero's eyes practically explode with stars as he witnesses the whole thing, totally blown away by her power and hyped for the wild ride this group is about to become. Nero, Jiraiya, and the elf girl are being escorted through this absolutely massive, sun-drenched hall, and you can just feel the sheer luxury of the place. They stop, and one of the nobles immediately lays down the law, telling them they've got to follow some strict rules. But the elf girl isn't having any of it, straight up telling them to spell out the rules, or she's just going to pretend they don't exist. Nero's jaw practically drops as the noble, totally flustered, doubles down, declaring there are zero exceptions, especially for them, and they better not even think about using their powers. Then the elf girl hits him with the ultimate comeback, asking if he's saying she can use her powers because she's royalty. She points a finger right at him, dropping the truth bomb that nobles are literally the backbone of society. Nero's mind is racing, trying to figure out if they're supposed to act like commoners when they're not around other nobles. The noble, completely outmaneuvered, just sighs and gives in, and the elf girl just coolly says, "Good." The elf girl isn't backing down, boldly stating that human rules are irrelevant to her, which makes the red-haired instructor nearly lose her mind. Nero and Jiraiya are just watching the drama unfold, when the bald official charges in, absolutely furious, asking how a slave could ever talk back to a noble. Then, he whips around to a guy with orange blonde hair, calling him Terran, and basically asks if he's cool with this outrageous disrespect. Taryn just lets out a bewildered, huh, as the elf girl, completely unfazed, doubles down. She doesn't care about his noble title, he's just a slave owner, and as a royal, he should be bowing to her. She keeps going, totally blowing off formal speech as useless, shouting that only power matters, and she's got more of it than any human alive. The elf girl is absolutely unshakable, her face set in pure determination, while the red-haired instructor looks on, a mix of shock and worry on her face. Then, with a confident smirk, she throws down the gauntlet, daring them to tell her she's wrong. The red-haired instructor, totally fed up, snarks back about what a slave has to say, her face a mask of pure annoyance. Taryn, now completely riled up, snaps at the elf girl, demanding to know if she seriously thinks she's on their level. The bald official, absolutely fuming, can't believe the audacity. He's practically yelling, does she really think her royal status lets her talk to us like that? But then, the red-haired instructor cuts him off, stepping up with a fierce look. She's like, hold up, her power is absolute, and her words are royalty. Taryn, looking totally disgusted, just scoffs at that. He's like, seriously, that's just absolutely absurd. But the elf girl? She's completely unfazed. She just doubles down, telling them her royal blood and raw power put her way above their drama. She just brushes them off with a dismissive humph, her confidence absolutely unshakable. Now, the crew is heading up this epic, sweeping staircase, and the red-haired instructor drops the bomb, rules are set, and their first mission kicks off in just 5 minutes. Taryn, still totally blown away by the elf girl's nerve, just grumbles in disbelief, he just can't wrap his head around her. Guess remarkable people just hit different. The massive, empty staircase just keeps going up, leading them to whatever comes next. The squad pushed deeper, marching through an epic, pillar-lined hall, past silent, stoic guards, towards a blinding light that promised whatever came next. Mid-stride, the elf girl shot a look back at Nero and Taryn, a silent dare in her eyes. Then, with a smirk, she threw down the gauntlet, asking if they were even ready for what was coming. But the cool, light-haired elf wasn't having it, dropping a truth bomb about relying on pure luck for the next challenge. That was it for Taryn. He absolutely lost it, screaming a challenge at the elf girl after she called them idiots. But she just brushed him off, telling him to worry about the idiots around him instead, sending Taryn into a full-blown rage. With a wicked grin, she twisted the knife, telling him to worry about his own young master instead. Taryn's jaw dropped, but the light-haired elf just casually dropped a bombshell, revealing the young master had taken a massive hit. The bombshell dropped, and then, a sudden, intense cut to a burning red eye, the bicolor mage's gaze piercing through the silence. He's totally confused, and the elf girl is right there, eyes wide, soaking it all in. But hold up, a light blue-haired elf is laying down the law to some guards, declaring, the secondary exam is kicking off. So zip it with the useless chatter, got it? Then she whips around, adding, and that means you too. Back with the duo, the elf girl leans in and whispers, it's all about the throne, obviously. Nora, the light blue-haired elf, looking absolutely regal between her companions, drops a bombshell, I, Nora, have 3 royal princesses. And if just one of them can snag that throne. A glittering crown flashes into view as the stakes are laid bare, Tishbel's family hasn't seen a queen in 7 generations. If this keeps up, they're out of the royal bloodline for good. Nora just walks off, leaving everyone to stew in the heavy implications of royal power plays. The sun blazes down on an epic, desolate landscape, hinting at the trials to come. March 27th, the first day of lessons, and our bicolor mage is already making a statement, standing solo in this epic wasteland. He kicks things off, dropping the bombshell that the first lesson is a brutal 3-on-3 team competition. To the assembled students, Nero, Nora, and the red-haired instructor among them, he lays down the law, teams of 3, pair groups, and only the successful will become official academy students. This isn't just any exam, it's a first-year team-up, all about cooperation. With an intense gaze, he reveals the true purpose, to see who can team up, and who's destined to be an enemy. He warns them it's not as easy as it looks, recalling how even last year's gold-ranked students, who knew each other's moves, completely failed. The red-haired instructor, ever the professional, subtly reminds everyone not to interrupt the bicolor mage's crucial lecture. Nero and Nora are locked in, their eyes glued to whatever's about to happen next. With the bicolor mage now in the mix, the power trio is fully assembled, ready to witness the unfolding events. Teams are locked in. The bicolor mage, with a smirk, challenges the students, ready to kick this off. He then drops the bomb, teasing them about the exam's true nature, leaving Nora, Nero, and the others on the edge of their seats. Their stances are locked, a silent, tense moment before the storm. Suddenly, the world warps to a barren wasteland, and the mage's voice booms, you need a strong mind for this. He lays it all out, this isn't just about power, it's about mental fortitude, focus, and raw magical depth, because their own minds are about to become their greatest enemy, twisting reality with their thoughts. The mage finishes with a powerful declaration, conquer this mental battlefield, and you'll dominate the rest. Nero, ever confident, already feels he's got this. The desolate expanse looms, a silent challenge awaiting its first victims. Nora's eyes snap open, a jolt of realization hitting her as the true horror of the exam dawns. A choked gasp escapes her, the terrifying truth sinking in: this basic test is just the tip of the iceberg. Just as Nora reels from the exam's shocking revelation, the bicolor mage snatches Nero, throwing him over his shoulder and hauling him off. Then, with a heavy stomp, the mage prepares to drop him. Nero scrms as he slams into the ground. The mage looms over him, absolutely stone-faced. Still sprawled, Nero whines about bleeding, demanding if the mage was trying to shatter his bones. But the mage just walks off, coolly declaring that a little injury is nothing, easily fixed, and completely missing the point. He then extends a hand, a silent challenge. A glowing purple orb materializes in his grasp as he barks at Nero to get up, threatening total annihilation, and calling him a worthless piece of trash. And just like that, the mage scoops Nero up again, continuing their relentless march, leaving the boy utterly bewildered. Everyone's jaws drop, a collective gasp ripping through the group as they stare in utter disbelief. But the bald official isn't having it. His face a mask of fury, he screams, "I almost had a heart attack, you little shit," yanking the elf girl along like a ragdoll. The poor elf girl, terrified, can only manage a desperate plea: Please spare me. No mercy." The official lifts her by her collar, snarling, if he doesn't mean him, we'll never catch up to him, as she lets out a gut-wrenching shriek. His iron grip crushes her arm. Nero, watching the whole brutal scene, can only stare, his face a mix of shock and worry. The official, still raging, barks, "Hurry up and get up, you useless piece of trash." And as they drag the struggling girl away, he barks out one last order: "Not this one. This one." A hand plunges down, seizing the young boy. With a brutal grip, the bicolor-haired mage violently yanks Nero up by his hair, screaming at him to get up. Nero screams in agony, his body brutally dragged across the unforgiving ground. From afar, Nora's eyes widen in horror, her face a mask of pure shock and worry. Still being dragged, Nero's desperate pleas echo, his voice raw with terror, as someone else screams about their baby. Completely broken, Nero can only sob, tears freely flowing down his bruised cheeks. Finally let go, Nero collapses, utterly defeated, as the bald official looms over him and Terran shouts in victory, proclaiming his team the winner. After the brutal humiliation, the bicolor-haired mage, with a sudden change of pace, offers a hand to pull Nero back up. As a new dawn breaks over the horizon, a critical announcement rings out: our first field training is tomorrow. Get ready. A student shouts, "Professor." Jiras is absolutely floored, shouting in disbelief at the insane spectacle unfolding before his very eyes. But Nora, oh, she's got that look of deep concern, muttering a hushed warning to someone to just be careful. Suddenly, we're on Jiras, shirtless and totally exposed, with a wicked knife held right to his back. His muscles are absolutely bulging with tension, sweat glistening as that blade stays locked on his back. Two girls are absolutely stunned, their jaws dropping at the wild scene playing out. But Jiras? He just flashes a confident grin, even as that blade slides right up to his throat. Nora, with that knife still in hand, barks out an order for him to get dressed and back to his room, like, now. Dressed and ready, Jiras bows super low to Nora and the others, shouting aloud, "Understood," to show he gets it. And then, Jiras looks down at Nero, dropping a bombshell with just two words: "My brother." Still shirtless, Jiras is in the process of getting dressed, his back turned to the viewer. He is forced into a dark blue uniform, lying on the ground as Nora stands over him, overseeing the process. Elsewhere, Nero and another young boy press their faces against a window, their eyes wide with shock and fear as they witness something unfolding outside, one of them gasping, "W.O." Meanwhile, Nora's light blue eyes narrow, a flicker of intense emotion passing through them. Back in the ornate chamber, Jiras now stands fully clad in the dark blue uniform, while a distant voice cries out, "Oh." A massive, reverberating sound then echoes through the air, followed by a desperate, drawn-out scream of "Ah." Nora, her gaze fixed on Jiras, issues a chilling warning, "Again, then I'll gouge out your eyes next time." Jiras kneels before her, his hands raised in a gesture of submission, promising, "You have my word," as several uniformed guards stand by. The sky was clear, but the tension was thick as a harsh voice ripped through the silence, blasting a small figure on the ground for nearly causing a heart attack. The child could only scream in pain, begging for mercy. Meanwhile, in a completely different scene, a mysterious group of robed figures gathered in a lush forest, bathed in the eerie, magical light of floating purple orbs. The bicolor mage, holding a small, glowing pink wisp, instantly reacted to its message, shouting that whatever it was doing, it wasn't allowed. Terran quickly backed up the warning, reminding him that using his power was a no-go, and the bicolor mage could only offer a quick "sorry." Even Nora, the light blue-haired elf, holding her own glowing wisp, laid down the law, no power usage, period. The whole crew, including the mysterious gray-haired elf, formed a circle, each clutching their own glowing orb, a powerful, silent statement. A troubled look crossed the bicolor mage's face. This wisp, just like the others, was somehow communicating directly with him, and it was begging for rescue. With the group gathered around a massive central wisp, the stern voices kept hammering home the same message: he absolutely could not use his power. A brutal flashback hits, two warriors going all out while a third looms over, and a young boy is left broken on the ground, begging for his life. The bicolor mage, ever the enigma, takes a moment to scrutinize the pulsating green orb in his grasp. But the adventure is just heating up, with things already getting pretty interesting. Then, out of nowhere, a blood-curdling shriek rips through the peaceful woods. Immediately answered by the earth-shattering roar of some colossal beast. It's a colossal rock monster, pulsating with raw pink energy, hovering ominously. And Nora is absolutely petrified, while Taryn, completely stunned, shouts, "This isn't even a rank 10 monster," as Nora lets out a terrified gasp. Her face contorted in pure panic, Nora screams at him to throw up a defensive earth spell, now. But Taryn, completely drenched in sweat, can only choke out, I forgot, the incantation. And with another earth-shattering roar from the monster, Nora is utterly frozen, staring down an impossible, terrifying threat. A colossal, rocky creature explodes onto the scene with a thunderous impact, its form absolutely crackling with ominous pink energy. As the monstrous threat looms, Taryn instinctively shields Nora, both of them reacting with urgent, desperate terror to the sudden, overwhelming advance. A colossal stone arm, wreathed in crackling pink energy, swings with devastating force, sending Nero hurtling through the air before Nora can even react, who instinctively moves to catch him. The creature's massive foot then slams down with a sickening squelch. As Nero's small body impacts the rocky ground, scattering debris around him. Clutching the unconscious boy, Nora cries out his name in anguish. Her mind racing with regret. She had intended to stay right behind him, but the child had simply jumped in without hesitation. Her face etched with desperation, she pleads, "Nero, please wake up." Nora's hand desperately cups Nero's face, her heart pounding with fear as he lies there, completely out cold. The bicolor mage, ever the pragmatist, just watches the chaos, letting out a frustrated sigh as he tells Jiras, "Relax, he's not actually going to die." Then, with a burst of vibrant pink magic, he starts his spell, grumbling, "Seriously, I saw this coming. I warned you all about this." Nora, clutching Nero tight, her voice cracking, screams, "Nero. Please." Tiny cuts crisscross his cheek. While Nora, tears in her eyes, shouts at his foolishness, "Why were you so reckless?" But then, a faint golden light pulses from Nero's hand, and he whispers, "It's better if I take the hit." Nora's jaw drops as Nero's eyes snap open, and she can only stutter, "WW what?" Watching from afar, the red-haired instructor coolly states, "Looks like he's still kicking," to the bald official. Nora lets out a soft sigh, a mix of relief and concern washing over her face. Kneeling beside Nero's still form, she gets ready to unleash her healing magic. Then, with an explosive surge of power, vibrant green energy bursts forth, swirling like a wild, leafy vortex. The magical currents slam into Nero, filling him with pure, restorative light. Meanwhile, the bicolor mage watches the whole thing, muttering about the virtuous princess and her intense healing. Nora's healing goes into overdrive, and Nero's whole body starts to glow with a golden light. Then, his eyes burst open, shocked, awakened expression on his face as leaves dance around him. Overjoyed by his recovery, Nora instantly pulls him into a tight, relieved embrace. Back on his feet, Nero brushes off the whole ordeal, coolly stating he'll let it slide for now. Meanwhile, the bicolor mage sighs, signaling it's time to get some hydration. A subtle rustle of leaves marks their exit. The bicolor mage takes the lead, with the elf girl and her crew trailing behind, silently agreeing that Nero is just an unbearable kid. They trek onward down a dusty trail. Until the bicolor mage finally sighs, admitting he's parched and needs a quick break. In a burst of magic, he whips out a huge, glowing green leaf, cradling a shimmering blue liquid. Then offers it to Nero, promising it's magically purified and totally clean. Watching the whole thing, the elf girl can't help but question his sudden generosity. Nero's face lights up with a smile, but his inner monologue reveals a stark truth about his situation. The bicolor mage tries to reassure him, promising no forced actions, but Nero just hits back with the cold, hard truth: he's a slave. Close by, Nora, the elf, gasps, her face twisting in worry as she catches their conversation. Her eyes go wide, a silent, "holy cow" escaping her as the gravity of the situation hits. Out of nowhere, a beast charges from the bushes, but before it can even get close, the bicolor mage blasts it with a torrent of sick purple magic, hitting hard. The magic explodes on contact, blasting the monster in a blinding flash. Nero and Nora stare, totally bewildered, trying to figure out what just happened. The monster, clearly hurt, lets out a primal roar, its defiance shaking the very trees. But just like that, the fight's done, and the defeated creature turns tail and bolts deeper into the woods, leaving the group behind. Still shaken from the monster's sudden appearance, she gasps, realizing the truth, it was just a hatchling. A low-rank monster, the bicolor mage coolly confirms, his voice betraying no emotion. Overwhelmed by guilt, she buries her face in her hands, muttering apologies for misjudging the creature, thinking it was a dangerous spirit. Her distress deepens, her voice trembling as she declares, attacking a hatchling is like attacking an elder. Watching the scene unfold, the bicolor mage turns to Nero, a slight smirk playing on his lips as he remarks on the boy becoming his pupil. Indeed. Nero declares with fierce pride. Then, a blinding red energy slash explodes, slamming into the monster's fanged maw, shattering its defenses with a crushing KWAAK. The beast screams in agony, reeling back from the brutal impact. With the monster driven back, Nero suddenly drops to the ground, a drawn-out cry escaping his lips, completely overwhelmed by the sheer power unleashed. Nora instantly drops to his side, offering what comfort she can, as the bicolor mage simply watches the unfolding drama in the now silent forest. Under a dazzling, star-dusted canopy, Nora can't help but challenge the impossible, declaring it just can't be real. Struggling to grasp the mage's wild claims, she confesses her utter bewilderment, demanding to know the reason behind such an outrageous declaration. With eyes locked on the mystical forest above, the mage drops a bombshell, it's true. The world itself is a living elf. Then, with a serious tone, he adds a chilling warning, but be prepared. Just as the sky bursts open to reveal massive, emerald leaves, he concludes, to talk to the elders. The colossal foliage just keeps on coming, their intricate patterns and textures growing sharper, until the three are absolutely dwarfed at the foot of a monstrous tree, its ancient trunk piercing the very sky. Then, without warning, the ground itself shatters, as a monstrous, gnarled root explodes from the earth with raw power. That massive root, it's not just a root anymore. It's bursting with life, covered in vibrant green, and it's still changing. And check this out. That root? It's got a mouth. A massive, organic maw, pulsing with raw, ancient energy. This isn't just a tree, it's something else entirely. The whole crew is just staring, absolutely speechless, as this thing finishes its transformation. It's a majestic, deer-like beast with glowing antlers, right there. Nero, still reeling from the bicolor mage's crazy talk, just blurts out his confusion, totally lost on what this all means. The moment this creature fully appears, the bicolor mage immediately drops to one knee, showing ultimate respect. Then he turns to Tingsu, giving him strict orders to talk to this incredible being with total respect, no messing around. This creature, it's literally the world's ancient spirit, standing there, massive and alive. It's proof of everything the bicolor mage said. Talking directly to the creature, the bicolor mage knows exactly what it's thinking, and immediately offers their deepest respect. He tells the ancient being they're not there to hurt it, but then, in a shocking twist, he exposes its own dark secret, it was planning to kill them. Nora unleashes a furious denial, screaming that her people have only ever lived in harmony with the forest. But the monstrous deer creature isn't buying it, its terrifying purple eye burning into her soul. Its massive mouth twisting into a snarl as it vows to devour them all and unleash vengeance upon the forest. Nora's gaze drops, a heavy chain binding her ankle. Her face a mask of pure agony. As the horrifying truth sinks in, a sickening green liquid oozes from the creature's monstrous claw, pooling around her foot. Beckoning her closer, as a voice echoes, "Take me." With a heart-wrenching decision, Nora steps forward, sacrificing herself to the ancient beast. He steps up, taking the heat, boldly claiming responsibility for the initial strike. But a primal voice from the forest roars back, demanding to know who dared defy its ancient laws. Nora, her face a mask of terror, screams for Nero to save her. He quickly corrects himself, confessing that he was the one who struck first, not her. The creature's hand oozes with a sickening green liquid, its voice chilling as it vows to devour her and make an example of her for this defiance. A terrifying purple aura flares around its form, scoffing at the sheer idiocy of mortals. But Nero's eyes blaze with resolve. He'll protect his friends, even if it means taking on this monster alone. But in a flash, the creature's colossal mouth opens, swallowing him whole. A desperate, guttural scream tearing from his throat as he vanishes inside. The colossal antlered beast, its judgment seemingly delivered, starts to pull back from the tiny figure in its path. Its massive head dipping slightly, signaling its imminent departure. With a thunderous flap of its colossal wings, the forest's ancient guardian rockets skyward, its departure echoing the declaration that the sacred law of the forest has been upheld. Nero tracks the beast as it vanishes into the horizon, a wave of pure, unadulterated relief crashing over him. The very atmosphere seems to exhale as the creature vanishes, a clear sign that the forest's fury has finally subsided. Still reeling, he collapses to the ground, a shaky whisper escaping his lips, that was close. Out of nowhere, the bicolor mage charges in, his voice a mix of shock and concern. Nero, you actually did it? You conveyed her, he shouts, then, almost under his breath, I never knew you had this kind of guts. Nora, her light blue eyes wide with a cocktail of relief and utter bewilderment, can only stare. As they both loom over him, the elf girl finally chimes in, her words hinting at a less flattering assessment of his actions. No, you were a little. The tension is palpable as the bicolor-haired mage confronts Nero, dropping a bombshell question, are you a half-elf? Nora snaps back, revealing she's never even seen her parents, as the mage's internal monologue drops a chilling truth, your existence shouldn't even be happening. The mage's condemnation cuts deep, branding the young boy's very bloodline as a cursed race. Suddenly, the mage lunges, seizing Nero by the collar, his face a mask of grim determination. Nero's eyes widen in pure shock and confusion, utterly speechless. With a final, heavy sigh, the mage releases Nero, turning his back, leaving the crushing weight of his words to hang in the silent air. The mage's voice cuts through the silence, a final, brutal blow, you still haven't given up. The broken truth is, you're a half-elf. Nora's face falls, mirroring the crushing reality. With a final, decisive command, the mage tells Nero to find him after the challenge. A deafening roar rips through the air, followed by a massive splash. A colossal, white-furred beast, crackling with blue energy, lunges with terrifying speed, as a desperate warning rings out, watch out, Nero. But Nero is already moving, unleashing a devastating purple energy spell with a fierce cry of Eistrast. And then, from the flank, Nora unleashes her own torrent of purple energy, joining the offensive. The sheer power of their combined attack leaves Nero stunned, his eyes wide with shock. The twin purple blasts connect with an earth-shattering impact, obliterating the creature. With the monster vanquished, Nero surveys the scene, just as the red-haired instructor rushes over, her voice laced with concern, Tidewasu. She immediately confronts him, demanding an explanation, why did you avoid my protection spell? And then, a piercing scream erupts from Nora. After the chaos, Nora confronts Nero, who's like, don't even say my name. But Nora's not having it, her face set, she coldly states, from now on, we're strangers. Meanwhile, as the sun dips below the forest, someone's already yelling, what took you guys forever? The squad, including the mage, keeps moving through the forest. Until Nero throws up a hand, totally confident, and says, looks like we won this. But the mage just stares, totally confused, muttering, huh. Then, a hand, probably Nero's, shows off a small, glowing green pendant, shining with a soft, ethereal light. Back in the day, humans ruled everything, forcing half-elves to just survive, but over time, things between them started to shift. Even with all that, for the half-elves, the future still looked bleak. The bicolor mage eyes Nero, questioning if he's the chosen one, as the epic tale of dual-powered half-elves continues, exposing the raw, clashing energies within them. Two raw, elemental energies, green and orange, violently collide, a stark visual of the core issue, these powers are fundamentally incompatible. He lays it out, half-elves are born with either their human side cranked up, or their elven side, creating an instant, volatile imbalance. We get a quick look at Neria, a stunning elf woman, referred to as a friend, while the mage drops more heavy truths. Nero's face tightens with worry as the mage drops a bombshell, because of this, half-elves are practically guaranteed to be swallowed by darkness. He drives the point home, for centuries, they've been locked in a brutal, losing battle for self-control. The mage's expression hardens, hammering home the grim reality, they were almost always doomed to be devoured by their own darkness. Then, he locks eyes with Nero, demanding to know, can he actually control the two warring halves of his being? Nero, clutching the glowing green pendant, insists he's doing his best, but the mage's response is a chilling challenge, then show me. The bicolor mage locks eyes with Nero, dropping a serious warning, don't you dare report this to the elves. Beneath a vast, open sky, the sprawling city hums with unseen energy. Strolling through the vibrant city, the mage can't shake the worry, Nero's unstable power is a ticking time bomb, a massive risk. But then, it's a full-on sprint. Nero blasts ahead, shouting he's pushing his limits, running faster than ever. Elsewhere, an instructor and official are all business about an exam, but Terran, barely keeping up with Nero and the mage, is trying to chill everyone out, claiming they're not even that behind schedule. But Terran's still fuming, grumbling about how close they came to being late, while Nero just brushes it off with a carefree laugh. Finally, they slow down, and Terran, still a bit stressed, just hopes they can actually pass this thing. Moments later, they link up with Nora, who casually greets a dark-haired figure from behind, but Terran shouts out to the exact same person with a completely different name. The red-haired instructor lays down the law, demanding a good mood from the crew, as the bald official chimes in, noting how competitive types always end up in these jams. Shrugging off the officials, the bicolor mage pulls a small elf girl into a hug, telling her, "You got this, Teresu." The little elf, bandage on her cheek, gazes up at him, her dark eyes huge. Across the room, Taryn watches the whole thing go down, muttering that she's still the same fearless kid from way back when, and Nora immediately demands to know what happened to her. Nero's expression turns stone cold, his violet eyes blazing with pure determination. Outside, the massive academy gleams under a brilliant sky, its gates wide open to a sprawling, green paradise. The bicolor mage, Nero, and Taryn bolt across the grounds, the mage yelling they're already behind schedule, and Taryn groaning in agreement about how late they are. A hand throws up a peace sign, and then BAM. A voice drops the bomb, "You're taking the second exam, the test of wisdom." The bicolor mage mutters about never being on time, and Taryn jumps in, finishing his sentence, "Someone always ruins my day, right?" The squad was assembled, a palpable tension building as the students exchanged nervous glances and murmured their agreement. But the bicolor mage, ever the wild card, just casually called out the elf girl, wondering why she wasn't more hyped about the life-or-death stakes at the academy. He just brushed off the seriousness, insisting he wasn't evil, just weighed down by his gear, and that everyone was late anyway, then dropped the bomb, "Let's begin." With a dramatic flourish, the bicolor mage whipped out a massive bag, declaring it was time for team picks. Nero, Jiras, and another student craned their necks, eyes locked on the mysterious bag, ready for whatever fate it held. Nora's piercing gaze followed every move, her face giving nothing away. He strode forward, diving into the bag for the first team draw. Nora, meanwhile, meticulously unfurled her paper, her team's fate now in her hands. Then, the bicolor mage drops the news, the teams are set, and it's time to hit the testing grounds. With the red-haired instructor and the bald official hyping them up, Nero, the elf girl, and Jiras charge through the archway, ready to dominate the testing grounds. Once inside, Nero and the elf girl share a look, a silent pact before the chaos begins. The bicolor mage is all chill, saying they'll crush it, but the red-haired instructor is on edge, wondering where someone is. The elf girl's face tightens, a wave of anxiety washing over her. The testing ground is insane, dominated by a massive, glowing tree, its branches exploding with shimmering blue energy. This epic tree is called a Tamana tree, a legendary source of life, rumored to be guarded by an immortal. Watching it all unfold, the bicolor mage flashes a huge, knowing grin, totally in his element. He points to the colossal structure, revealing it to be none other than the legendary mana tree. This tree, he reveals, produces a miraculous, pure fruit capable of healing anything, a treasure once adored by the divine Lord Lugard. He then challenges their understanding, knowing they're already aware of its power, but insists they take a closer look. Their gaze is drawn to a pulsating, egg-like fruit glowing amidst the branches, as he declares this legendary, never-before-seen fruit is a direct product of the mana tree. He reveals an eagle has brazenly nested on the mana tree, planning to hatch its young with the fruit, not for survival, but for pure, unadulterated greed. This audacious eagle, he declares, is vexing the immortals, who are terrified of losing the fruit. Their mission is clear, drive off the eagle and seize the fruit. A sly smirk plays across his face as he delivers the final command. He wasn't done yet, dropping a bombshell restriction, absolutely no harm was to come to the ancient tree or the powerful bird. On a dusty trail, the bicolor mage and Nora pushed forward, leaving Nero and Jiras to trail behind, the young boy still sprawled on the ground. The mage declared they'd hit their mark before sunset. And Nora shot back, "How much time left?" He just said, "Until sunset." Then, out of nowhere, a colossal, dark, snake-like beast burst from the bushes, its arrival announced by a deep, rumbling growl. He then turned to Nora, deadpan, "Don't expect any good wishes from me." His face went stone cold as he warned, "If you try to disqualify me by chucking stuff or hurting either of them, you'll regret it." Meanwhile, Taryn and the bald official were totally caught off guard by the whole scene, their expressions a blend of shock and worry. Then, the mage just walked off, leaving Nero and Jiras on the ground, telling them, "I'm heading out to find some grub. Don't move a muscle until I'm back." The bicolor mage vanishes into the trees, leaving Nero and Jiras stunned and silent. Nero, ever the pragmatist, breaks the tension, asking, "Seriously, can we just saw a tree in half and glue it back? Is that an option?" Unaware of the conversation, the mage strides deeper into the wilderness, his determined steps crunching through the undergrowth. The mage senses the eerie silence of the forest, a chilling premonition that something is wrong, pushing him to find sustenance before nightfall and whatever lurks in the shadows. Back with the others, Nora's eyes narrow, a chilling realization dawning on her as she finally grasps the mage's true identity: he's a half-elf. A flicker of unease crosses the mage's face as he looks back, a low growl escaping him, "I've been too obvious. Why aren't they moving?" But the mage's concern is misplaced, as Nora, with lightning speed, has already drawn her bow and knocked an arrow, her allies Terran and the bald official ready for whatever comes next. Then, with a powerful thwip, the arrow streaks through the air, a blur of motion vanishing into the deep woods. A blinding pink magical projectile streaks down, leaving a searing trail. Then, with an explosive force, it slams into the earth, leaving a smoking crater and a shockwave of pink energy. A tiny, terrified creature whimpers, begging for mercy, while the bald official coolly watches, demanding to know why it's so scared. Meanwhile, Nora and Terran are mesmerized by a giant tree bursting with luminous fruit, as some random guy freaks out about how insanely expensive it must be. The bicolor mage, ever the lone wolf, just stares into the forest, completely ignoring everyone else. The bald official tries to chill out the red-haired instructor, telling her to relax because this isn't the academy, and not everyone can be a powerhouse. Nora's face twists in shock, a look of pure disgust flashing across her features. The red-haired instructor is totally fed up, yelling that the exam just started like 10 minutes ago. The bicolor mage just chills, while Terran looks super worried. The bald official, staring down the mage, drops the bomb. The whole point of this exam is to kick out anyone who can't follow orders. He just stands there, chilling by the massive tree, when suddenly, a voice from nowhere drops the bomb, "You may leave." Those words just hang there, creating this super awkward silence among the students, and the voice just fades out. Meanwhile, from their secret spot, the bald official is already writing him off, saying, "Looks like he's totally given up. Time to kick him out." But the red-haired instructor, ever the pragmatist, is like, "Hold up, doesn't that actually mean we win?" But the official just shrugs it off, doubling down, too late for him. He's already checked out. But the bicolor mage? He just stares them down, totally unfazed, and fires back, "I couldn't care less what you think." Then, out of nowhere, the sky rips open, and an E-class monster starts to form, blasting into existence with a blinding flash. Terran, completely caught off guard, can only stammer out, "A monster." He lets out a soft, almost imperceptible sniffle, his gaze fixed on something above. Nearby, Nora also sniffs, a small green snake coiled around her neck, its head resting near her cheek. She reaches up, gently touching the snake's head, a worried thought crossing her mind, what if the creature could harm someone? Suddenly, a massive, feathered creature with a sharp beak and talons descends from the sky, snatching the green snake in its mouth, revealing it to be no ordinary serpent. The snake, now free from the bird's grasp, begins to slither down a nearby tree trunk. As the bird monster soars away to the west, its form silhouetted against the setting sun, marking the end of the day. The green snake, now on the ground, speaks with a surprisingly clear voice, insisting it was only trying to help and that there was no need for painful or dangerous special training. Nora and Nero listen intently, the elf girl musing that if the snake were to remove itself in the future, it would definitely affect her next mission. Meanwhile, the bird monster continues its flight, the green snake still visible in its grasp, a strange alliance or capture unfolding in the twilight. The massive bird monster is still soaring, its deadly talons locked onto the green snake, who's desperately trying to get a word in. It's freaking out, wondering if this is the painful and dangerous special training it heard about, before its voice just cuts out. Back on the ground, Nora's face is a mask of pure worry as the monster vanishes, and Terran is totally watching her every move. Terran then turns to Nero, giving him the wild order, "Go up there, steal an egg, and bolt." Nero, totally caught off guard, just stares up at the colossal tree. But Nora, with a fierce glint in her eyes, cuts in, practically yelling, "Just do it." No hesitation. Nero immediately starts scrambling up the colossal tree, his tiny form a blur against the bark. He vanishes into the thick tangle of roots and branches at the tree's base. Only to explode out moments later, clutching a massive egg, just as the furious bird monster dive bombs back down with a piercing shriek. A scorching red energy blast erupts from the monster, absolutely engulfing Nero in its destructive power. Blasted by a devastating green energy attack, Nero lets out a desperate scream as he's ripped from the tree, sent hurtling down. Up above, the bird monster's face twists into a snarl of pure, unbridled fury. Its eyes burning red as it realizes its precious egg is gone from the nest, a primal roar echoing, "That's my EGG. Who took it?" From a safe distance, Nora watches the chaos, her frustration boiling over as she mutters, "Damn it. I can't think of anything good." Still plummeting, Nero clutches that stolen egg tight, knowing he has no time to dwell on his predicament, as the enraged bird monster dives relentlessly after him. Below, two other formidable bird monsters stand poised, their muscular forms adding a new layer of threat to the unfolding drama. Nora, still observing the chaos, idly wonders, what if a charming male bird monster comes to a different location? Meanwhile, the primary bird monster's face remains a mask of pure, unadulterated fury. Its empty nest serving as a constant reminder, fueling its vengeful pursuit. High above, the winged monster locks onto its target, bow drawn and ready to unleash pure fury. Roaring with absolute rage, it screams about the stolen egg, swearing vengeance for all the years it waited. Its glowing blue eyes ablaze, the monster promises a fate worse than death. A green target locks on, and with a sharp shing, the arrow flies. Nero, still plummeting through the leaves, can still hear the monster's furious threats echoing around him. A desperate thought flashes through his mind: he can't do this by himself. Then, a glowing projectile blasts through the air with a deafening POW. The arrow, a white streak of death, shreds through the trees with a vicious pashak. As it closes in, Nero keeps falling, now surrounded by a mysterious blue energy. That deadly energy arrow, aimed right at him, gets absolutely blasted away in a flash of pink. The impact sends it crashing to the ground, shattered and surrounded by feathers. Meanwhile, the bicolor mage is already there, his cloak a dark silhouette against the trees. He finds Nero, who's barely conscious on the forest floor, coughing up blood after that insane fall. The mage's face is stone cold as he thinks, what in the world just went down? Fast forward, and now they're just chilling on a hill, watching the epic sunset together, totally calm after the chaos. Nero's eyes are lost in thought, his violet gaze reflecting the last rays of the day. The sky is just endless, a breathtaking canvas for their quiet moment. And as the day ends, a deep realization hits: there's a primal, untamed connection between them, like two forces of nature. The sun dips, painting the sky in epic orange and purple, and Nero and the mage are just chilling under a massive tree. When suddenly, a light bulb goes off in his head, and he shouts, "That's it. It's fire. We can totally use a wildfire." A dark, glowing chasm rips through the earth, radiating pure menace. And just like that, Terran unleashes, a torrent of pink magic blasting from his hand with a powerful paw. Right next to him, Nora follows suit, her hand blazing with that same pink power, a sharp "ah" signaling her attack. Then the bald official jumps in, his hand exploding with that same vibrant pink energy, adding his own "ah" to the magical onslaught. United in the forest, the three mages are a spectacle, each engulfed in a shimmering pink aura as their combined magic erupts with a series of "pot" sounds. But deep within the chasm, a colossal, glowing eye suddenly bursts open, a chilling "bumjik" roaring from its core. The cave monster, a colossal bird-like beast, then explodes into the sky, tearing through the air with a mighty "pot" and leaving a dust cloud in its furious path. High above the forest, the mist churns, shrouding the true scale of the battle below. The sheer force of the magic explodes outwards, and the white-haired mage unleashes a surge of power, his arm thrust skyward. But a chilling realization hits him, his red eye flaring wide as he understands: the Empire's mandate to use all available power has unleashed something far greater than anticipated. Panic-stricken, the elf girl screams, her desperate cry for Jira's echoing as the true horror of the situation unfolds. Then, from the abyss, the colossal cave monster erupts. Its green scales shimmer, its feathered wings beat the air, and its glowing yellow eyes blaze as it rockets into the heavens. Beneath its ascent, the chasm itself throbs with raw, untamed power, a maelstrom of pink and purple light ripping through the darkness. The beast's ascent is relentless, leaving the glowing rift far below as it claws its way higher. Its razor-sharp talons, crackling with purple energy, are primed and ready to tear through anything in its path. A deafening shriek rips through the air as the monster streaks across the sky, its massive form silhouetted against a blazing orange sunset. Then, it's gone, a mere speck vanishing into the twilight, leaving only the lingering, fiery glow of the horizon in its wake. After conquering the impossible, Terran hoists Nero high in a burst of pure victory, shouting their triumph to the heavens. A wild grin splitting his face, Terran roars his approval, hailing the boy as an absolute genius. Elsewhere, an ancient elf kneels, a mystical purple glow surrounding a tiny creature, a flawless victory secured, leaving both the elf and the goblin unharmed. With a surge of power, Terran's hand glows as it rests on Nero's shoulder. He declares that such raw ability could even make wildfires tremble. The ancient elf rises, Nora watching intently, a stark reminder that the Empire's laws shackle those who command elven power, forbidding its use against their own kind. A sharp-eyed mage grins triumphantly, proclaiming their monumental success in finally unearthing a genuine mage. Terran unleashes a guttural roar of pure, unadulterated joy. His face splitting into a massive, ecstatic grin, absolutely thrilled with their triumph. Nero mirrors the elation with a radiant smile, Nora a serene presence behind him, basking in the shared glory and the sweet taste of victory. Under the pale glow of a crescent moon, the grand architecture of the city stood silent. Only to be bathed in the warm light of a new day, revealing its intricate details. As the day progressed, he found himself walking away from the bustling center, glancing back one last time at the path they had traveled. Beside him, Jiras clapped Terran on the shoulder, offering a comforting, if slightly gruff, sentiment. "Don't cry, bro," he said, as Nero added, "You first, here." Jiras then declared his own need to depart, promising to return soon. Terran, walking alongside the young man, wondered aloud when they would next meet, concluding it would likely be on the battlefield. Jiras, however, dismissed such grim predictions, urging them to focus on living longer and writing their own stories. As they continued down the ornate corridor, Taran inquired about Teresu, only for Jiras to explain she had gone to take a shower, adding with a sigh, "Forget about that cold-hearted girl." With a resolute stride, he declares his exit. Each step resonates with finality as he disappears into the distance. Left behind, Jiras and Taran's expressions are a silent testament to the void he leaves. Taran's plea for a letter is met with Nero's stark truth: this place was never home, a reality they'll soon understand. Just as the dust settles, Nora emerges, her voice laced with urgency, wondering if he's truly vanished. Turning to the others, she challenges their quiet acceptance, refusing to believe a goodbye could be so simple. Jiras, unable to meet her gaze, confesses his fear that this goodbye is permanent. Despite the grim reality, Nora's resolve hardens: she will wait for Nero, no matter what. Only the empty doorway remains, a stark symbol of his absence. Nero and Jiras are absolutely floored, their faces a picture of pure shock. "Wait, she's inviting us?" Nero exclaims, barely believing it. "She just got cleaned up, and she's the only girl left here. What is happening?" But a fierce resolve cuts through the air, a voice asserting, "Empress or princess, it doesn't matter, I'm waking up too." A fist tightens, a metallic clink echoing the resolve. Moments later, Nero's in a whole new scene, standing behind Nora as she's chilling at a table, totally unaware. She finally turns, cool as ice, and just says, "Have some tea." A fancy teacup and pot appear, and then she casually drops the bomb, "Oh, and it's super expensive." Nero, already holding the cup, looks absolutely stunned by that little detail. While Nora, completely unfazed, spells it out, "In Mu Empire currency, we're talking like 200 gold. Easy." Nero cautiously sips, the steam rising from the ridiculously expensive drink. Still reeling from the tea's insane price tag, he hears Nora casually drop that she wanted 30 gold coins for it. A choked gasp escapes him, his eyes practically bugging out. Nora, totally unfazed, just stares into the distance and drops a bombshell. Her nickname used to be Crispy. Her hands delicately touch the table as she explains the heavy burden of her family's fate and how she was raised with affection. A younger Nora, poised and serene, appears in a striking visual flashback. She recalls her upbringing, describing it as neither warm nor cold, standing between two imposing adult figures. The adults, she continues, demanded nothing less than for her to be the absolute best in the world. The world, she reflects, is all about equilibrium, a delicate balance of push and pull. A close-up of her hand, as she reveals there was just one exception to her family's affection. He was the one person who offered her genuine warmth, a beacon in her cold world. Her uncle, a truly kind soul, would often dedicate his time to her, sharing small, glowing treasures and precious moments of quiet affection. Despite the family's brutal treatment, he was the sole person who saw her as human, earning her profound love. But then, a twist of fate, her uncle fell for a housemaid named Adele. Desperate for the family elder's approval, he was forced into an agonizing choice. The family's chilling words still resonated, a constant reminder of their generosity in allowing her to merely exist among them. Following that devastating incident, he was utterly forbidden from seeing Adele, his love, leaving him shattered and isolated. That's when her uncle, pushed past his breaking point, began to transform. And then, one day, her uncle declared that the thing inside him had finally crumbled, leaving him utterly shattered. Even as a child, Nora could sense the impending tragedy, desperately pleading with him to find a better way, begging him not to give up. But her uncle had already gone too far, reaching a point of no return. A dark, oppressive aura began to emanate from him, consuming his very being. In the end, he chose a path that brought nothing but agonizing pain to everyone. Young Nora stood amidst a pool of crimson, witnessing the horrifying aftermath. Her uncle, eyes now glowing a malevolent red, screamed in a fit of pure, unadulterated rage, his fury unleashed upon the world. Leaving a trail of blood in his wake, he walked away from the devastation he had wrought. Nora's flashback hits hard, as she reveals her past conviction that sacrifice was the only way, leaving Nero utterly stunned by her confession. After that devastating incident, she swore off saving anyone, ever again. Haunted by her past, she clung to the belief that only sacrifice paved the way. Her face contorts in anguish, the raw pain of her past still fresh. Yet, a new hope flickers, as she admits her doubts, her hand finding a comforting grip. Seeing her uncle's broken image, Nero steps up, demanding her trust. His eyes burning with resolve, he vows to make it happen. Nora's jaw drops, speechless as his powerful promise hits her hard. He agrees to the promise, but just needs a second. Nora watches from the window, wondering what he's up to. Suddenly, a blinding, sharp force slams into him. The hit sends him flying, his face a mask of pure shock. He's sent plummeting from the building, leaving a smoky trail. But just moments later, he's back, standing in the doorway, telling Nora he wanted to show them their true potential. Then, a sharp click cuts through the tension. Nero's eyes blaze with fierce resolve, a powerful aura exploding around him as Nora and her uncle can only gape in utter shock. The instructor lays down the law, congratulating the students for making it through their first year at the academy. But then he drops a bombshell, admitting he thought they were all total doofuses and is shocked they even passed the second exam. Talk about backhanded compliments. He keeps going, laying out the next step: it's time to ditch their old groups because new ones are forming right now. Then, with a booming voice, he shouts for them to step up when their name is called, kicking things off with, Group A, Nergans. Nero, totally caught off guard, hears Johanna called out, and desperately hopes he gets paired with one of two people. Meanwhile, the elf girl next to him is freaking out, begging not to be stuck with Bevan, and then the instructor drops another bomb, Group D, Nero. Nero, looking totally pumped, throws his hand up, shouting, yes, sir, with conviction. The whole class yells, yes, sir, to their new groups, but then the instructor pulls a fast one, calling out, Group E, Nero, again, making everyone wonder what's going on. The academy, a beacon of power and prestige, loomed large, its architecture a testament to its might. Inside, a fresh wave of students, including Nero and his crew, marched with determination, rocking their sleek new academy uniforms. Fast forward a bit, and boom. It's reassignment time, a whole new game for everyone. Students hustled through the academy's epic halls, faces a blend of hype and nerves. New groups, new challenges. Everyone's been reassigned, and the game is on. Then, Jiras burst onto the scene, his voice a thunderclap, announcing he was Nero's leader and demanding to know his name. He kept laying down the law to the students, promising pain if they didn't step up. But the elf girl, ever the optimist, had a different take, beaming as she declared her full trust in Nero. Walking off, Nero couldn't help but wonder, what wild ride was he in for next? Decked out in their sleek new black and gold academy uniforms, the students are thrown into a lavish hall, one of them totally blindsided by this new group assignment bombshell. But another student just shrugs it off, declaring it's no big deal, they'll just drag a slave along. Nero's gaze drops, a silent question hanging in the air as he stares at the shadowed form of a slave. His crew mirrors his unspoken thought, their faces a blend of shock and pure dismissal. Taryn, the green-haired student, coolly points out the slave stuck with them anyway, and the glasses-wearing mage chimes in, reminding everyone their high ranks mean zero dead weight. No one's dragging them down. Nero, still locked on the slave, simply mutters his understanding. Then, Taryn drops a bomb, he wants Nero to be the group leader, a move that clearly catches him off guard. Taryn doubles down, hyping Nero up, claiming his sheer presence guarantees victory, making luck totally obsolete. A heavy thud reverberates through the opulent hall as Nero faces a massive, golden door. His eyes briefly scanning the empty space he's leaving behind. He casts his gaze downward, a moment of quiet contemplation washing over him. The realization hitting him that leading is a far better fate than being forced into unwanted generosity. Elsewhere, a mysterious, soft blue glow emanates from a different chamber within the academy, where Taryn and the glasses mage are absolutely stunned by the new group assignments. Taryn can't believe it, asking if someone is actually a slave, and the glasses mage drops the bombshell, apparently, she's a half-elf. The elf girl, taking it all in, can't help but blurt out her own shock, confessing, I thought she was ugly. Then, with a thunderous crash, a powerful hand erupts from the shattered ground, revealing Jiras, caked in dirt, as he boldly proclaims, I'll only die on this day. Taryn explodes, flat out refusing to be lumped in with those people. He's practically fuming, demanding to know why being the son of Saiyan suddenly makes someone untouchable. His face twists into a furious snarl, a silent, chilling message, follow your own rules, or you're dead. Nero, looking utterly defeated, just mumbles, why yeah, sounds good. But from the shadows, the elf girl watches, her eyes wide with worry. A massive, imposing door looms, a silent witness to the brewing tension. Later, Nora is totally baffled, asking what the big deal is about Xcanum being their group leader, while Taryn can only stammer out his deep-seated concerns about the group. Shaking off the negativity, Nero boldly states he couldn't care less about the drama, putting the blame squarely on the instigator. Meanwhile, Nora can only watch, a nervous sweat beading as worry clouds her face. As night falls and the crescent moon rises, the city's majestic skyline stands silent, a stark contrast to the brewing storm. But elsewhere, under a relentless downpour, the bicolor mage stands utterly alone, a dark silhouette against the stormy backdrop. Then, his eyes ignite, a searing, otherworldly purple glow erupting from within. Power explodes from him, a furious purple aura coiling around his legs, ready to unleash. The energy peaks, engulfing him in a blinding, crackling violet storm as he stands, an unstoppable force. His mouth twists, exposing razor-sharp fangs, a terrifying display of his unleashed power. Then, with a primal roar, he vows, "I won't lose again," his entire being erupting with untamed, explosive power. As his transformation deepens, dark purple energy explodes around him, crackling with raw, untamed power. But then, a contrasting, vibrant green energy, adorned with swirling leaves, manifests nearby, a stark difference. The bicolor mage stands shirtless, absolutely engulfed in that vibrant purple aura, his eyes closed in intense concentration. Nora watches him, her hand practically blazing with a soft, golden light as she explains her actions. She's pushing her bloodline's limits, testing her abilities to the absolute edge. With a concerned expression, she warns him point blank, he's going to get himself killed if he keeps this up. He turns his back, his voice unwavering as he declares he'd rather die than bring shame to his family's honor again. Nora watches his determined stance, a silent, heavy understanding passing between them in the quiet, tense forest. She reflects on his past actions, remembering a time when his resolve was truly virtuous and just. A stern voice cuts through the air, a dire warning echoing, "Don't let that rage consume you, or everything good within you will be incinerated." A breathtaking panorama unfolds, revealing a majestic city, its colossal dome shimmering beneath the radiant sun. Suddenly, on a high platform, a massive, imposing figure confronts Terran, demanding to know why he's the only one left from his squad, as Terran nervously asks about their leader. The colossal man stares down, and Terran, revealing himself as the group's professor, is immediately grilled about the rest of his team. Suddenly, the professor's eyes blaze crimson with fury, roaring that they deserted him, but Terran desperately cuts him off, claiming they're just a bit slow and will be there any second. Terran's face is a mask of pure panic, sweat pouring down as he barely holds it together. A sudden, tranquil shift to a breathtaking natural vista, bathed in brilliant sunlight. Then, a young Kundin appears, contemplating mysterious dark orbs on rocky ground, a profound lesson on collective strength over individual ambition forming in his mind. Chaos is guaranteed if you get separated or fall behind the group, a truth hitting hard for the young student. Peering back at his companions, Kundin's mind races, pushing himself to confront the real question, sure, others might be messing up, but what if he's the actual problem? His thoughts deepen, why is this kind of self-reflection even a big deal? The realization hits him, you've always got to learn to reflect on yourself. His face contorts with a difficult truth as he finally asks, am I actually the problem here? A broom scrapes across the floor, setting a mundane rhythm. But elsewhere, Nero and Kundin are just chilling, cracking up with their classmates over a card game. The good vibes are off the charts, as the laughter just keeps on rolling. But the fun doesn't last for everyone, Nero's on chore duty, sweeping up while his friends keep the party going. Fast forward to a breathtaking view of epic mountains, and the announcement drops, they've made it to the legendary Excanum Hills. Now, facing a massive crowd, Nero and Kundin are front and center, ready to tackle whatever challenges this new zone throws at them. With the sun blazing over the vibrant landscape, it's confirmed, this place is a mana hotspot, bursting with all kinds of wild flora and fauna. Overlooking the Excanum Hills, Nora drops a bombshell, she had no clue blade rams were even in the Middle Kingdom. The creature in question, a formidable blade ram, is a horned beast with a thick, dark hide. Terran, right there with Nora, can't believe it either, asking if these things actually exist here. The bicolor mage, with a knowing smirk, reveals that blade rams are long gone from the Middle Kingdom, pushed out by the Excanum Hills residents. He warns they're super aggressive and always hungry. He wraps up, saying the blade rams are no longer a threat, but they definitely caused some serious chaos back in the day. Nora, staff in hand, then asks the burning question, are they hunting blade rams today? Facing a massive crowd, the bicolor mage announces they're not hunting blade rams today, but instead, it's all about the Aruka gathering. He stresses the importance of teamwork, because the masters of magic will be watching their every move. Nora, deep in thought, gets it, they can't go solo on this one. The hunt is on. A voice lays down the law, first strike, first claim. It's a race against time and each other. As the competitors fan out, a monstrous blade ram bursts into view. The beast drops its head, its eyes burning with a savage purple glow, a crackling aura erupting from its deadly horns. Nero and others surge ahead, swords flashing, all vying for that crucial first hit. But the blade ram unleashes a deafening roar, charging headfirst into the chaos. Its massive body hurtles ahead, purple power surging around its horns, ready to impale anything in its way. Nero, completely overwhelmed, is sent scrambling backward, his frantic steps pounding the ground. He glances back, his face a mask of panic, a fresh cut bleeding on his cheek, just as someone shouts his name. After the ordeal, walking away with his comrades, a friend tells him to chill out for the rest of the day, clearly seeing the toll the fight took. A voice cuts through the air, telling him he can just bail and do absolutely nothing. Nero lets out a furious cry, his face twisted in pure frustration. The dense forest canopy stretches overhead, with sunlight barely piercing through the thick leaves. Suddenly, a monstrous maw rips open, drooling with menace and flashing razor-sharp teeth. Ignoring all warnings, Nero charges in, sword already out and locked onto the colossal blade ram. The creature's sheer bulk dominates the scene, its powerful form an absolute wall. With a thunderous impact, the blade ram smashes its leg down, shattering the ground beneath. Undeterred, Nero swings his blade in a lightning-fast arc, connecting with the beast. The blade ram's eyes flare with an ominous red, locking onto the young hunter. Nero lets out a battle cry, ready to unleash some serious damage. And a massive wave of shimmering blue energy blasts from his hand, slamming right into the blade ram with incredible force. The monster's huge mouth flies open in a silent scream of pure shock and pain, it's totally rocked by the hit. But before it can even think about recovering, Nero rockets into the sky, leaving a blazing trail of red magic behind him. The blade ram just stands there, its massive legs rooted to the ground, totally clueless about what's coming next. He drops like a stone, landing right on the monster's huge back. Then with a brutal swing, he brings his sword crashing down onto its head. The blade ram's eye goes wide with pure shock and agony, a thought screaming through its mind, these little guys are packing some serious heat. He flinches, a powerful roar ripping through the air. The blade ram, eyes blazing with ominous purple energy, unleashes a deafening bellow. But Nero, already anticipating its next move, locks his gaze downward, pure determination in his eyes. In a blinding flash, he's already on the monster's head, sword poised for the killing blow. Leaping clear of the impact, he lands with effortless grace. The blade ram's colossal form begins to topple, crashing down with earth-shattering force. As it plummets, Nero delivers one final, lightning-fast strike, sealing its fate. The monster slams into the ground with a deafening thud, its reign of terror finally over. Lying motionless, the blade ram is utterly defeated, Nero's blade a stark testament to his victory. Plunging into the absolute void, he's free-falling into the unknown. Suddenly, a burst of raw purple power erupts from him, his face contorting in pure shock at the insane situation he's in. But the abyss isn't empty. A colossal, grey beast with burning eyes unleashes a deafening roar from the depths. Still plummeting, his purple aura goes absolutely wild, charging up for the ultimate showdown. He screams a battle cry, hurtling towards his destiny. Clenching his blade, he knows this is it, his final, desperate mana burst. Then, a blinding, explosive strike rips through the darkness. The monster screams in agony as the devastating blow connects, shaking the very foundations of the chasm. The monstrous creature's massive leg looms, a dark, scaly presence against the crimson backdrop of the abyss, a terrifying reminder of the danger Nero just faced. Below, a small figure plummets headfirst, Nero's body a blur against the deepening red, falling faster and faster. The chasm stretches endlessly below him, revealing a faint, glowing blue light at its distant base, a new mystery awaiting. He drops further into the darkness, the air rushing past him with a soft whoosh, the fall accelerating. His descent continues, his body tumbling with each passing moment, the ground rushing up. The chasm walls blur around him, a dizzying tunnel of rock and shadow, the impact drawing closer. He shrinks to a speck against the vastness, the glowing light below growing steadily larger, impact imminent. Finally, with a violent splash, he collides with the luminous blue water at the chasm's base, a jarring impact. The force of the impact wrenches a pained cry from him, his face contorted in agony as glowing particles swirl around his head. What new dangers await him now? Shattered at the chasm's base, Nero's body hits the glowing blue water, his mind barely clinging to consciousness. A pathetic laugh escapes his lips, his gaze fixed on the blinding light far above. His face, a canvas of agony, is battered and bloody from the brutal fall. He can't even twitch a muscle, the pain is unbearable, and a terrifying question screams in his head, is this it? Is he actually dying? But no, he won't let it happen. He refuses to die here, like this. But then, a terrifying, dark shape plummets from the heavens, a chilling whoosh announcing its arrival. As his mind reels, a haunting memory flashes, a figure with piercing purple eyes, consumed by loneliness, and the crushing weight of being a disposable slave. Another monstrous form dives down, wings flapping with a sickening thud, while the inner voice declares its inherent difference, its inability to ever conform. The sky darkens with a frenzy of beating wings, as a terrifying swarm of bird monsters closes in on the utterly defenseless Nero. Still free-falling through the inky blackness, Nero was a sitting duck, the monstrous bird swarming him as he plunged deeper. Then, a raw, purple energy explosion ripped from him, blasting the monsters away with a deafening quang. But from the precipice above, the elf girl's gaze locked onto the chaos below, a frantic Nero, escaping her lips. Injured and helpless on the ground, he could only muster a desperate plea, don't. Come here. But she wouldn't listen. Trembling with resolve, the elf girl launched herself down the sheer cliff, her eyes fixed on him. A quick, precise TTAK as her foot found a foothold, a faint purple energy sparking around it. Another KYAA, as she pushed her limits, speeding down the perilous drop. Then, a solid dang-tang as her foot hit the bottom, the chasm reverberating with her arrival. A final, earth-shattering kakung. She slammed down next to Nero, debris exploding around them. Even though he's totally busted up, Nero still manages to look at the elf girl and call her out for chasing after him, but then it hits him. She's also injured. Her little body is shaking, totally drained and scared, letting out a choked gasp. A tiny, pained groan rips from her throat, her face twisted in pure agony. Still worried about her, Nero then cracks a wry smile and confesses, he's actually hurting a lot right now too. Deep within the cavern's depths, a mysterious green glow pulses from Nero. The elf girl stares in disbelief, demanding to know how he's pulling off healing magic, a skill they haven't even touched yet. Her face is a mask of pure, unadulterated curiosity and confusion. Nero simply confirms he found it, leaving the elf girl utterly baffled and demanding answers. Kundin cradles his fallen friend, Nero, utterly devastated and crying out in despair. He knows he might not make it in time, but then, a sudden realization hits him like a bolt of lightning. With newfound determination, Kundin proclaims that he, too, can heal him. He reveals his special ability, a power some are born with, but his own unique gift wasn't something he inherited. Nero, still healing, hears the elf girl declare she's feeling way better, and he just nods. But then she drops a bombshell, calling him amazing, and he's totally caught off guard. She keeps going, dropping truth bombs about how rare good people are and how most treat others like trash, then asks how he even manages to help anyone. He just casually drops that it's all about effort, a simple answer that hits her harder than he knows. The elf girl confesses she dropped her guard, thinking about some super tough mission she had to do, and then, boom, a dream starts taking over her thoughts. In her dream, a mysterious figure with bicolor hair pushes through endless darkness, heading straight for a shining goal, absolutely refusing to quit. That light, the reward for all his grind, just keeps calling out, a clear sign that something epic is waiting. Right after that intense dream, all the chaos inside her body just stopped, and she felt this incredible, deep calm take over. From then on, she just kept grinding, pouring more and more effort into keeping her body in top shape, now holding a mysterious, glowing orb in her hand. Nero, totally lost, just stares at her with a confused look, begging her to explain what she's even talking about. She lays down some serious wisdom, telling him his power is gonna be huge, and he'll need to master not just accepting it, but also knowing when to reject it. Then, she drops another truth bomb, telling him he can't just cherry-pick what he sees in life, or he'll miss everything he hates. He's gotta face those feelings head-on and dominate them. He takes it all in, thinking it sounds good on paper, but deep down, he's wrestling with his own dark feelings, especially about his creature-making power. With a soft smile, she adds, that even she feels like she hasn't done enough good in her own life. Nero just stares, totally trying to figure out what she just said. With a determined look, she tells him straight up, get stronger, Nero. Then, she just sits down, cross-legged, declaring she's gonna meditate, and you can see a soft glow around her. Nero watches her, remembering that meditation is the ultimate way to get mana back and buff up his body, then he's like, okay, I'm in. Copying her move, he also drops into a meditation stance right next to her. After their intense meditation, the two kids were still chilling in the cave, but the vibe was totally different. Then, the elf girl snapped out of it, looking totally shocked as she blurted out, whoa. My body's a bit stiff, but I'm seriously overflowing with energy. She kept going, her voice buzzing with fresh power, it's like my mana is totally topped off, and my physical strength feels like it's back to 100%. Feeling totally recharged, they both got up, hyped to get back on track. And just to show off, the elf girl threw out her hand, blasting out a super bright orb of pure, white light, totally charged with mana, proving her power was back and better than ever. As they left the cave, Nero couldn't help but say, seriously, it's wild how much better you feel after meditating. The elf girl nodded, a subtle glow still around her hand as she shot back, I used to think my past was unbeatable, but now I know I'll find a way. I'll forge my own path. She's ready to conquer her past, forging her own destiny. But just as she stands tall, a horrifying vision of the monster that once tormented him rips through Nero's mind, sending him crashing down in a desperate, primal scream. The cave exit isn't far, but it's still a trek. Shaking off the vision, he's back on his feet, ready for anything. Okay. Their journey takes them through a scorching, barren wasteland. A lone sword, a silent sentinel, pierces the earth in the distance. But as they get closer, a sudden, unseen force slams him to the ground. He's up in a flash, eyes sweeping the horizon from a rocky perch. A monstrous roar rips through the air as the cave monster charges. He recoils, but she stands firm, declaring they'll carve their own path. The sun is setting, painting the desolate landscape in fiery hues, but what truly catches the eye is a mysterious, glowing sword, planted firmly in the ground, beckoning to the two young adventurers. They move in closer. And the elf girl, despite her tear-filled eyes, makes a powerful declaration, no more tears for me. Later, taking a breather, Nero can't hold back his exasperation, venting about the endless search for an exit from this wasteland. The massive, cloud-filled sky just looms over them, a silent witness to their struggle as another day fades away. But their moment of peace is instantly crushed as massive, elephant-like beasts suddenly surround them, and Nero can only shout his frustration at this insane new challenge. Suddenly, a fierce, bearded man, backed by his crew, glares at them with pure fury. He then loudly proclaims that only Drago's group ever helped him, leaving Nero completely stunned. Nero, absolutely fuming, lets out a frustrated "tch" and rages that they could have totally won if they just had one competent person on their side. The professor drops a bombshell, announcing that Group A is absolutely dominating. The arena lights blaze. While the king and his top students, Kundan and the purple-eyed prodigy, watch intently from their royal box. The student crowd below is buzzing, questioning the delay, until a shout confirms the participants are finally here. The red-haired student is absolutely floored, stuttering in shock at the news that someone soloed 2 targets, trying to grasp the implications. Kundan and the green-haired student are utterly stunned, their faces a perfect picture of disbelief. Then, a wave of students explodes in triumphant cheers, screaming that they've clinched first place. The female student and the purple-eyed student are left speechless, as the king dramatically prepares for the ultimate announcement. A gloved finger points with absolute authority, as the king finally reveals the champions. The king's voice thunders, proclaiming Neria as his savior from certain death by blade rams, as Nero, amidst the crowd, desperately begs for his life in his mind. He then drops a bombshell, demanding his score go to Neria's group, leaving the entire student body in utter disbelief. Then, with a booming voice, the king declares Neria a hero for saving Nero, leaving the students stammering and utterly bewildered. Whispers erupt among the students, as they openly challenge the king's words, demanding to know how Neria's group could have won if one person took down the blade rams. As chaos brews, a sword hilt is clutched tight. And Nero, with a furious snarl, dares his challenger to come and kill him if they've got the guts. Sword in hand, he stands his ground, ready to face down the red-haired student who dared to doubt him. But then, a blinding light explodes, snapping every student's head towards its mysterious origin. Nero, now isolated, pivots, his eyes locked onto the powerful radiance. Inside a lavish room, Nero and Kundan are locked in an intense chess match, their minds already several moves ahead. Meanwhile, the elf girl is completely absorbed, lost in the pages of her book. Her eyes are glued to the words. Even as she feels eyes on her. And she finally snaps her head up, a clear annoyance on her face. As she boldly states, seriously, stop staring. I know I'm pretty. A shocking tear rips through the air as a purple-eyed figure goes absolutely ballistic, screaming about a near heart attack. Under a blazing sun, across a vast landscape, a desperate cry to hurry echoes, setting the stage for chaos. Nero bolts, a small, dark projectile he just launched hurtling behind him, while someone else can't believe he actually threw it straight into the sun. But now he's down, looking up with a frustrated grimace, kicking himself for potentially wasting critical moments. A powerful stomp, and his boot slams into the ground. Elsewhere, the bicolor mage is in full sprint, the elf girl clutched to his back, roaring a desperate "Horaeum," as they flee. His robes blur and flash with every ground-shattering stride, a streak of pure speed. The elf girl, clinging on, her eyes wide with a mix of surprise and worry. And Nero, left behind, stares down, a heavy, somber look etched onto his features. Still processing the chaos, Nero just leans against a tree, a silent question echoing in his head. Elsewhere, a sleek, dark blade slices through the open sky. While the bicolor mage tears through a dense forest, blue energy blazing around him, desperately trying to snatch it. He lets out a raw, frustrated cry. A close-up on the weapon reveals his inner turmoil, as he agonizes over his inability to truly command the blade, questioning when he'll finally unlock its full potential. Later, the two figures, now just distant specks in a tranquil park. A quiet thought echoes through the vast, empty space, it's just so lonely out here. Much later, a group of 4 stands before a colossal, ancient gate. Where Professor A, with his intense gaze, speaks of the sheer importance of endurance. Footsteps pound, a chilling voice taunting him, you'll never break free. Suddenly, he's face to face with a monstrous, groaning gate, its sheer scale making him question everything he knows. The wall looms, an endless, impossible barrier against the world beyond. A massive boar snoozes, oblivious to the bizarre, glowing fungi surrounding it. Perched on a dizzying cliff, he stares out at the boundless expanse, the truth hitting him, this is the outside. Through a rustic wooden gate, he presses on, a grim thought consuming him, his meager supplies won't even last a month. His hand tightens on his sword, eyes burning with fierce determination, only his own strength will save him now. He eyes the bizarre, glowing fungi, a stark reminder that this world's beauty hides deadly traps. These mushrooms are poison. Beneath a solitary tree, he stands, taking in his new domain, poised for the unknown battles to come. A colossal, tusked boar slumbers peacefully on the lush green, a fleeting thought suggesting even this beast could be a lifelong ally. But under the blazing sun, Nero glares skyward, the brutal 2-month survival challenge crushing him. His face contorts with fierce resolve, a silent, burning promise to conquer this hell. Before a colossal stone wall, he declares to himself that he's the ultimate survivor, the one who will outlast everyone in this academy. He flashes back to pure exhaustion, the very first time he stared death in the face and almost lost. In the gloom, the eerie glow of bioluminescent mushrooms sparks a desperate hope, a silent scream that a solution has to exist. That sleeping boar, maybe, holds the secret to this brutal endurance test. 2 weeks later, the sky stretches on, uncaring. The colossal wall still looms, a stark monument to the relentless challenge. A deadly black blade, honed to perfection, hangs suspended, ready to strike. Then, a blood-curdling scream rips through the silence. As the blade plunges deep, striking a colossal boar with a brutal impact, blood exploding outwards. Nero stands victorious over the fallen beast, a wave of relief washing over him. Finally, a meal. He clutches his weapon, his face a mask of grim resolve, knowing he has to work fast to salvage every last bit of flesh and guts. Blood splatters everywhere as he toils, the brutal truth of survival starkly visible. But the very next day, a crushing blow. He's still by the carcass, but it's nothing but bones and putrid flesh now. A furious fuck rips from his throat as he glares at the spoiled meat, his hard work utterly wasted, almost nothing left to eat. Kneeling in despair, he can only mourn the lost chance, with nothing but rotten meat left. Still starving, he tries to eat something raw, believing he can handle it. But his body collapses, leaving him out cold on the dirt as the green-haired student can't believe he's still breathing. Professor A, seeing the state he's in, quickly commands, "Get him to the infirmary." But then, the green-haired student steps up, a powerful blue energy erupting as he shouts, "You're disqualified." The declaration shatters Nero, a raw scream of disbelief escaping him. The green-haired student presses on, his voice cutting, blasting Nero for depending on others instead of his own strength. A burst of blue energy erupts, sealing the disqualification as Nero recoils, utterly bewildered. With pure desperation on his face, Nero begs for one more shot. But the green-haired student kneels, pinning him, and with a cold, final declaration, repeats, "You are disqualified." A wild boar, crackling with faint blue energy, lets out a desperate cry. But the real shocker. Nero, slumped against a rough wall, hears the crushing declaration, "You are being disqualified." Just days after landing in this new world, he's already facing the boot. His face contorts in pure shock, eyes wide with utter disbelief. As the harsh reality sinks in, a mysterious pink glow sparks in his eye, hinting at untapped power. His mind flashes back to the boar, now utterly defeated, lying still and lifeless. The crushing weight of his father's death, coupled with this epic failure, leaves him in despair, believing his end is near. A desperate "please" escapes the boar's lips, a chilling echo of his own desperate situation. Then, a shocking realization hits him, that wasn't just any beast, it was an academy-trained creature. This test was already proving to be a nightmare, and he could feel the pressure mounting. Meanwhile, a massive boar was just chilling, digging through the dirt and chowing down. He crept closer, remembering that even wild hogs have their secrets to survival. Thinking he could make a friend, he reached out, trying to share. But then, pure shock washed over him as the boar revealed its true, terrifying nature. There was no time to think, only to run. Its eyes blazed with an infernal orange, a crimson aura pulsing around its powerful frame. With a blood-curdling screech, the beast charged, forcing Nero to scramble up a tree for his life. Stuck up high, he could only let out a frustrated, desperate curse. Clinging to the rough bark high above, he watches the enraged boar below, its guttural screeches echoing through the forest. He thinks to himself that he should have known better, that hogs are inherently greedy and would never share their food. Yet, as the moments pass, the creature's fury seems to subside, replaced by a deep, rumbling snore as it settles down, a faint, white glow emanating from a small object near its snout. From his perch high above, Nero can only watch, trapped by the sleeping beast below. The boar remains oblivious, lost in slumber, leaving Nero to curse his predicament under his breath. Way up in the sky, 2 figures are chilling in a hot air balloon, checking out the scene below. Kundan, totally concerned, asks if this exam is, like, way too hard for the students. But Professor A, glued to his telescope, just shrugs it off, saying this whole thing is meant to push these kids to their absolute limits. And ultimately, build up their awesome talents. But elsewhere, a hand, totally engulfed in dark purple energy, reaches out from the shadows. While a monstrous boar with glowing red eyes drops a truth bomb, this stuff is especially real when nobody's watching. The shadowy figure, with eyes blazing in an intense purple glow, stands ready on top of the giant beast, watching everything unfold below. As he settles next to the colossal boar, a calm declaration follows, and they just want to coexist peacefully. With his eyes shut, the figure contemplates how some men are just born powerful, and they just want to live in harmony. He gently pets the boar's head, his thoughts still flowing. Then there are those who are just naturally charismatic. As he offers a carrot to the beast, he finishes his thought, and they just make everyone feel sorry for them. Then, with a thunderous roar, the boar explodes forward, launching the figure straight into the action. With his purple eyes blazing, the figure's intense monologue continues, delving into the depths of human pity. But wait, who's watching? A mysterious duo, one with glasses and another with vibrant green hair, are taking it all in as the figure declares, and lastly, he's talking about conquerors now, and you can feel the intensity. Dropping from the treetops, he makes his move towards the colossal boar, ready for action. Facing the beast head-on, he proclaims, this trial will unleash their true nature. He effortlessly mounts the boar, his mind already on the next step, determining their future. And just like that, the beast explodes forward, a blur of raw power. With the figure firmly in place, they charge ahead with unstoppable force. Kicking up a storm of dust, they're off. Go, the figure shouts. Gritting his teeth, a raw purple energy crackles around him as he fights to hold on, knowing he can't afford to fall off. The monstrous boar charges relentlessly, but even amidst the chaos, a pounding headache threatens to shatter his focus, wishing it wasn't so bad. The beast lets out a primal shriek, its powerful jaws slavering as it devours the distance. Every thunderous hoofbeat sends debris scattering, a testament to its unstoppable momentum. The breakneck pace never falters. The boar's guttural roars echoing as its rider pushes it harder, cursing under his breath. They tear through the fading light, plunging headlong into the encroaching night. Until, with a final, ragged gasp, he glances back at the path they've carved. The massive boar snorts, its powerful snout twitching with anticipation, a deep, rumbling grunt escaping its throat. It keeps grunting, its entire focus locked onto a tiny, tempting morsel just waiting on the ground. The irresistible scent of a cracker pulls it in, its massive tusks almost scraping the earth. With a loud, satisfying crunch, the beast devours its well-earned treat. From atop its back, Nero gently pats its side, a tender moment amidst their journey. But the mission isn't over, and he shouts, "Get up." The last crumbs of the cracker lay scattered. As the boar, startled, snaps its head up with wide eyes, its delicious snack abruptly cut short. Nero's hand returns to its head, a comforting stroke through its bristly fur. Still riding his massive boar, Nero hears a questioning grunt. And he quickly promises an epic treat. He hypes it up, declaring it's human-made, so the taste is absolutely guaranteed. As they trek onward, a deeper thought flashes through his mind about the sheer potential he still holds. He gives the boar a reassuring pat. Then pulls out a cracker, making it clear he's not asking for a handout or for the boar to surrender. His only request: to journey together. Nero's tiny hand reaches out, presenting a snack to the massive boar. He gently pets the rough fur on its head, a soft rustle echoing the tender moment. A flood of crackers pours from the bag, showering the forest ground. The boar goes wild, gobbling them down with enthusiastic chomps. Nero observes, a peaceful calm washing over him as his new friend chows down. Elsewhere, the elf girl pivots to her buddy, wondering if he's as captivated by their discussion as she is. Kundan, with a pensive look, starts to muse on the cunning, yet tyrannical despots. Back in the woods, the boar glances up at Nero, who just gives a gentle, more, urging it on. With the massive boar and a little buddy trotting off, boinking and snorting, Kundan wraps up his lecture, pitting those tyrants against the truly wise kings who live in harmony with their subjects. Two forces, forever clashing, forever battling for supremacy. But no matter the fight, the result was always inevitable. The colossal boar roared, a death sentence echoing in Nero's ears, "You're going to die." Because in this brutal world, only the victors are ever remembered. Fast forward 1 month. Time flies, and now, massive stone slabs stand as silent witnesses to what's next. Then, a voice cuts through the air, shouting, "Congratulations, Professor. The grind paid off." The bicolor mage just looks down, a quiet escaping him, processing the praise. But the professor just laughs it off, proudly proclaiming, "You guys are all improved. Level up. And check this out." The elf girl, rocking a whole new look, is totally stoked, saying she's glad to see everyone doing so well. Inside the opulent academy, a master's voice booms, vowing an unparalleled, no-expense-spared education for his chosen disciple. The young student stares up at a dazzling, glowing crystal, as his master drives home the absolute need to grind and get stronger. Meanwhile, a stunning redhead beams with pure joy, eagerly calling for her disciple to come closer, radiating absolute happiness. A blinding blue aura explodes around a figure, who shouts their grateful farewell, their power now absolutely off the charts. The colossal academy looms majestically, its ancient stones silently watching the drama unfold. Inside, the professor commands the attention of a massive student body, dropping the bombshell that new orders mean everyone's getting reshuffled into new groups. In the sea of students, Teresu, the elf girl, snaps her head up in shock, then quickly snaps to attention with a crisp, "Yes, Professor." Close by, the blonde-haired boy clutches his hands, his face a mask of pure desperation as he begs. Among the other students, the young man with the iconic white streak in his hair, stands tall, locking in his compliance with a sharp, "Yes, sir." The group assignments drop, and one student can't believe it, shouting, "Huh. Those two are in." Nero's face twists in pure shock, the realization hitting him, the same group again. The sleek academy uniform, sharp with its gold and blue, a symbol of their new, inescapable bond. 4 sets of legs, clad in matching uniforms, stand ready, their presence a silent declaration. The new squad of 5 assembles, and Teresu, ever observant, can't help but notice, "I'm the only girl here." Professor A commands the attention of the entire student body in the massive hall, but Teresu, front and center, isn't shy about her goals, proclaiming, "I want to be the group leader." What's wrong with that? Nero's still reeling, a storm of anxiety on his face, but Teresu, right next to him, is practically beaming, a complex blend of joy and melancholy dancing in her eyes. A hand shoots up, a sharp salute cutting through the air, a resounding, "Yes, Sir." Assignments locked in, a student strides off, their steps echoing with purpose. Nero's still processing the group assignments when Kundan swoops in, holding him tight, maybe to calm him down or just keep him from bolting. Walking along with the new squad, Nero's trying to apologize, but Kundan's already cutting him off, trying to tell him it's all good. But then, Nero's gaze snaps to the elf girl right next to him, and his eyes practically pop out, totally shocked by her presence. A name, almost a whisper, slips out, as he tries to figure out who she is. But then, it clicks. He corrects himself, realizing it's Teresu, and then introduces himself as Nero. Kundan, looking totally worried, asks Nero if he's okay, and the kid just casually says he's fine. Watching the whole thing go down, the elf girl just stares, totally deep in thought. Kundan's just standing there, looking sharp in his student gear. But Kundan's not letting it go, asking about Nero's crazy new hair, and Nero's just like, yeah, that. The elf girl's still watching, her face giving absolutely nothing away. Just a long, fancy hallway, totally quiet. Kundan then lays out the plan, he's putting up a barrier, but it's not gonna last forever. Since he's the only one with magic, he's basically saying he'll protect everyone, no matter what it takes. The elf girl's totally locked in, eyes glued to Kundan as he speaks. Kundan strides away, his declaration of protection still ringing in the air, leaving Nero and the elf girl to ponder his words in a vast, echoing hall. But Nero's already leveling up, thinking, he's totally getting the hang of this. Kundan snaps back, clearly annoyed, "Seriously, stop calling me master. I'm not your master, and I do nothing." But Nero's got receipts, reminding him, "You literally started helping me for free." They keep chatting, strolling through the lavish hall, their banter filling the air. Then, with a determined look, Kundan challenges him, "Time for another lesson. I'll show you the real gap between us." Suddenly, a mind-blowing magical diagram ignites, showcasing the sheer power of the Academy Master. Cut to the training grounds. A massive, muscled dude is trash-talking Nero, asking if he still thinks he can beat him. Nero, unfazed, shouts, "You bet, sir." Meanwhile, Kundan, watching with the elf girl, is still hyping himself up, "I'm gonna be the master of this academy." The muscle-bound trainer warns Nero that his magic won't be enough to win, but Kundan, in the background, is still in his own world, declaring again, "I'm gonna be the master of this academy someday." Nero, pumped, tells the elf girl he'll give it his all, while a mysterious white-haired guy watches Kundan, wondering if he can actually take down the top dog. And Kundan, ever confident, repeats his challenge, "I'll show you the true difference between us again." Kundan's voice cuts through the air, signaling the end of the warm-up, and Nero's gaze drops to the mysterious black spheres, ready for whatever comes next. Suddenly, a hulking, bald trainer bursts onto the scene, roaring, confirming everyone's suspicions, "It's time for a brutal physical test." Transported to a vast, open arena, Nero lets out a battle cry, the real fight about to explode. Nero explodes into action, a blinding pink energy erupting around him, moving with impossible speed. His strike connects with devastating power, sending the massive trainer flying, the ground shaking from the sheer force. A massive, smoking projectile rockets through the air, a testament to the raw power unleashed. But Nero isn't done yet. He unleashes a glowing pink chain, his eyes burning with intense focus. The trainer, his hair now shockingly white, roars in defiance, taking another brutal hit. The sheer force of the clash leaves its mark, a massive crater gouged into the earth. Nero's pink energy chains are absolutely relentless, slamming into the trainer with such raw power that the crowd goes wild. I almost had a heart attack, you little shit, one shouts, while the trainer can only beg, please spare me. Kundin, eyes blazing with ambition, can't hold back, practically screaming, I'm going first. He's already mentally in the arena, ready to unleash his own fury. The trainer, now a white-haired blur of impact, is absolutely obliterated into the ground, leaving a colossal crater in his wake. But the elf girl isn't having it, turning to Kundin with a fierce grin, wait, you dare say that and not follow? The trainer is still absolutely buried in that chasm, a brutal testament to Nero's raw power. Nero stands victorious over the fallen trainer, his glowing chains still crackling with energy, taking in the epic aftermath. A heavy, exhausted breath escapes him, the sheer power taking its toll. After unleashing that devastating blow, Nero plunges from the heavens, a storm of fragments trailing his descent. He hits the earth with a powerful impact, sending dust exploding outwards as his boot connects. No time to rest, he's already sprinting, gasping for air as he tears across the landscape. But a colossal, rumbling menace is hot on his heels, pushing him to his absolute limit. Then, a burst of raw power. He ignites, a blazing purple and white aura propelling him forward at impossible speeds. His face a mask of fierce determination, pure pink and purple energy explodes from his form. A burning declaration echoes in his soul, he will never be outdone, especially not by Evan. And with a final, explosive surge, the colossal obstacle is launched into the sky, his unbreakable will screaming, I'm never going to lose. Up in the sky, something's been launched. A small, white speck against the blue. And it's plummeting fast towards the green fields below, where the students are already waiting. Getting bigger, faster, it's a giant, rolling boulder. And Nero is barely staying ahead as it thunders down the hill. A quick look back, pure fire in his eyes, he's not about to let Evan win this. Evan, meanwhile, just watches, his face giving nothing away. Then, a white flag snaps in the air, time for the next challenge. The bald trainer roars, Go, and the students, Nero and Evan among them, explode into a sprint across the field. But wait, wild boars burst onto the scene, hooves pounding the earth, leaving one student to wonder, is this a hunt now? Amidst the chaos, a powerful green aura erupts on the field. The training was heating up, and Nero was already sizing up Evan's spell, seeing right through its trickery. He was right there, neck and neck with his rival, and with a fierce declaration, he vowed to snatch that second-place spot. But then, in a flash, Evan was airborne, sent flying with green energy still crackling around him. Evan barely had time to register the surprise, as Nero's fist was already a speeding blur, heading straight for him. Crack! The punch landed, hard and fast, right on Evan's face. Just like that, Professor A was on the scene, hauling the knocked-out Evan off the field. But Nero? He didn't even flinch, just kept on running, a quick look back confirming his absolute determination to win. Back on the field, the professor's face was a mask of pure rage, his furious shout ripping through the air. With a faint blue aura now shimmering around him, Nero pushed even harder, eyes locked on victory. Absolutely gassed, he sprawled out, gasping for air, the race having pushed him to his absolute limit. Right next to him, another student is just as wrecked. His buddy is totally wiped, face twisted in pure exhaustion, just trying to get some air back into his lungs. Then, a booming voice cuts through the chaos, yelling, "Minute break." Professor A looms over the two exhausted students, while other trainees bolt, screaming about not being finished. The sun blazes down from a perfect blue sky, beaming over the massive training area. Cutting to a peaceful forest, Professor A holds out a small bottle, commanding, "Here. Drink this." Nero's eyes snap up, totally caught off guard, as the professor's hand pushes the mystery potion his way. Professor A's still got the bottle out, but Nero's already looking at the elf-eared girl, smirking, worried about little old me, huh? Totally flustered by his jab, the elf-eared girl fires back, seriously, stop with the stupid comments and just drink the thing. Nero finally chugs the stamina potion, and Professor A stares him down, making it clear, "I'm watching on you." Nero was still chilling under the tree, looking totally zoned out, while Professor A just loomed over him, holding some kind of pouch. Then, out of nowhere, a burst of laughter cut through the quiet, and Nero snapped his head up, seeing Professor A cracking up right next to him. The bicolor mage, who was just chilling nearby, totally froze, a look of pure shock on his face as he wondered if that was actually Teresu, the same Teresu he knew, laughing like that. Nero, ever the pragmatist, is just casually peeling a potato-like veggie. While across the table, the bicolor mage is just chilling, looking super thoughtful. He's confirming all the rumors, spilling the tea that this academy is the real deal for magic, swords, and even a job after you graduate. These two kids are deep in conversation about the Magic and Swordsmanship Academy, a place where you can actually learn some legit skills, and Nero, still peeling away, asks if all the hype is real, and the mage just gives a simple, yes. Then he drops a bombshell, saying they're all basically the same, all coming from one origin point. Nero, with a cheeky grin, is like, hold up, does that mean I'm gonna be your junior? Hard pass. The elf girl, taking a sip of her tea, just gives him that look, calling him a total simpleton under her breath. But Nero? Totally unfazed, he just keeps peeling his veggie, the crunching sound filling the air. He's back at it, facing down the trag he knows all too well. This is a relentless grind. But wait, a thought hits him, how many times has the mage been laughing it up behind his back? And just like that, the legendary Magic and Swordsmanship Academy looms into sight, a massive, awe-inspiring fortress of learning. Nero's jaw drops as they get closer, utterly blown away by how massive this place actually is. The bicolor mage, ever the guide, lays out the Academy's mission. It's all about practical, real-world skills, making sure every student is a certified powerhouse upon graduation. Then, with a flourish, he whips out a glowing purple crystal, dropping a knowledge bomb. Even beginner magic needs a huge mana pool, it's the absolute bedrock for any serious spellcaster. Nero's fist tightens, a fire igniting within him. He's totally hyped to master these massive magic attacks, bringing on the challenge. The mage keeps dropping wisdom bombs, warning them it's way too early to party because massive magic attacks pack insane destructive power, demanding seriously advanced magic skills to even think about using. A student with glasses nods, realizing the harsh truth. That kind of power means you'll need a monster mana pool, which is a total game changer for everyone. The bicolor mage lays it all out, revealing the Academy's true mission, to unlock each student's ultimate job. He drops a truth bomb. If you're hitting a wall with your skills, it's time to pivot and find a new path. Because let's be real, the world is packed with other epic talents, from mastering the blade to becoming a legendary archer. This Academy's whole vibe is about unearthing your destiny, finding that one job you were born to dominate. Nero, totally locked in, fires back with the burning question, so, what jobs are even on the table? The bicolor mage drops the answer, but a red-haired student cuts in, asking what his own job is, just as Nero boldly declares his destiny: I want to be an archer. Nero doubles down, revealing he's already a bow master and he's not just aiming to be an archer, but the archer who's conquered every other skill too. The bicolor mage, with that signature smirk, drops a wisdom bomb. To truly find his calling, Nero first has to ditch his own preconceived notions. Then, he finally spills the beans. There are 3 epic career paths waiting at the Academy. He lays it out. Got insane physical strength? Boom, Black Knight. Or if you're all about that magic life, you're leveling up to Black Mage. Got that elf-level brainpower? Then Archer is your destiny. Then, turning to Nero, the bicolor mage drops a confident line: don't even sweat it, you're good to go. He leans in, revealing the truth: all those other jobs. Just spin-offs from the 3 main ones. He breaks it down further, explaining that some roles, like a magic swordsman, are just mashups of those core 3. He confirms it, with a surge of purple energy: the OGs are the ones pumping out that raw, fundamental power. These aren't just jobs, they're the bedrock, the absolute core power that literally shapes the world. He keeps dropping knowledge bombs, laying out how even a magic swordsman is just a specialized, unique role, a spin-off from the core. Sure, you'd be crazy powerful, but it's still just a niche, not the source code. When a student brags about their off-the-charts talent, the bicolor mage just shuts it down, hinting that they're missing the bigger picture. He tells them to chill, his hand already sparking with raw purple power, ready to drop a live demo. A glowing orb of pure magic pops into existence in his hand, and he promises to reveal the true meaning of talent they've been dreaming about. Then, with an explosive burst, he unleashes a shimmering, purple energy wave that just rips through the air. His eyes blaze crimson as he cranks up the magic, a monstrous purple aura exploding around him, literally shattering the floor. And then, he just lets loose a cataclysmic energy blast, ripping through reality with a shockwave that sends everything flying. Nero and the elf girl are absolutely stunned, their faces a blend of shock and worry. The bicolor mage, cool as ever, showcases his insane power with a small, glowing purple orb, proving his mastery over both magic and swordsmanship. With his hand radiating raw power, he challenges the entire class to replicate his feat. Even Professor A is trying to copy the move, a tiny orb sparking in his hand as he mutters a name. The bicolor mage casually glances at the lingering magic on the ground, as the red-haired and green-haired students behind him are absolutely floored, one of them shouting in pure shock. He turns to the students, shutting down a bold question about his previous lecture with a sharp command. Then, another student boldly compares their own magic to his, clearly intimidated. A decisive step lands. And then, the elf girl, with fierce determination, conjures her own glowing orb, calling out a name. A massive, chaotic purple aura explodes around Nero, the raw energy absolutely going wild as he tries to copy the bicolor mage's insane technique. Watching the whole wild show, the bicolor mage just stands there in front of his students, with this gnarly, spiky landscape behind them. One student's totally blown away, while another's already asking who's up next for this crazy challenge. Professor A, right next to the bicolor mage, is absolutely stunned by the power on display, shouting, "Magnificent," while the bicolor mage just gives a chill, "Ah, yes, sir," in response. With a cool, confident stride, the bicolor mage starts moving, his cloak dramatically flowing with every step. He glances down at Nero, who's still wrestling with that wild energy, and casually says he'll just have to take his word for it, while Nero lets out a pained grunt. Keeping his cool, steady pace, the bicolor mage just strolls right past the chaotic purple energy, totally unfazed. Suddenly, a deep, powerful purple aura engulfs the bicolor mage himself, a silent, epic declaration of the power to see yourself just radiating from him. Professor A and the green-haired student are still watching Nero's total struggle, with the professor loudly asking why this kid is even dumber than Nero, but the student just tells him he's better off not knowing the crazy truth. While the bicolor mage just stands there, absolutely radiating power in his own aura, the elf girl stares, a super intense look on her face, like she's trying to figure out the real, mind-blowing meaning behind his whole demonstration. The bicolor mage lays it bare for Nero, calling his current approach foolish and a shallow imitation. Nero, not backing down, looks up, admitting his struggle and demanding to know the real secret. With a knowing smirk, the mage throws down the gauntlet. "Do you really want to see what I can do?" Nero's eyes blaze with pure ambition, shouting, "Show us." He's ready for the real deal. And just like that, the bicolor mage unleashes it. A blinding, raw purple aura explodes around him, making Nero flinch back as the mage booms, "The power to see yourself." The energy surge is immense, a deafening roar of pure magic. He's a beacon of raw power, a colossal purple storm swirling around him, reaching for the heavens. The mage's voice booms, revealing this is the true form of these enigmatic powers, and the elf girl, ever observant, takes it all in, a profound understanding dawning on her face. With a guttural roar, the mage unleashes the full, devastating power of his Siphonii. The purple energy detonates, a blinding, world-shaking blast, the sheer force warping reality itself. The raw, vibrant purple aura, the true form of these mysterious powers, just keeps surging and expanding. Pulsating with an almost overwhelming energy that just fills the entire space. Its particles shimmering and scattering like countless tiny, exploding stars. As the incredible display unfolds, the elf girl's eyes go wide, a mix of concern and intense thought playing across her face. Right in the middle of that swirling energy, the bicolor mage flashes a knowing smile, because he gets it. This power, Siphonii, is literally the power to see yourself, the absolute ultimate form of these mysterious abilities. His expression then hardens with pure resolve as he drops a bombshell, "I'm going to become a swordsman." Nero, completely overwhelmed by the revelation and the sheer power on display, can only manage to stammer out, "Just live exposed me." Nero is on the move, trekking through a silent forest, but his heavy breathing tells a story of struggle. Every breath is a battle, and he's barely holding it together. Then, facing a mysterious, taller figure, he can only manage to stutter, "What are you even talking about?" His eyes are wide with a desperate, unspoken plea. And he tries to deny it, "I haven't." But the words catch in his throat, leaving him just gasping for air. Then, without warning, his body betrays him, a raw cry tearing from his throat as he collapses, desperately trying to grab onto anything. But it's too late. A violent burst of purple energy explodes from him, his eyes blazing with an unholy glow as he crashes down, completely consumed by the raw, untamed power. Still reeling, he's absolutely blasted by the raw, uncontrolled purple energy exploding from within him. The elf girl can only watch, her voice cracking with a desperate plea. Her desperate "why" echoes, as she locks onto a tiny, distant figure, her face twisting into pure, silent anguish. A deep, crushing sorrow washes over her face. Gazing downward, she whispers, a chilling declaration, "You two are utterly hopeless." Fast forward 5 months. The sun now blazes over a breathtaking, tranquil valley. Don't let the beauty fool you. This seemingly idyllic spot is actually a super critical strategic point. The bicolor mage, Professor A, and the red-haired student stare down at a pulsating purple structure, instantly recognizing it as a magic or mine, the ultimate raw material for insane magical gear. But this precious mine has been completely overrun by grotesque monsters. They've got to wipe them out and take back what's theirs. A lone warrior stands poised, blade ready, over the shimmering purple crystals. The battle is about to begin. He's thinking about the security, right? But then he hits you with the real question, what about the ore? Are these monsters the reason it's so exposed? The red-haired student is like, wait, we only have 1 day for this huge place. And Professor A just drops the bomb, yep, it's an exam, no gear, no maps, figure it out. Professor A lays down the law, revealing the mission, find the mine entrance. But here's the kicker, it's tiny, it's hidden, and it's gonna be a nightmare. The red-haired student is still stressing about the time crunch, but Professor It just doubles down on the one-day limit, then casually mentions a special prize at the entrance, but only one per group. Talk about pressure. And just like that, the word prize sends the students into a frenzy. They're off like a shot, all thinking about that sweet equipment and the glory. Inside the mine, the elf girl is already on the move, bow in hand. She's practically flying through the darkness, ready for anything. Out of nowhere, a colossal, blocky monster with blazing red eyes bursts forth, its terrifying roar shaking the very foundations of the mine. But she's not backing down. In a flash, she knocks an arrow and lets it fly, a pink-streaked magical bolt slamming into the monster, blasting off huge pieces of its stony body. Yeah, this mission. Definitely not going to be a walk in the park. Deep within the cavern, the bicolor mage observes the unfolding chaos, but below him, the elf girl is absolutely cornered by a monstrous, rocky creature, a desperate plea ripping from her throat. She tries to counter the hulking golem with a swift strike from her short blade, but the creature is just too powerful. A sudden burst of purple energy erupts from the monster, slamming into her and sending her absolutely flying backward, a sharp cry of pain escaping her lips. As she recovers, the bicolor mage continues his silent observation from a higher vantage point, his gaze locked onto the brutal struggle below. Suddenly, the mage turns and absolutely bolts through the vibrant, autumn-hued forest, his dark cloak whipping wildly behind him. He moves with incredible speed, leaving a faint trail of purple energy in his wake, the glowing flora of the forest a mere blur. Meanwhile, the elf girl also flees through the same glowing forest, glancing back with a determined expression as she makes her desperate escape. The bicolor mage continues his rapid advance, his movements stirring the fallen leaves with a soft, urgent rustle. Suddenly, Nero bursts into view, his face set with fierce resolve as he declares, "I see how it is." He's free-falling, but his eyes burn with defiance. No more being pushed around, not this time. Below, Kundin is holding on for dear life, face pale with fear, begging them to stay as one. Elsewhere, a light-haired elf is also plummeting. Crashing down into a storm of falling rocks and rubble, dust exploding around her. No time to waste. She whips out her bow, firing a lightning-fast arrow at the unseen enemy. Boom! More rubble explodes from the hit, showering the desolate ground. The elf drops to one knee, a blinding purple aura erupting around her, her hands slamming down as raw power crackles. Her eyes narrow with pure resolve as she snarls, "These monsters are pathetic. Even the powered-up ones are just low-rank fodder." Her piercing light blue eyes gleam, as she scans the area, ever vigilant. She scans the area, a pack of those weird, gray monsters just chilling in the forest. And then it clicks, the Academy's whole large-scale magic attacks thing. Totally makes sense now. With that fierce look in her eyes, she's ready to hunt them down. She moves like lightning, and one of those things is already screaming, hitting the dirt hard. But then, out of nowhere, a giant clawed foot slams down, squashing another monster into a burst of purple power. The huge foot pulls back, and all that's left is a glowing, pulverized mess. The giant beast lets out a blood-curdling shriek, its mouth wide open in a terrifying roar. Then, it just grabs another one, its huge claws easily swallowing the struggling creature. Watching this brutal show, she's got a super serious look, her original target totally forgotten in the face of this new, massive threat. He arrives, and a chilling thought hits him, were these monsters not part of the professor's plan? The ground is just, rubble, total devastation everywhere. Nero is just a flash, blazing through the chaos. He slams to a stop, eyes wide at the wreckage, utterly bewildered by what he sees. Then, a sudden, sharp gasp, pure shock etched across his face. Suddenly, a red-haired student is on the ground, screaming, "Save me." Nero stands ready, blade drawn, a chilling thought hitting him, is this part of the test? The student's face is pure horror, his voice cracking as he yells, "Run!" He scrambles, a chilling realization hitting him like a truck as he catches a glimpse of a figure in the distance. Is it a guard, or something far worse? He doesn't stick around to find out, bolting as a monstrous limb appears right behind him. His face contorts in pure terror, the thudding of heavy footsteps closing in fast. A spray of blood splatters across his cheek, leaving him utterly stunned and questioning everything. Eventually, he finds himself overlooking a vast, alien landscape, a breathtaking world of glowing purple crystals under a crimson sky. From his vantage point, he spots grotesque, shark-like creatures roaming below, their movements confirming his suspicion, these monsters are as foolish as ever. Nearby, a hulking, ogre-like monster grumbles to an unseen companion, casually remarking that it'll take about 4 days for new guards to replace the old ones. He continues, his voice a low growl, emphasizing the urgent need to seize this opportunity and mine as many magic orbs as they possibly can. The bicolor mage's face twists in a grim realization, this isn't some training exercise, this is the real deal. His purple eyes blaze with raw power, locking onto the terrifying truth of the situation. But before he can even move, a cataclysmic surge of purple energy explodes, swallowing the entire landscape. The sheer impact hurls him violently to the earth, leaving him sprawled and unconscious by a roaring waterfall. He remains utterly still, oblivious to the ominous tremors shaking the very ground beneath him. Then, blood-curdling screams rip through the air, and a blinding flash of light signals that the nightmare is far from over. A monstrous ogre, sword in hand, lets out a guttural roar, confirming the screams belonged to Teresu, who is now trapped in its iron grip. Meanwhile, a horde of glowing-eyed insect monsters unleash a furious volley of energy blasts, their assault a whirlwind of destruction. Every strike lands with a bone-jarring crack, as the battle explodes into pure chaos. She surveys the carnage, a sea of insectoid monsters, a grim testament to the overwhelming numbers they're up against. A chilling realization hits her hard, this isn't just a test, there are just too many of them. Meanwhile, the bicolor mage's hand flares with ominous purple energy, a devastating force consuming him. His face contorts in pure agony as the magical surge intensifies, the raw power absolutely shredding his defenses. Finally, his body just gives out, collapsing under the relentless, crushing assault of that purple energy. Back on the battlefield, the elf girl gasps for air, her mana reserves totally depleted from going all out with her magic arrows. Before she can even recover, a massive, gray-skinned ogre-like monster lunges from the shadows, its powerful hands snatching her up. She screams in terror as it lifts her from the ground, begging for her life. The monstrous creature grins, its sharp teeth glinting, declaring its hunger for elves. The bicolor mage, a force of nature, scans the chaotic battlefield. But danger lurks, unseen. His sharp gaze locks onto the encroaching horde, unleashing a torrent of purple energy as he clashes with the grotesque, lizard-like creatures. A desperate, raw cry tears from his throat. Just as a devastating surge of dark purple energy slams into him, shattering his defenses. He collapses, utterly incapacitated, surrounded by the monstrous forms. Their predatory gazes locked onto his fallen, vulnerable form. The raw, destructive power of the purple energy pulses ominously, a testament to his defeat. The bicolor mage is sent flying, purple energy exploding around him. Slamming into the ground, utterly defeated. His own face contorts in agony, while the red-haired student stares in horror and the professor grits his teeth in fury. But then, a desperate shout cuts through the silence, Evan. Evan hits the ground, channeling a massive wave of purple energy that makes the earth itself pulse, and Nero is right there, taking it all in. Meanwhile, a wicked, glowing blade is locked and loaded, just waiting for its moment. And as everything goes down, the elf girl and her companion are glued to the action, not missing a single beat. Then, Aru, the bicolor mage, charges up a massive purple orb, his eyes locked on his target, ready to unleash hell. The barren, rocky wasteland just sits there, waiting for the epic magic to drop. Boom! Aru lets loose, and a colossal purple explosion just rips through everything around him. The explosion just keeps going, ripping through the air, a mind-blowing shriek as someone screams, Fiona. When the dust settles, Aru is still standing, surrounded by purple fire, his glowing sword out and ready for whatever comes next. The bicolor mage is sent flying, purple energy exploding around him. He's been hit hard. But even as he's airborne, he's already twisting, recovering like a pro. His hand snaps to his sword, and it flares to life with an intense, otherworldly light. He lands, ready for anything, staring down two hideous, red-eyed beasts with a fierce glare. Then, with a blinding flash, a massive blue-white energy blade rips through the space between them. He slices through one monster with his glowing sword, as Professor A charges in, staff ready, to take on another. Professor A's face is pure focus, his staff humming with power, ready to unleash hell. Then, a blinding blue blast erupts from his staff, smashing into a monster with devastating impact. Side by side, the bicolor mage and Professor A unleash a storm of attacks, pushing back the monstrous horde with their incredible power. The squad is assembled. The bicolor mage, Nero, the elf girl, Professor A, and Kundan, a powerhouse lineup ready to throw down. Professor A takes it all in, and it's like he's seen this nightmare before, a chilling déjà vu. He can't help but declare, this is exactly what happened 30 years ago. But a terrifying roar cuts through the air, back then, I was helpless. But not anymore. History will not repeat itself. The massive, red beast unleashes a primal roar, its fiery red eyes burning with pure menace. And then, a swarm of shadowy, dog-like creatures screeches and charges, their glowing red eyes a terrifying sight. The big bad monster taunts Nero and Kundan, I'll handle the rest of my little helpers. Kundan is totally blindsided, gasping, what? But then it pivots to the bicolor mage, who's already tearing through the smaller monsters with a massive, glowing energy slash, and snarls, you're the only one who can unleash huge attacks, so you better, stop messing with me. The bicolor mage goes all out, unleashing a devastating purple energy attack that absolutely obliterates the smaller monsters, who are screaming in pure terror and begging for their lives. His magic just keeps getting stronger, a concentrated wave of purple energy absolutely exploding forward. It slams into a target with a sharp, resounding impact. The force absolutely tearing through the monster's form, sending it flying backward with a pained cry as the explosion erupts. The smaller monster is violently thrown back, screaming in agony. As the last vestiges of the attack dissipate, speed lines and lingering particles mark the rapid conclusion of the assault. The mage stands poised, his sword drawn and glowing, his gaze fixed on the next threat. Before him, the massive, shadowy monster looms, its dark presence dominating the space. Without hesitation, the bicolor mage unleashes a powerful blue energy attack, striking the large monster directly and eliciting a pained scream. The hulking purple monster stumbles back, reeling from an invisible strike, while Nero, cloaked in shadow, desperately begs for his life. But the beast, oh, the beast. It just grins, recognizing the sheer power of the blade. His dark cloak whips around, as he gets ready for another devastating attack. The sword slams into the monster's arm, igniting a shower of sparks. But the monster isn't backing down, it lunges forward with incredible force. Its colossal arm comes crashing down, a purple blur, sweeping the small hero aside. He hits the ground hard, clutching his gut, a scream of agony tearing from him. Suddenly, from the sidelines, a panicked voice screams his name. The elf-eared girl can only watch, her face twisted in pure, agonizing worry. A blur of pure speed rips across the ground. As the bicolor mage rockets into the sky, his entire body engulfed in crackling blue power. He plummets down with insane velocity, a blazing crimson aura erupting around him, ready to unleash hell. Below, a colossal purple monster stands defiant, its hulking frame radiating a sinister blue glow. The mage lands a devastating hit, his fist smashing into the monster's rock-hard shoulder. The beast actually stumbles, a flicker of shock in its beady eyes. A magic swordsman, it ponders. Unfazed, the mage unleashes another lightning-fast strike, pounding the monster relentlessly. But the monster is deceptively fast, unleashing a brutal blue energy counterattack. The impact sends the mage absolutely soaring, slamming into the ground with a desperate, agonizing cry. The bicolor mage was down. The elf-eared girl rushed to his side, her voice a desperate cry as she screamed his name. But a fire ignited in her eyes, a burning resolve to save him, no matter what. Her eyes burned with fierce determination, he was the only one she would protect. Then, with a roar, she stood over the fallen bicolor mage, Nero facing down the colossal purple monster and its creepy cronies, ready to throw down. She didn't hesitate, unleashing a blinding blue energy blast, smashing right into the monster. Then, her glowing sword flashed, slicing into the beast and making it scream. But the monster just laughed, shaking off her hits like they were nothing. Then, with a sneer, it charged, a monstrous fist flying straight for her, roaring for her to just die. The hit connected with brutal force, her face twisting in pure shock and agony. Shrugging off the hit, Nero explodes into action, her blade a blur of pink energy, carving a furious arc towards the colossal beast. The beast lets out a pained urgh, reeling from the sheer force of her relentless barrage. Staggering back, it cries out, please, as Nero's magic keeps tearing into its form. Then, with a battle cry, she unleashes Fiona, her sword blazing with raw, purple power. Yet, the monster just grins, its glowing eyes mocking her as it roars, Kaha. Are you joking? Completely unfazed. Even with Nero's full power unleashed, the cave monster stands its ground, surrounded by its horde, completely shrugging off her assault. Suddenly, a devastating counterattack. The monster lashes out, and blood explodes into the air. Nero is sent flying, her body a ragdoll as the bicolor mage screams, Nero, in horror. Now, she lies broken on the ground, defeated and injured, as the bicolor mage can only stare down, his face etched with silent despair. The battlefield still screams with the raw power of the last attack, a blinding lightning strike followed by a desperate, heart-wrenching plea for mercy. And the brutal, soul-shattering cry of defeat. He stands, a lone figure against a colossal, churning wall of water, a stark reminder of the overwhelming power he just witnessed. A burning question ignites within him, a defiant whisper against the crushing roar of the waves, is he seriously just going to give up now? But that thought is instantly crushed, a fleeting weakness before pure resolve takes over. He won't break, he'll keep on resisting. With a fierce, determined step, he pushes forward, knowing that getting back on his feet, even after being knocked down, is the only way. His hand clenches, mana surging, ready to fight those standing waves. He'll meet their power head-on, and tag their strength. A brilliant, explosive burst of energy erupts around him, a clear, undeniable sign of his burning, renewed resolve. A faint purple energy begins to coalesce across the desolate, rocky terrain, spreading quickly into the golden-yellow canopy above. With a resounding roar of power, a massive purple aura swirls upwards, intensifying around the bicolor mage. As he charges forward, enveloped in a blinding surge of energy and speed. The raw power radiates outwards, causing glowing particles to swirl through the trees, leaving behind abstract streaks of light. Finally, he pauses, looking down with a determined, almost sinister smile, his eyes burning with an inner light. The bicolor mage, a true magic swordsman, absolutely blitzes across the barren terrain, leaving a sick trail of purple energy behind him. His speed is insane, a total blur as he keeps flying, leaving his opponent absolutely stunned. The monster, totally rocked by the mage's attack, grabs its head in pure rage, screaming, "My head? I'll gouge you out. There's nothing left." Glancing back, the bicolor mage throws down a savage taunt, "Go ahead." He keeps going, his voice echoing, "Don't think you'll find anything. I'm only a mage. What's in an armor, the size of a fingernail?" The monster is stuck, its huge body still boiling with helpless fury, totally unable to catch the mage who's already gone. Meanwhile, Professor A, looking super serious, is watching everything go down with a really intense look. A voice, probably his, drops a chill, almost creepy, "Ahaha. Don't worry." Close by, a horned elder, leaning on his staff, drops a heavy line, "He has gone too far." Suddenly, a new force bursts onto the scene. A powerful mage, absolutely radiating with crackling blue lightning, her staff channeling an insane torrent of raw magical energy. The sheer, unadulterated force of that discharge lights up everything, sending brilliant, explosive arcs of electricity spiraling upward, and absolutely showering the air with glowing, magical particles. A terrifying screech rips through the air as these gnarly grey goblins burst from a smoke cloud, one of them even yelling out, "Boss," like they're ready for a fight. But a fierce red-haired witch, with those unmistakable elf ears, isn't having any of it. She's laying down the law, telling these trespassers they've picked the wrong territory to invade. Her staff, with its glowing red gem, is practically buzzing with power. And a bald, bearded warrior, backed by his own squad of bird creatures, is hyping up his crew, shouting that it's payback time for all the lives those monsters took. Then, with a quick flap, one of the bird creatures just zooms into action. It's an all-out brawl. Goblins versus bird creatures, while the witch and warrior get ready to unleash their own blue energy-fueled attacks. And just like that, the red-haired witch and the bald warrior go full-on beast mode, blasting the goblins with insane blue energy attacks. The goblins are getting absolutely wrecked, their bodies twisting as sharp, blue crystals explode from them, totally obliterating them. The battle's fury had just subsided, but residual blue energy still exploded, shimmering against the frigid, snow-laden atmosphere. Then, a sudden shift in scenery. The world transformed into a breathtaking, fiery autumn forest. A blink and you miss it transition, and they were already moving. Rumbling through the wild, a rugged cart pushed forward, Nero out cold, but a mystical green orb pulsed above him, healing his wounds, as a stoic blue-haired elf and a sharp bicolor mage kept vigil, while their burly, bearded driver navigated the treacherous roads. That orb was working overtime, its vibrant green energy pouring into the kid, fixing him up fast. Next to him, the blue-haired elf let out a heavy sigh, her face a canvas of exhaustion and relief. The bicolor mage, however, was stone-faced, his intense stare locked on Nero, a palpable tension radiating from him. But then, a faint, knowing smile played on the elf's lips, a silent promise of resilience and hope. The mage, though, remained utterly silent, his face a mask, but his unwavering presence was a rock. A blue-haired man with glasses observes, his mind clearly racing. His focus shifts to Nero, his chest heavily bandaged, a vibrant blue gem pulsing with raw power against his skin. The gem radiates with an otherworldly glow, a beacon of immense healing power. Close by, the blue-haired elf girl stares, her eyes wide with shock. Suddenly, the setting changes to a massive, opulent hall, where a red-haired witch commands attention from a towering balcony. Beneath her, the immense hall sprawls, with other robed figures scattered across the lower tiers. She passionately addresses the unseen masses, her voice echoing, "The incident from 3 days ago is a prime example of such." Her face contorts with fierce determination. A hand extends, crackling with faint energy, as she dramatically proclaims, "Amongst us today." After the intense speech, the Academy unveils its secret weapon, 3 brave mages, the royal arm of monarchs, ready to change everything. And here they come, the legendary trio, making their grand entrance and instantly owning the stage. These aren't just any mages, they're the future, the symbols everyone will look up to, the absolute game-changers. First up, the legendary Teresu of the Lunati's family is revealed, and the crowd goes wild. Just look at her, Teresu, radiating pure power and grace, ready to take on anything. The crowd absolutely loses it, with Kundan and a red-haired student leading the charge, screaming, "Yes, Teresu. She's our academy's idol." Even more students are completely blown away, joining the massive wave of adoration. Teresu, looking a little shy, is soaking in all the love, with everyone buzzing about how incredibly attractive she is. But wait, there's more. The bicolor mage, a true powerhouse, is revealed as the greatest descendant of Excanum and a member of the royal family. Talk about an elite squad. The announcer's voice absolutely exploded, screaming, and last but not least, as the young boy's face twisted into a wild mix of shock and pure dread. Elsewhere, the red-haired witch, rocking her iconic, massive hat, was practically sweating bullets, her face a mask of pure, unadulterated stress. From her perch on a towering balcony, she glared down at him, practically screaming, "I'm about to get a heart attack, you little shit," while Nero could only manage a pathetic, oh. He was just a speck in the massive academy courtyard, utterly alone against the epic backdrop, when suddenly, a voice from the roaring crowd shouted, "Nero!" The crowd's roar absolutely exploded, a deep, earth-shaking rumble that vibrated through the entire massive arena. While Kundan, the grizzled instructor, absolutely lost it, throwing his head back and screaming with pure, raw enthusiasm, "Yeah! Nero! Woohoo! Nero!" Right next to him, Teresu, the blue-haired elf, was practically shouting her lungs out, her voice cutting through the noise, "Nero! Nairu," while some random bystander was totally baffled, asking, "They are cheering him on." The cheers just kept coming, a relentless wave of sound crashing over the tiny figure of Nero in the massive courtyard, his name screamed by what felt like a million voices. And then, Kundan, with a massive, proud grin, clapped Nero on the shoulder and roared, "Well, let's at least show some respect for what he did, let's go, Nero." Teresu and Kundan watch intently as the crowd erupts, chanting Nero's name. A palpable shift in the air, the very eyes that once judged him now holding a different light. Professor A and a red-haired student stand ready, announcing that Nero, Kundan, and Teresu are about to get their well-deserved rewards, leaving the student utterly baffled. A knowing smirk crosses the professor's face, clearly pleased with the unfolding events. Nero, Kundan, and Teresu are absolutely ecstatic, their smiles radiating pure triumph. But wait, there's more. They were only supposed to get one artifact, but now they're getting all three of these incredible, glowing treasures. A hand, gleaming with a golden bracelet, moves to grasp one of the incredible prizes. Treasure secured, Nero, Kundan, and Teresu stand tall, their triumphant smiles lighting up the grand hall. He throws out a genuine thank you to Evan for his past assistance. Leaving Evan utterly baffled, who's like, "Help? What help are we even talking about?" A flush of embarrassment hits him, and he quickly tries to backtrack, muttering under his breath. Evan just tsks and walks off, while the young prodigy internally admits he was just pushing his own boundaries. The group then strides through a massive, ornate hall, and the blue-haired elf can't help but notice Evan still the same old Evan. Meanwhile, Professor A and a red-haired student are watching from afar, with the professor recognizing them as the absolute best the academy has to offer. Their journey down the hall continues, and the blue-haired elf's ear gives a subtle twitch. She shoots a quick look back at Evan, who lets out another soft tsk as he trails them. The trio fades into the distance, their silhouettes shrinking against the grand backdrop of the corridor. The Academy's fate hangs in the balance as the final, brutal survival exam looms. A crucial answer sheet is presented. Swiftly taken by the powerful bicolor mage. The red-haired witch delivers a stern warning, he must become the true descendant of Excanum. And he vows to become a real man by next year. But the pressure is immense, his face etched with deep thought as he clutches his head. As night falls over the academy, a new directive emerges, a professor's order to distribute something vital to all students. The bicolor mage then reveals a history book to Kundan, Nero, and the blue-haired elf, sparking immediate curiosity. He clutches the massive book, the fourth exam's challenge slamming into him, a brutal survival test requiring total mastery of its pages in just 1 month. With no outside help allowed, he and his crew hit the great library, ready to cram together starting tomorrow. Even the Royal Library's resources are restricted, and Nero just stares at the impossible task. He lets out a frustrated sigh, convinced of his own uselessness, thinking if he's this bad, his friends are totally doomed. Later, strolling through the Academy's epic halls, the bicolor mage is deep in conversation with the blue-haired elf. She pivots to him, a spark of curiosity in her eyes, asking if he's ever read anything about the elven family. He just shrugs, saying no, because his family doesn't even own books on elves. While they grab a bite, he quickly clarifies that he was just curious, nothing more. The elf girl's cheeks flush as she looks away, realizing she totally misread the situation. Nero's grinding, but a dark cloud of doubt hangs over him. Can he really memorize all this? Is his talent even enough? He's pushing himself, but the sheer volume of information is crushing. Can he really absorb it all? The pressure is immense. Meanwhile, the study group is locked in. Kundan, the bicolor mage, and the blue-haired elf are all deep in their books, no distractions. This isn't a break. Finish one book, immediately start the next. It's a brutal, non-stop study grind. But the bicolor mage sees something else. He's watching Nero, and in his mind, there's no doubt, this kid's talent is absolutely off the charts, unrivaled. After a moment of intense concentration, a blinding light erupts before him, causing his eyes to glow with an ethereal violet hue as a faint, high-pitched sound echoes. He then finds himself walking towards a massive, fortified gate, a heavy cart trailing behind him. Past two burly men who eye him with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. As he approaches the gate, one of the armored guards barks a command, to which he meekly replies, "Why yes, sir." The heavy wooden wheels of the cart groaning loudly as they turn. Later, he sits with two other men, resting by a makeshift fire, the day's journey clearly weighing on them all. Nero's blue-haired companion hits him with a history pop quiz about the second queen of Noria, and Nero's like, "Yeah, that's what the textbook says." But the blue-haired guy just brushes off Nero's worry, totally confident he'd never forget something so epic. Meanwhile, a gruff, dark-haired dude is just chilling, smoking, and throwing some shade at their relaxed vibe. Nero, still riding shotgun on the cart, just stares down, totally baffled. The blue-haired guy keeps pushing, mind blown that Nero doesn't know about the world-destroying queen, then hits him with a, "You relaxed." Nero's face twists in pure panic, clutching his head like his brain just broke. Suddenly, the dark-haired man is right there, his voice cutting like a knife, asking if they seriously think he and his crew are pushovers. Nero finally looks up, calling out, "Mr. Sarbot," and demanding to know why he's acting so intense. Sarbot, with a stone-cold expression, drops the bomb. He's got special permission from the powerful Fire's family. Mr. Sarbot drops a bombshell, declaring the Fire's family's iron grip on the slums. A silent gasp escapes him, the shocking truth hitting him hard. Leaving the encounter behind, he navigates the grim streets, a discarded shoe a stark reminder of the brutal reality here. He takes one last look back, a heavy feeling in his gut as he pushes forward. Suddenly, two small figures burst onto the scene, their shouts of "Appa" echoing as they charge straight for him, leaving him stunned. One of the girls, tears streaming down her face, screams his name again, her voice raw with emotion. It clicks for him, a mix of shock and pure joy exploding on his face as he shouts, "Wendy." He sweeps both girls into a powerful hug, their small bodies clinging to him in an emotional, long-awaited reunion. He gazes down, marveling at how much they've grown into incredible young women. Nero's reunion with the girls is pure joy, as one of them, full of youthful pride, shouts about how much she's grown. And Hannah, looking up at him with a bright smile, totally backs her up. But the sweet moment is cut short when one of them softly calls his name, snapping him back to reality. Suddenly, a commanding voice breaks the peace, telling him his master needs him now, and he's got no choice but to answer. The summons leads him straight to this massive, super fancy door, and you just know something big is behind it. But before he can even get close, a dark, feathered projectile, absolutely buzzing with dark energy, comes flying at him with insane speed. It slams into him with a sickening thud, and he screams in agony. He's thrown to the ground, left a broken mess. Then, a super intense guy steps out, absolutely fuming, and starts yelling at whoever just attacked Nero, demanding to know why they disrespected his guy like that. Battered and broken, Nero could only beg for his life, a chilling echo of the brutal reality he faced under his master's iron fist. The master, a figure of pure intimidation, turned his back, his voice a thunderclap, roaring about Nero's insolence, questioning how a mere slave dared to defy him. The master's disdain was palpable, mocking Nero's audacity, wondering if he truly thought himself a predator just by existing near them. Crushed and defeated, Nero collapsed to his knees, his pleas for forgiveness echoing in the silence, believing himself worthy only of death. The master's eyes narrowed, a dangerous glint within them, as he pressed Nero for answers, but the boy stood firm, swearing his words were true. A cold, hard truth escaped the master's lips, a grim reminder of the brutal consequences for those who inflicted pain, and for those who orchestrated the downfall of his own bloodline. Elsewhere, in a lavish chamber, the enigmatic bicolor mage stood in quiet contemplation, his gaze fixed on a pulsating, luminous orb. Returning to the tense interrogation, the master revealed the attacker was still at large, a revelation that bought Nero precious time, yet he desperately begged his master to drop the pursuit, terrified of the retribution that would surely follow. The master's resolve was unyielding, knowing the truth would inevitably come to light, even as, in a separate, intense moment, the bicolor mage seized Nero by his collar, his voice sharp with accusation, demanding to know why he had held back during the fight. A young Nero, utterly desperate, begs for his life. But from a window, Sarbot just shrugs it off, declaring, "That's not going to do anything." Then, with a chilling grin, he drops the bombshell, "I'm still going to offer to buy your sisters." The chilling words echo through the downpour. While Sarbot's tongue darts out, a truly sinister move, and he declares, "And I'm going to." Nero screams in pure agony, yet a fierce determination burns within him, "That's what you think? I'm not going to have any trouble doing something like that." Sarbot, unfazed, clarifies his twisted motives, "In any case, that's not the reason why I'm buying them." He sips from a cup, the rain drumming a grim rhythm. But Nero's desperate plea slices through the tension, a last-ditch effort. There is no reason for you to waste your money buying both of them, good sir. He's on his knees, begging, offering himself up. Just buy me instead, he screams, I'll work twice as hard, I'll do anything. Fists clenched, he screams, I'll do anything, and no questions asked. A guttural scream rips from his very soul. The rain starts to pour, and Sarbat, with a twisted grin, drops a bombshell. Will you kill anyone I tell you to? Alone in the pouring rain, the boy's voice is a broken whisper as he agrees, yes. I will. Tears stream down his face, his eyes filled with despair, as he makes the ultimate, horrifying promise, I'll kill anyone you want me to kill. Sarbat's grin widens, a truly sinister sight, as he pushes for the final confirmation, you promise? With a shattered look, the boy can only repeat, yes. I promise. The sun dips below the horizon, casting long, dark shadows over the town, leaving the chilling weight of that promise to settle. The town awakens, but for some, the day is already shrouded in despair. Nero's heart breaks as he prepares to leave, his sister's cries echoing his own despair, begging him not to go. He makes a promise he might not keep, leaving his sisters behind as Sarbat leads him away, their pleas haunting his every step. Sarbat, ever the pragmatist, coldly calculates his gains, dismissing human lives as mere commodities, male slaves a better investment than female. A sinister grin spreads across his face, declaring that only money truly lasts. Night descends, and Sarbat's dark plans begin to unfold. In a shadowy room, Sarbat's sinister words cut through the silence, welcoming Nero as his new friend, while the boy stands exposed and helpless. The sky looms, vast and uncaring, as Nero's new, terrifying reality begins. Clothed once more, Nero walks into the unknown, his heart screaming at the twisted truth. This isn't slavery, it's a new job, a horrifying distinction that rips a cry from his throat. Sarbat's gaze is like a brand as Nero, just a child, is forced to dig a grave, the brutal truth of his new job slamming into him with every shovel of dirt. Sarbat, watching the kid push past his limits, casually drops the bomb. Nero's been grinding since 3 a.m. This isn't a job, it's pure torment. Hours later, every muscle screaming, Nero is a ghost of himself, hauling a massive sack, the sheer exhaustion etched onto his face as the day drags on. Night falls, and Nero finally crashes, but even then, Sarbat's there, a dark shadow confirming the kid hasn't had a single moment of real peace. The nightmare repeats. The next day, Nero's battered and broken on the ground, and Sarbat's still running his mouth, bragging about how the kid's been working since 6 a.m. Unbelievable. And the sun rises again. The battered kid forces himself to run, every ragged breath a testament to his sheer will, pushing through the pain on this never-ending path. Sarbat is about to unleash a brutal whip strike, his target already on the floor. Meanwhile, the bicolor mage reluctantly agrees to stand down for the evening. A menacing thud echoes as Sarbat takes another step. Closing in, he confronts the bicolor mage, cornered against the wall. The whip is clutched tight in Sarbat's hand, his mind fixated on the missing funds. But the bicolor mage isn't backing down, making it clear he won't be kicked out without a fight. Back to Nero, still on the floor, Sarbat delivers a chilling reminder of just how ruthless he can be. Out of nowhere, Nero's hand explodes with violet energy, sending the bicolor mage reeling back with a shocked scream. Still reeling on the ground, Nero is met with the brutal crack of a whip as Sarbat stands over him, his words laced with pure venom. He violently yanks the boy up by his collar, pulling him face to face, and chillingly states that Nero's suffering only fuels his twisted satisfaction. A chilling smirk spreads across Sarbat's face as he drops the ultimate bombshell. He was the monster who took Nero's mother's life. The revelation shatters Nero's world, leaving him utterly dumbfounded and gasping for air. Sarbat relishes in the boy's agony, detailing how he dragged out her suffering until her last breath. To twist the knife even further, a sinister, glowing purple orb crackles into existence in his hand, radiating pure, dark power. But the sheer cruelty ignites something primal within Nero, and with a raw, agonizing scream, a torrent of violet energy explodes from his palm, blasting Sarbat. Sarbat's hand, now infused with the very same purple power, clenches around the orb, daring Nero to even try and stand against him. Meanwhile, miles away from the escalating chaos, a magnificent, domed structure looms majestically beneath the moonlit sky. Stepping out from the colossal, domed edifice, Nero moves with an undeniable purpose, her cloak a dramatic swirl against the open air. But her mind is already elsewhere, fixated on a critical artifact, the pendant that bears her very name, a powerful connection to who she truly is. With a stealthy glance around the corner, she scans the area, clearly on the hunt for a specific target. A sharp, exasperated breath escapes her as she rounds on a subordinate, furious that the pendant, bearing her own name, wasn't just tossed away. But just as she's about to issue a command to recover it, a sudden voice cuts through the air, halting her words. Her focus instantly shifts. Then, brilliant green particles erupt around her, weaving into dazzling, luminous arcs of pure magic. A hushed whisper escapes her lips as she commands the vibrant, emerald energy, her hands blazing with power as she molds the raw magic. And from the swirling, incandescent light, a miniature, glowing fairy-like being materializes, settling delicately into her outstretched hands. In a moment of pure magic, the blue-haired elf finishes her spell, holding the shimmering wind spirit she just brought forth. But elsewhere, under the cover of darkness, two mysterious figures are making a break for it from a massive, ancient building. They quickly reach a barren hill, one of them propped up by a staff while the other stares down at something important. A shovel is stuck in the dirt, right beside a small, mysterious red glow. Close by, Kundan holds a book, asking Sarbot what they're supposed to do, and Sarbot just tells him, burn it. The moment Kundan's hand touches the old book, a mysterious purple glow bursts from its pages. Suddenly, the book floats up, surrounded by an intense, swirling green magic. The green energy explodes outward, swallowing Kundan in its raw, untamed power. He can only watch in shock as the book morphs into a glowing, rectangular relic, letting out a stunned cry. Two shadowy figures are on the hunt, one's hand blazing with green energy as they desperately try to snatch back a glowing artifact, shouting orders to get it back. But then, a jolt of pure shock hits Kundan, his eyes snapping wide open. He's no longer a kid, he's a cloaked, grown man, and something has just hit him hard. No time to waste, he's already pulling his blade, the hilt sliding free with a decisive, ready-for-anything motion. Facing him down, the blue-haired elf, with a gaze that could freeze fire, drops the hammer. What you did? That's treason. And she's not just talking, her hand is already on her sword, a faint purple glow hinting at the power she's about to unleash. Kundan's grip on his glowing purple blade intensifies, his voice cutting through the tension. We can't just stand here and chat. Then, bam. We're thrown into a flashback. A younger, blonde-haired Kundan, absolutely furious, has Sarbot by the collar, practically screaming about the law. His face is pure fury as the young Kundan lays down the ultimate threat. A slave killing their master means the entire family gets wiped out. The flashback hits hard. A young Kundan is on the ground, utterly broken, clutching a small, blonde-haired Nero. The child is forced to parrot the most soul-crushing words, I am nothing more than garbage. I am a slave. Above them, a whip cracks, its brutal sound echoing the child's forced confession, as the wielder snarls, I am a slave. A twisted, cruel smile stretches across the man's face, as he pushes the child further, I am nothing. Then, another sharp crack of the whip, and a raw scream of agony from the child. The whip-wielding tormentor sneers, branding the child a liar, and the child, broken, is forced to repeat, I am nothing. The whip descends again, and the child's voice, now a broken whisper, repeats, I am nothing more than garbage. Another brutal impact, and the child's final, desperate words are ripped from him, I am a slave. Snap back to the present. Kundan stands before the blue-haired elf, his face etched with grim resolve, utterly confirming her accusation. Yes, that's correct. It is treason. Elsewhere in the present, a stern man sits, glaring down at a kneeling Sarbot, his voice cutting through the silence. How did you guys come to this point? The bicolor mage faces off against a gray-haired man, who's freaking out about the Emperor finding out. He just trails off, leaving that ominous threat hanging, while the mage stays totally silent. The bicolor mage's red eyes flash, as he processes the sheer weight of this mess. The gray-haired man can't believe it, insisting this was their only way out. Meanwhile, the blue-haired elf is absolutely fuming, letting out a furious, you bastard. The bicolor mage is on the move, his cloak a blur as he speeds through the area. He finally arrives, only to find a stunning pink-haired woman waiting, her eyes piercing and full of authority. Behind them, a massive, ornate door is shut tight, its imposing presence screaming, no turning back. With a confident smirk, the pink-haired woman lays down the law, they've made it this far, so no more eliminations. The pink-haired woman, draped in a sheer robe, corners the bicolor mage, throwing their deal back in his face. You did everything I told you, she declares, her tone dripping with anticipation, so the headmistress is yours. You're gonna fight, right? Meanwhile, in another location, the blue-haired elf's eyes practically pop out of her head in pure rage. She's just heard the bombshell, he made a deal with the headmistress. That absolute bastard. Back to the main event, the pink-haired woman stares at the bicolor mage's stunned silence, a flicker of confusion in her eyes. What's wrong? Why the shock, she presses, a rare hint of vulnerability escaping her. No man has ever rejected me before. She extends a hand, a soft touch on his arm, her eyes drilling into his, demanding an explanation. Finally, the bicolor mage breaks his silence, his voice low but resolute, I already have someone I like. She closes the distance, her expression turning icy, her question cutting through the air, am I wrong? Her face mere inches from his, those piercing red eyes locking onto him, she commands, be honest. He flinches back, his face a mask of pure anguish, his resolve crumbling. And no. I absolutely can't do this. A chilling, possessive smirk twists her lips as she drops the ultimate threat. Fine, then you can't have this person. And if you can't, then I'll take him for myself. He looms over the defeated, red-haired figure, who's still sparking with raw pink energy from the brutal assault. A chilling smirk spreads across his face, while the defeated foe desperately begs, Please spare me." He just glares down at the groveling figure, his quiet intensity amplifying the tension. Meanwhile, the blue-haired elf can only stare, her expression a mix of pure shock and deep worry. Night has fully descended, casting the imposing building in a soft, ethereal glow. Back in the thick of it, the bicolor mage plants his foot down, grinding the injured man deeper into the dirt. The man's face twists in pure agony and raw desperation, pleading, Please, give me some food." But the mage's gaze is stone cold. He extends a hand, not to help, but to punctuate his chilling words, announcing, "But you broke my deal and I'll give it to you." The injured man's desperate cries persist, his pleas for food a haunting sound in the darkness. But hold up, what's happening elsewhere? The blue-haired elf is just chilling with her crew, taking it all in. A tear, or maybe blood, just drips down a battered face. Ouch. Alright, back to the action. The bicolor mage is absolutely fuming, his hand literally sparking with purple power as he screams, "What the fuck did you just say?" And just like that, he lashes out, the whip cracking hard against the man, who lets out a scream of pure pain. But get this, the guy getting whipped is screaming, and some dude with glasses is just smiling, his eyes glowing blue, watching the whole thing go down. That whip isn't just any whip, it's a badge of power, now in the hands of a newly minted officer of the Bio Empire. The whipped guy, still reeling, tries to pull rank, or lack thereof, telling the smiling dude, "Hey, I'm just a commoner. You can't just beat me up." And as the commoner bows down, the guy with the glasses gets called Professor. The professor, with a chilling smirk, casually considers the ultimate penalty for daring to strike an officer, death. While the brutal, spiked bat, a clear instrument of his merciless judgment, dominates the view. Nero, already battered and bleeding, desperately clutches the brutal weapon, his face a mask of pure agony and despair. A brutal crack rips through the air. A cold, blue-haired figure in glasses looms over Nero, demanding to know why he's still awake. Nero's gaze drops, haunted by the crushing weight of his mother's death, a death he blames himself for. The agony of that memory twists his features, a silent scream of anguish. His eyes blaze with pure hatred as he snarls, "That bastard." The image of the man who poisoned his father flashes before him. And then, the blue-haired man drops the ultimate bomb, that same monster bought Nero's mother, only to rape and beat her to death. Consumed by a white-hot rage, Nero unleashes a devastating, bat-wielding strike, fueled by the unspeakable horrors he's just remembered. As the kid's fury erupted, the stern man snapped into action, a glowing artifact materializing as he roared, refusing to let this stand. But before he could even move, a blinding wave of blue energy exploded, ripping through the space. And just like that, the stern man was trapped, bound by glowing azure chains, his struggle utterly useless against the sheer power. The mastermind behind it all, a man with wild bicolor hair, held his hand out, a steady blue glow pulsing from his palm. Even as the brutal, spiked bat, the kid's weapon of choice, lay abandoned on the floor. The kid himself was now tied up, his eyes wide with a mix of shock and pure defiance. But even tied up, he still landed a hit, sending the stern man reeling back with a scream of pain. Finally, the bicolor mage stood triumphant, the stern man knocked out cold, and the kid also subdued, the whole chaotic scene brought to a sudden halt. With everything locked down, he just stood there, cool and collected, hands casually in his pockets. After the intense showdown, a bandaged arm, a testament to the brutal fight, lies still, hinting at the toll taken. Meanwhile, the outside world remains oblivious, the sky a canvas of calm, a stark contrast to the brewing storm. Back inside, Nero sips from a cup, Kundan observing, but the calm shatters as he grabs a bat, his grip tightening with grim determination. A bag hits the ground with a sharp thud, the sound a punctuation mark to the escalating tension. Nero looms over the stern man, now tied and helpless, bat poised, the air thick with unspoken threats. The stern man's face, a canvas of raw pain and terror, bears the brutal marks of his defeat. Gazing down at his defeated foe, Nero's voice cuts through the silence, "I still have some things to take care of." Desperate, the stern man's voice cracks as he begs, "Please, you want me to give you another chance?" Nero's eyes hold no mercy as he delivers a chilling, one-word reply, "No." Bloodied and beaten, the young boy desperately begs for his life, as an enraged voice from off-panel screams about the shock he just delivered. Just inches away, the stern man is out cold, his lip busted and face a mess, a brutal reminder of the fight that just went down. A dark, menacing silhouette hangs over everything, its shadow stretching out like a bad omen. Stepping away from the blood-soaked floor, the blue-haired elf makes her exit, leaving the chaos behind her. And behind her? A body, run through with a sword, just another victim of this brutal showdown. The young man with that iconic white streak in his hair also bails, eyes glued to the floor, clearly deep in thought. Watching the whole mess unfold, the bicolor mage drops a chilling warning, telling someone not to get swallowed up by that thing. Still there, the blonde boy's face is a mask of pure terror, the whole ordeal burned into his very soul. Nero is battered, his face a mask of agony, gripping the shattered remnants of a wooden club. A dark-haired figure watches the chaos unfold. The broken weapon now just a useless piece of wood. A sharp crack rips through the air, leaving two broken clubs as silent witnesses on the cold, hard ground. Later, in a grim, shadowy room, the bicolor mage strides away from Professor A, who's just chilling at a desk, waiting. His piercing red eyes burn with an unyielding intensity. While Nero is still tied up, head hanging low in utter defeat. He lets out a guttural groan. He looks up, only to be met with the bicolor mage's chilling declaration: "This is what happens when you don't report the world tree to the academy. Complacency will be your END." The bicolor mage towers over him, a chilling, calculating gaze fixed on Nero, who can only bear the brutal truth of his failure. Nero's face twists in a furious grimace, the weight of his deception crashing down on him. But elsewhere, the stern man is tied up, helpless against a wall, as the bicolor mage looms, extracting information. A cold wind howls, echoing the chilling arrogance of those who think they own the world. But Nero isn't grounded, he's soaring high above the clouds, riding an epic winged beast. Professor A, riding alongside him, drops a bombshell, confirming the traitor was Evan. Their focus shifts to a glowing, ancient book, a stark reminder of the Akatos family's reach, who control the very printing presses that spread information. Nero, still mid-flight, can only wonder, how can anyone fight against such overwhelming, insidious power? Professor A's face darkens, a silent admission of their dire predicament. The endless sky looms above, a stark reminder of the Akatos family's absolute dominance, they're just too powerful to even touch. High above, a majestic figure with glowing wings hovers, as a massive banner dramatically declares the arrival of the promised ones of the great Lunati's family. Below, a whole squad of young talents, including Nero, Professor A, and Kundan, are absolutely stunned, their expressions screaming "Woa" at the sheer magnitude of being the promised. But the pressure is getting to Nero, who later confesses to Professor A and Kundan, sounding defeated, "I'm sorry, but I don't think I can do it." Her eyes drop, the weight of the challenge clearly crushing her, as she whispers again, "I don't think I can do it." But the winged Nero isn't having any of it, quickly cutting in, "Relax. The professor's got this covered. You'll be totally fine." Kundan, walking alongside Professor A, lays out the cold hard truth, revealing, "Your ancient magic means the professor thinks your slave is gonna be a huge asset." The winged Nero keeps pushing, trying to hype up her younger counterpart, declaring, "It's all gonna work out. You'll get your revenge in the next war, Nero." Nero just stands there, next to Professor A, her face giving absolutely nothing away. Kundan's got a smirk on his face, but Nero suddenly screams, a total shocker hitting her out of nowhere. A voice booms, flat out denying the impossible. No way the Lunati's family could have pulled that off. They double down, declaring that only the Lunati's family wields that ancient, legendary magic. Elsewhere, a massive, opulent structure looms over a bustling crowd, their faces lost in the sheer scale of the scene. Suddenly, a sharp-looking blonde man in a crisp white uniform grins, casually commenting on the intense activity around them. The blue-haired elf, a slight frown on her face, takes it all in. Then, she pivots, asking a pointed question, "Do you know him?" The blonde man and a mysterious figure with bicolor hair stand frozen, locked in a silent, intense stare-down with the blue-haired elf. The air crackles with unspoken tension, as the blonde man and the blue-haired elf hold their silent, charged interaction. In a lavish hall, the blue-haired elf locks eyes with the blonde-haired man, the tension already palpable. He ponders her statement, a subtle furrow in his brow, while she challenges the core of their ancient magic, demanding to know its true essence. Her face flushes, a sudden embarrassment washing over her, clearly flustered by his unexpected proximity. He scrutinizes her intently, making a pointed remark about her face. A beat of silence hangs heavy in the air, then he gently speaks her name, Nero. He extends his hand, gently clasping hers, revealing he has something crucial he needs to say. But just as he's about to spill the beans, a grim-faced, gray-haired man suddenly materializes behind him, crashing their intimate conversation. Nero's eyes snap open in shock, her face a perfect mirror of the abrupt change in mood. The gray-haired man then drops a bombshell, confessing he felt incredibly guilty after her disqualification, and it's been eating at him. The blonde-haired man confronts the stern figure, demanding to know why he's feeling guilty. Then, turning to Nero, he confesses he should have told her this a long time ago. With a glowing pendant in hand, he drops a bombshell about her heritage. Nero is a half-Yelef from the legendary Hula's family, one of Noria's 3 most powerful houses. The shocking truth hangs heavy in the air, leaving them both in stunned silence.